that or with that?
I'm saying whatever was done, there was an increase.
Right. That increase I'm telling you, that increase is going to happen either way.
Yeah, that's probably entitlements. Like things
It's
they
entitlement
start sending
spending,
the tier
interest
No, I'm
payments.
saying that
over
like this
time.
from an
Yeah, people paying
administration
for
that
it.
said it was going to cut, it was going to save.
They
They
did
still
cut.
managed to increase. Yeah, and
Yes.
yet still they managed to increase.
What I'm
I
saying,
am
what I'm trying to
seeing-
tell you is that they cut it,
So I'm
and
saying
the
it was a
overall
complete
spending,
failure.
the overall spending did go down. Is what I'm trying to tell you. It
I'm-
would have been higher had
That
it not been
overall
the big beautiful
spending
bill.
went down because of the
Yeah. Because of the big beautiful bill.
because of the shutdown.
Wait, hold
No,
on.
the
Can I
shutdown,
Lactoid?
the shutdown probably cost us money. just to
I
be
am
clear.
I'm seeing a couple analysis that say that it would increase the deficit, that the big beautiful bill increased the deficit by 2.4
It does.
trillion. Oh, so you're saying it just
He's okay.
Decrease-
How
How
would
would
that
that-
like that? But he's
It
accepted.
decreased
so it-
spending
it-
and
it-
tax
it-
cuts, so it's all good.
Yes, if you here, it's very simple. If you decrease spending but then also cut taxes, you could deficit spend at a higher rate than if you increase spending
I
and increase
understand.
taxes.
They decreased
Right.
spending, but they didn't
Yes.
decrease. Totally. Gotcha. I probably agree with that. Or sorry, that's probably true, is what I mean to say.
Yeah, no, you already said it.
Wow, concession. He agrees, bro. He agrees.
I usually am against cutting taxes because I think that
Well, it's because you hate hardworking Americans. That make
True.
money.
I'm a fucking dirty liberal, and I want I want everyone, not just
You know-
billionaires, not just billionaires. By the way, I think that
Even
Let me
oftentimes
build a
though-
bridge. Let me
that's
build a bridge.
bullshit
Statistically,
rhetoric.
People
I
making
want-
over 100K vote Democrat.
Hold on. Let me build a bridge
yeah,
here. This
that's
is
fine.
something
because
I,
of guilt, because they know it's right, because they know they need to give back.
I've been saying this all week, though, right? So, the more and more fraud we see how advantage the system has been taken advantage of.
So
right,
what are the
right?
prosecutions for fraud there, Gibbs?
Oh,
Can you-
well,
can you give me
well,
some
hold on.
prosecuted fraud
there's
cases?
happening. Bro, what's his name?
Oh,
JD
so there's no
Vance.
fraud yet.
No, there is fraud. There's happening.
No,
There's
so-
convictions
so
yet.
The vice
Show me-
president
oh,
is getting right
me-
on it. Okay, that's
yeah,
who
he's on it. He's
that's
on
who
it.
gets
Anyway, let me
on
finish.
fraud, right? It's the vice president. That's
Yeah,
who's in
he's on
charge
it.
of
He's
it.
in charge of it. He's in charge of it. Anyway,
Totally.
listen, I've seen enough fraud now that I might actually be willing to be okay with some of these programs instead of expanding them. Let's see what these programs actually do for people if we can gut the fraud, because clearly they're not working as intended.
Have you seen Nick Shirley's latest
I- I-
video?
I- I-
He
I
shows
wanna point out-
$350 worth of fraud.
True.
Could you
I
believe
wanna-
that?
I want to point out something real quick.
$350?
I want to point out two things. First of all,
Unacceptable.
He's absolutely correct about the home health care fraud that's happening in Los Angeles County. You know that 1 out of every 10
Probably.
hospice dollars of the whole country is spent in that one county. Isn't that crazy?
Exactly.
But here's another thing that just came out today. Something fascinating.
Uh-huh.
So I'm reading right here. Abdul Abu Bakr Ali, who's a Somalian in Minnesota, pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud regarding feeding our future. We talked about this. 1.5. He claimed to serve 1.5 million meals. That was not
A lot of
true.
fraud.
He was sentenced.
I think
for
we
committing
went
this fraud.
we went over this last time.
It's
where
happening.
I
No.
totally-
Well, this is just today. He was just
Okay.
sentenced today for
Okay.
his role in the feeding the future fraud, which is absolutely fraud.
So wait,
1 year.
I want to say
1 year he got.
Can I respond? Is that okay? You can keep
Yeah, of
going if
course.
you want. If you need to
The
go.
fraud, it's coming.
The first thing I'm going to say is, largely speaking, there have been cases about fraud in Minnesota over the last 10 years. The idea that this is due to Nick Shirley is probably pretty silly. The
No,
second
it's
thing,
due to Tim Walz and his
the-
fraudulent corruption.
nice.
Tammany
It's
Hall.
fucking, it's the governor somehow. The second
Yeah,
thing
it's
that
just
I want to
corruption.
say, it's genuinely just because you know who the governor of Minnesota
Gibbs,
is.
give
So
my,
you're like,
my-
it's,
my
it's him.
side.
It's him. Let's get him.
You
The
want
second
the,
thing, hold on. The
AG?
second thing, Nick Shirley has lied about me in particular. So I really call me. I think if people lie about you in particular, you're just gonna shut off almost anything that they're gonna say. So fuck that.
Fair
guy.
enough. Hold on. I just want to say, I mean, fair enough. If you have a personal beef with the guy because he's lied about you, I'm not expecting you to trust what he has to say. What I will say, though, is that I think his video got rightful level of attention on what's going on there. I think, Gibbs, you were part of that with me, I'm pretty sure, when we covered Feeding the Future specifically. This was before Nick Shirley's video. And the Office of the Legislative Auditor did look into that and condemned Minnesota's government under Tim Walz for various oversights and various just complete I think specifically they used negligent, if I remember correctly, in terms of how they handled a lot of the handling the finances. There's a reason why Tim Walz is not rerunning because of this, by the way. And then Feeding Our Future, which is one of the single biggest example of like actual fraud that existed that we can really pin down and that actually has legal weight behind it. I mean, the sentences here are pathetic. 1 year. I mean, this is one of the biggest. We're talking millions of dollars. This guy was involved in this massive fraud. He gets 1 year in prison.
Sure.
Yeah,
Didn't
hold on.
Transporting somebody with like
what
$200 million of fraud.
Yeah, exactly. What difference does it make? It's white collar crime. Hold on. Welcome to how white collar crime is treated in America. What the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
it
whoa.
wasn't. It wasn't.
He
a proper
should get more than a
punishment.
year.
I
Who
understood.
are you arguing with? We all
I
agree.
understood. Yeah, I get it.
Oh,
that
oh,
happens
good.
often.
I'm
But
glad.
you even go to prison
I think
at
we
all.
I think we
don't
all
know,
agree
like,
that
what is
largely
this
speaking,
proof?
I will do I didn't want to I will say that there is an angle that you can take where you can say that obviously speaking, if you are committing more violent crime, that probably speaks a little bit more to your character than if you just defraud millions of dollars.
Hold on, if you
But
defraud millions
but
of
wait, hold on,
people-
hold on,
no,
hold
no,
on,
no,
hold
wait a
on,
minute.
hold on.
This does not follow.
No, I agree.
Sorry, hold on.
I'm going to clarify it in the next sentence. I'm going to agree with
Sorry,
what you're going to
it's
say.
okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
I hate to do it, but I actually do somewhat agree with Hunter. So that's fine. Keep going.
I will say
That's
as
not a win for
well,
Hunter.
if you
Let me tell you.
defraud millions of people,
Pablo Escobar was
If
actually
you
a good guy,
defraud-
'cause he
if you-
didn't do violent
just
crime
real quick,
himself.
Let Hunter go. Let
Real
Hunter
quick,
go.
Yes,
if you
he
de-
did.
I will say in an indirect
Can't
way,
prove it.
if you defraud millions of dollars from the federal government, you're probably leading to the deaths of hundreds of people, or I don't know the amount, but it's probably going to be more than one person. But the human being probably doesn't factor in that consideration, so that is worth considering. But I think that that's probably something that we should crack down on harder because it does lead to more deaths. So I am in favor of increasing the amount.
Lactoid, you're I'm gonna pull back because I feel like Lactoid, your entire political project says the opposite of what you just said. Talking about how taxes are theft, right, and stealing
are.
from individuals. You guys have been here, my regulars, right? You've been here as the libertarians have lectured me, right? Well, hey, taking property is just like taking life, right? And now, like Hunter put the situation where
That's right.
They steal money, right,
Mhm.
from millions of individuals, and then Lactoid's like, yeah,
Millions.
that's just that might be worse.
Right. You're
than
actually
it knocking
100%
over
correct, Mike.
7-Eleven. Yeah,
Yeah,
it might be.
You're
It's
100%
unbelievable.
correct. There's
I
nothing
feel like
more-
you're
actually,
extrapolating a little bit.
No, Prime is right. Is actually right. If I go and shoot one guy at 7-Eleven, that is way less bad than them taking millions of dollars in tax fraud. There's so many more people hurt, including me. I'm not hurt by the guy getting shot at 7-Eleven. I am hurt by the guy fucking us on taxes. It is much worse.
Okay, hold on.
Much worse when Gibbs.
Fake
get hurt. I agree.
libertarian. Yeah, I'm saying.
Okay, can I respond? Yeah, taxes are bad. These fraudsters are bad.
No,
The
they're theft.
government
Excuse me, they're
the-
theft. That's what I've been told for years at a time. They're theft. Go ahead.
Yes.
See, this
Yeah.
he's
Yes.
secretly
Okay.
a
Oh,
taker.
who are you
He just-
arguing
I
with?
said taxes are bad because they're theft.
No,
Committing
you got
fraud
it.
and stealing a bunch of money from the government is bad because you're stealing the money that the government stole it from.
You would say
right?
theft is
you're
bad.
Yeah, I would say theft is bad. Let's just
Robin
roll
Hood
with
is
it.
Hold on,
probably
giving a little bit of
Lactoid-
charity.
Lactoid would say how successful
And,
they are matters. If they're successful,
no.
they steal a lot of money.
Two wrongs
They're
don't make a
more
right.
morally correct
No,
because
no,
they have
no,
more money.
no.
So they're
Lactoid,
more
just say
correct
two
because they
wrongs
have
don't make a
money.
right.
That's what he would say. That's the problem.
No, it's all bad. And then the government of Minnesota is bad for the
Oh
office
my
for what
gosh.
the Office of the Legislative Auditor found, which is that they were incredibly incompetent when it comes to taking people's money and running
No, they're
the
not.
funds
They're
that is
Democrats.
associated with that money, which is what was found. And Tim Walz is bad for many reasons, but that's
So
one
you're
of them.
going to explain how
Um,
that's not worse.
And
than
so, but what Hunter is saying, which there's some truth behind, is that when it comes time to divvy out punishment, we have different interests in play. There's multiple different interests we have for how to deal with somebody who's done something bad. Sometimes we have a restitutive, or we do have a restitutive interest. I think in almost every case, we can have a case. We also have an interest in rehabilitation. We want to correct them. We also have an interest in the public safety, right? And somebody who's a psycho, who's shooting people, or who's incredibly aggressive and violent towards people, they have a different kind of mind, and they're more of a threat in the immediate term than somebody who, was placed into a position of financial power and then took advantage of that for personal gain. And then we just, we can punish them
and
But
destroyed.
the risk of them doing it
innocent
again
human
if we
lives.
remove them, well, the risk of them doing it again if we remove them from
Or
that position of
reintegrating with
financial
society.
power is going to be less, right? And they're probably going to be more apt to be reintegrated with society than, again,
So they don't
somebody
need to
who.
be in jail longer than a year.
Oh
Yeah.
no, they should be in jail longer than a year.
Yeah, we all agree.
No, wait a minute. You just said
they're
that
gonna-
they can be as long as we remove them from the position, they can be reintegrated back into society.
Yeah.
No, they're
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
more
yeah,
likely.
yeah. But
Fine.
1 year is crazy. Is what I'm trying to say.
Oh,
Like,
no,
I-
that sounds about right.
I think
Like,
murderers
fine.
should probably get like life in prison. This guy should probably get like 10 years, like less.
How is this controversial? What are we
It's too
talking
much.
about?
It's too much. It's too
Yeah.
much.
Years.
Maxwell.
Yeah,
It's too much.
listen.
I don't know. I
This
think
is
they
my
should,
whole
like,
experience talking with the
press
left.
them.
I just say something common sense and they just
No,
like, that's
no, no.
ridiculous.
No, I don't
No,
know.
it's not.
I think
Wait,
it's
hold
like
on.
press
Walk
them in position.
walk through what Lactoid is saying is so crazy.
I- it's
Well,
not crazy. I think it's pressing
one
in
tax
such a
fraud's
safe
worse than
position.
murder. So
No, wait, hold on,
okay.
hold on,
If
hold
we're
on.
having a
When we
conversation- if
talk
we're having a
about,
conversation about
hold on.
tax fraud or having a conversation just about the fraud guy, like he would be going so much harder than he actually. Like it's a wiggle both sides.
Yeah,
hold
I
on,
agree.
hold on, hold on, hold on.
I
I have
agree.
family
He's
members.
wiggling and wobbling.
I have family
And
members
Peter
who
Cotter.
currently like fucking commit fraud to their like who are in charge of a business and fucking fraud their employees. Okay,
Nick
like
Shirley, get his ass.
true.
bro.
No wait, I hope he does. I hope he
Shit, I'm
does.
sitting this
These
film
are
right
family
now.
members. I don't stand by them, but I do know them, and they are personable
Now
people.
we know why you're mad. He lied.
They're
about it.
like socially
Allegedly.
coherent. Okay, they are dishonest people who are likely ripping these people to shreds monetarily, but that doesn't feel the same in terms of like what
Yeah,
in
it doesn't
terms of
feel the
being a
same.
person. Totally, that's what I'm saying. If
Yeah,
I know
it's
a
more
fucking
pernicious because
murderer,
it's actually worse.
Yeah, hold
if
on.
I know someone who
Hold on.
stabbed like Rob
No,
Reiner
I know
type
people
shit.
I know people
not-
that kill people. They're not actually like foaming rabid dogs.
No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. But it
They're
depends
not
on the
even that bad, most of
circumstances,
them. Most
right?
of them are nice guys.
If we look at like Rob Reiner
Right,
type
I
shit,
know
where
what-
like they just like he fucking stabbed to death the dad, or like someone who shot up a liquor store, who was just like he was trying to grab the money, people were getting defensive,
Yeah, but-
spur of the moment, shoot someone, shoot
But that's
someone
not
in
as
the, in the
bad.
leg,
That's
die
honestly
from.
not as bad. Like the one life
Sure.
being affected, oh, that's bad. Okay, cool, he died. Oh no, but like millions being affected, that's way worse.
I understand.
Way worse.
I understand it
Lactoid over
in
here
an
flipping, flopping like a
impact
fish.
utilitarian
Crazy.
perspective.
Crazy.
Why
flip
can't you
flop.
hold both of these
So, Hunter-
things
Because,
simultaneously?
Hunter,
because
No,
I don't
that-
give a shit. Like I have a gun, so I don't die. That's why y'all should buy guns.
See, this is my experience talking to the right, Lactoid.
Yeah,
It's just like,
we're correct.
Wait, that's different. That's different. No,
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 it's
no,
nonsense.
No, no,
It's
no,
worse
hold on.
nonsense. It is worse nonsense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
Gibbs-
hold on. There's so many videos of a guy. pulling a gun
Gibbs
in
is
the
a
grocery store.
special.
No, hold on.
snowflake
How
of
many
all
videos?
those.
If I go right now and I say, if I look up a guy
He's
robbing a liquor
extremely
store,
common among
yeah. If I
A
pull a
million
video right
percent.
now of a guy robbing a gas station, and I say citizens stopping robbery at a gas station, there's gonna be about 100 videos of a good guy with a gun blasting him or tackling him or whatever. You know how many good guys with a gun stop tax fraud? Zero, because they don't fucking know about this
Yeah.
shit. It's more pernicious.
more
It's more insidious. It's more duplicitous. It's
Wait a minute.
worse.
Yeah.
So it's worse because you can't go stop it.
No, it's
At a
worse
gas
'cause I'm
station with a
affected.
gun?
I'm not affected by Bob getting shot in Houston.
No, you
I
are
am
affected by Bob getting shot.
No, I'm not.
Absolutely, it
Not at
affects
all.
your.
Yes,
it
you
affects-
are.
It affects your safety. It affects
it
whether or not you
literally
want to go
affects your
outside.
safety.
No, it
It affects your property. Hold on. It affects your property value, doesn't
Oh,
it?
my
Bob should
God.
have hired a
More
security
than
guard.
that.
Well, not in Houston. I don't live in Houston. You know,
Hold
you
on.
get shot.
It affects
No,
whether
what
or
if
not
someone
you
was
feel
shot next to
comfortable
you?
going
Good,
outside.
then
in
it
your
would lower
neighborhood.
my- then it would lower my property values. I pay less taxes.
fucking
Yes,
stupid.
baby.
Oh, I don't-
I will say, as someone
Woo!
who has had someone get shot right in fucking front of me, it does affect whether or not you go
Yeah.
outside. It affects whether
true.
or not you
That's
go
because you're a
outside.
pussy. You got to get a gun,
Oh
bro.
my god.
And maybe a helmet and a body armor
Let's
that
not
goes
say
above the
that.
neck. I don't know.
Yeah, why didn't just Charlie Kirk get
I'm
get
sorry you
armed?
experienced
He
that.
should have had a body
That
armor
was
and a neck
horrible.
protection.
Hold on,
He
I
should've
still.
walked out like a
That was the
SWAT
right
nigga.
way.
I still go outside. I'm not
Yeah.
holding in, but it does like rattle you for the first week at the
Yeah,
very
of course.
least.
And I'm saying I'm sorry. I'm just saying I'm sorry that like you experienced that, right?
Sure, and if that were more commonplace, it happened in a place that it basically never happens. If it's more
Yeah.
commonplace, if it's a place that you just hear gunshots and you're like, yeah, that's a
Marbach.
mile away. That's just what
Yeah,
happens.
but
it
the
would-
people there are traumatized.
But you
like
would,
constantly.
wait,
100%.
you would
Yeah,
feel
of
just
course.
as you would feel just as like scared if it was commonplace that like you went to work and like 75% of jobs like you just didn't get paid. Like they're like, oh,
Right?
you never know.
Sure.
Which if you're at one of
I
the
would
I
not
don't
be
know.
Just,
I wouldn't
I'd
call
be
it the
pissed. I
same.
wouldn't be just as traumatized.
I wouldn't call it
Might
the
as well
same.
start rolling dice,
It would
boys.
rattle me. I agree, would rattle
If
me
you're like,
for sure.
okay, I got this job. You go to like you talk like the process.
Who are
of
you
getting homeless is
arguing
like-
with? Of course,
Yeah, I'm
I
not
agree.
getting shot. What do you want from me?
Well, then wear body armor.
You
You'll be
wouldn't
fine.
be
Go to
shot
work.
because
No, no, you're not
Gibbs,
gonna
you're
just be fine.
psychotic.
Yeah,
You're
you'll be
fucking
fine.
crazy.
No, that's not the way that
They
works.
literally, hold on, you're a lawyer. They literally make carbon fiber weed like suits now. Not
It's
no
literally
actual live,
impossible
right?
to get
Like
shot.
John Wick.
Because
Oh, I bet you this, Gibbs. I'll bet you this.
Yeah, they're only like
the
body level
the
suits.
fraud in the Somalian fraud in Minnesota, which I think is terrible, but the Somalian fraud in Minnesota has cost me personally less than it would cost to go out and get a bulletproof carbon fiber lawyer suit that I have to
it's
wear
not-
around a court
it's
every day
not-
now.
It's only like $1,500, but I
Yo,
guarantee you,
1,500.
hold on,
Yeah,
hold on, but all
a
that
drop
fraud
in the
going-
bucket.
Hold on, all that fraud going.
But the
to
Minnesota
Somalia,
fraud
they're-
in
they're
particular
buying
has affected
weapons
you,
for the
$2 million.
warlords and killing each other, bro. You're directly contributing to warlords, bro. How do you?
Yeah.
How do you
I'm
sleep
glad-
at
Wait,
night?
wait. I mean, all jokes
Without
aside-
getting the benefits of owning the stock in them, it's bullshit.
all jokes aside, like I'm not even talking placing like an actual some level of like moral accountability. But I think can we all acknowledge and agree that Nick Shirley's video like is directly like you could make the connection. It led to the death of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. Like a one
Yeah.
person.
How high are you?
100%.
Can you give me your
Yes.
dealer's number?
What?
100%.
Hold on, walk me
obvious.
through. I'm not.
Oh, immigration. They're against immigration,
Like,
so they
he
deploy to
says that
Minnesota
all
because
these
there's
crazy
immigrants
things
there.
happening.
Oh,
Like,
maybe.
Nick Shirley essentially started the ICE going to Minnesota.
How about like the
Yeah.
girls getting
Trump
raped
did-
by like? How about like by these
directly
illegal
respond-
aliens? Did
Hold on,
that lead to their
Lactoid,
deaths?
you'll
I
get
think
this,
that-
Trump watched the video?
Back to it. Trump directly responds to conservative news, right? He takes action directly after like seeing things like that are blowing up in conservative news. That's
don't
the
know if
thing.
that happens
Do you
anymore.
deny that, Lactoid?
That was it. That
I-
was for sure. Wait, hold on. Could I translate this a little bit, Lactoid?
Yeah,
I can
go
help.
ahead.
What's going on?
Thank you.
There was a really good piece back in Trump's first era, like 2017, 2018, where Trump implemented policies that were directly consistent with what was on Fox and Friends the night before. It was specifically with Fox and Friends. He watched that show fucking religiously, and a lot of like clips that were shown while he was answering questions, you could just hear Fox and Friends like fucking blasting in the room next door. I don't think he watches Twitter where he saw Nick Shirley. I don't think Trump
No,
has
but
seen
I'm talking, he's
Shirley.
talking about
No, no, no.
Somalian
It blew
fraud.
up
Like,
outside
Somalian
of
fraud
Twitter.
that specifically came. They didn't come from nowhere. It
Bro,
came from
but
Nick
y'all,
Shirley.
hold on, y'all
And then-
ignoring
and then it
all the
blew up
other
in
news
conservative
stories
media,
where
that's what I'm
women were
saying.
like,
So,
hold
like,
on,
it doesn't have to be on Twitter.
hold on. He literally
Okay,
before
fair.
any of
That's
this,
fair.
before any of that shit came out, he gave a speech at what was it, State of the Union, 2 years ago, after that girl was raped to death, and like over there on like in one of the campuses. Do you remember this? By an illegal alien.
I
By
don't
an
know.
illegal.
Is this
Yeah,
Lincoln
that
Riley?
happened. Yeah, Laken Riley. Y'all remember this? That was a big thing. You think that was cause of Renee Good's death? That's probably more of a cause than Nick
No,
Shirley
he
going
went- he
over.
said they were going
That was
You're just
probably
trying
also-
to, you're just trying to discredit. You're just trying to
I'm just
discredit
taking
Shirley.
Trump's actual
'cause he
words.
was
Shirley's
stubborn.
already discredited.
Why do
We
we
don't
not
have to
take
lie
the
about
words
that.
that Trump
Well, hold on.
Also,
You would have to.
Yeah,
you
I
would
would
have
probably
to.
have to
Everybody
say
else
that
saying
that
he's
also
right.
led
Y'all
to
just
it.
saying he's
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
what's
So,
funny
hold on,
is
I'm
the
gonna add more
perma
than
the
one
perma
thing.
online
But I'm
people,
saying
the perma
directly,
the
there's a
perma
direct-
online.
I'm saying there is a
Trump
direct
started the-
cause and effect here that
No,
happened.
yeah,
Nick
Laken
Shirley
Riley dying,
makes
those
it,
people dying.
Makes
Yeah.
a video, right? It blows up conservative news. Trump sees it. He responds to that
Goes and
by
talks
sending
about
in the ICE
Somalian fraud.
troops. Yeah, like those are direct corrections.
think-
like I can. It's fine to say there are other things were involved. Sure, I'm talking
here's
about
the
a direct
problem.
cause and effect.
Yeah. Also,
Here's the-
by the way, Nick Shirley's not discredited. He's only discredited with like
No, that guy
online
sucks.
online people.
Yeah, but
that,
anyone who's
yeah,
outside
like no,
MAGA.
anybody that's
Anyone
like not
who's outside MAGA
anybody
is
that's online.
discredited.
Bill
Anyone.
Maher's MAGA now. Bill Maher
I
just
don't-
like giving him credit. So yeah, I guess Bill Maher's MAGA now.
Hey, have you
That's crazy
considered
stuff.
one person?
Yeah,
Have you
no,
considered
no, no,
this one guy?
No,
I
but
don't
what's
care.
funny is y'all do this dismissal thing,
I gotta-
and you.
To
To be
hold
fair,
on,
Bill
this
Maher
is
is
the
more
problem.
than just one guy.
Oh, he
this
said
is
Bill
the problem.
Maher? I couldn't even-
this
you
is
said
the
like Bill
problem
Maher.
with what you're
You
doing.
can't pronounce it.
Hold on, this is the problem with what y'all are doing right here. Y'all are going, oh, it's just
He
MAGA.
doesn't
Then I say
slur.
somebody else, and y'all go, oh, that's just one
I
person. No, but you go, oh, it's just MAGA. No, what happens is you get in these online like groups, and you're like, oh, he's discredited. He's discredited when like millions and millions of people, not just
Yeah,
the MAGA,
millions and
but
millions of
independent.
MAGA.
No, independents are going, oh, this
Yeah.
guy's discovering a lot of
Billions
shit.
and billions.
Billions and billions, frankly. No, y'all just do this thing, and then y'all go, what happened?
okay, sorry,
Why
sorry,
are
I
they
don't
acting
care
on
about
this?
defending
I know you don't
yourself. We'll get
care,
back to the
but it's like y'all go, oh, why
Yeah,
is
I
this
don't
happening?
care. No
Well,
one-
why
no
is
one
this
gets-
Okay,
happening?
sure, cool.
And then you go,
Nick Shirley's right, but I'm saying that makes my
Well, yeah,
just
but
makes my
millions
point,
of
though.
people-
Trump directly responded to that. He sent
yeah,
people
because
to
it's a good
Minnesota
point.
because of this, like in response to this. like processes come out and it led to the death of.
Well, maybe
Alfred
don't
Wayne.
fucking
I think-
interrupt law enforcement when they're in the middle of an operation. You won't die.
Cool.
That's kind of
Hey,
like,
what you-
There you go.
Just about however you want to. That's still Nick
Yeah.
Shirley's fault, though.
Wait, what's
no, it's 100% her own fault.
Okay,
She
wait,
was-
hold on,
hold on.
She literally suicided by cop. That's her fault.
Hold on.
That'd be like if I walked out with a gun to the cops and was like, "Hey, you won't do nothing." Like you, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
It's
they
her
should be able
own-
to-
Could I-
You're
wait, hold
100%
on.
only her fault.
There's a
100%
huge
only
issue
her
with
fault.
this.
That's not what you did at all, but I don't want to talk
Can,
about
can I
that.
respond? Can I respond to
100% her
Brian?
fault.
Yeah, I want you to
Okay.
respond to that.
The Brian,
Yeah,
hold on,
I'm gonna
I haven't given my point on the
I know what it
violent
is
thing.
though, because I'm.
You know,
I know
what's
what
what's my
your
point?
is.
So you're gonna tell
Well,
me.
well, no. Well, hold on. I know your point about the Alex Pretty Renee Good thing.
Oh, I wasn't. Okay, all right, fine. Do your
that's what
thing
he wants to
first, and I
respond
will
to.
respond.
That's
Go
what I
ahead.
want to respond to. Okay.
I want to respond.
Okay.
I want to talk about the other.
I feel like I'm the
thing.
translator here.
It's fine. It's fine. Go ahead, lad.
Does anyone else feel that?
You're the
Sure, a little bit.
No, you don't have to translate. You don't have to do anything. Thank you.
No, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Con-
We haven't had that debate yet. So anyway, okay. This is first of all, I agree with Gibbs with the Renee Good shooting being justified in the first place, but you could still make the argument, well, that it was still sad, and that never would have happened had ICE not been there. And
not sad at all.
because of the Nick Shirley, I think it's sad when people die. When the Nick
I
Shirley
went out
video,
dancing like they did, yes.
okay. When the Nick Shirley, I got no response to that.
You're
When the Nick
psychotic,
Shirley video came out, you could argue that like maybe this riled up conservatives led to like a direction of immigration officials to Minnesota, which then thus led to like kind of go down this domino list. You can do that. The problem though, if you want to go down that route, is it works so many other ways, many which are like I see this as like very unintuitive, but Gibbs is sort of right. You would have to argue then that Biden's policy at the border, despite the fact that he was warned that it would lead
Go
to
ahead, yeah,
massive
sure.
increases
Good.
in migration,
Good.
the
Blame
fact that he
Biden.
was not
He's-
enforcing the
Lactoid,
border.
he's just gonna say
that-
Blame
Biden's a
Biden.
no,
mass murderer.
well, let me finish, right? So when Biden was not enforcing the border, despite the fact he was warned what the effects would be if he didn't, that he is responsible for Laken Riley's death, that he is responsible for every rape that happened under an illegal immigrant that came
That's
into
right.
the country at the time.
I think to some
But
degree,
I don't. We don't actually believe that because that's insane, right?
I do
Why
believe that.
wouldn't we hold the president accountable for? the things that
See,
happened?
exactly. I told you this is the wrong way to go.
It's
I told
100%
you.
I
guys.
told you.
I'm
Is the
a
king-
biased
hold on.
guy.
is the king
I'm
not
riding the
accountable
bias.
for
I'm
what
saying that,
happens in his
I know
kingdom?
Republicans love to not give presidents have no responsibility or accountability for what happens in the country, but sure. Like,
The
Could I-
reason is because the reason is because
that
policy.
doesn't make it not a good thing.
No,
Like,
the
you
reason
can
is
still-
because
I can still
policy
say that
does-
Biden made a positive reason, but there's actually just outcomes. There's negative.
No,
externalities.
right. It's
I'm gonna
because
jump in.
policy. It's because policy decisions are like difficult. There's trade-offs, and generally, like when a president makes a
Being the
policy
president
decision,
is difficult, yeah.
yes, when any politician makes a policy decision, the idea of like, oh, this led to some unintended consequence, which led to somebody's
Depends on how
death.
predictable it
Am
is.
I going to personally hold that politician responsible? Like
Hold on,
they
hold on,
are
hold
the
on.
killer?
Stop, hold
No,
on.
no, no, no.
absolutely
This is
not.
this
That's
is
what. Stop being fucking dishonest here. Stop being dishonest.
Again,
We're
with the
talking about
dishonesty.
hey, he sees a news cycle, right, where this thing blows up, and then he says a militarized force into an area, and then that militarized force kills a person, right? There aren't that many steps here, right? There aren't any logical steps. Yeah, I send armed men, right, into an area
To
right,
enforce
and
the
they're
law.
violent, and they're yes, sure, whatever. Doesn't matter. Hold on. When you
So
send
anybody who
Well,
sends
that is a
cops
little
into an
bit-
area
when you
then.
send the- hold on. Well, yeah, when you send the police into an area, yes, that increases the chances that people are going to die. But like specifically, you send an armed man to do like
what?
police action, right?
Untrained
to do
armed
violent
men.
police action against a
Trained.
population,
On an
right?
unconfirmed video.
That incites a response from the public that was completely foreseen, and then in that process, kill these people. Absolutely, you can directly make the connections. Don't pretend, Lactoid, that you
Wait,
can't.
hold on,
I can make one.
Yeah,
No, I can. Hold
That's
on.
unreasonable.
I can make one more
I
connection.
think he even made
The
that.
only reason why Nick Shirley has so much traction on immigration is because Biden's border policy
Just
go
got
ahead,
people so
just
angry about it.
explain- You're this is the
One
wrong
step
angle.
back.
This is
So
the wrong angle.
Biden's
Right.
responsible.
Blame
Lactoid, you're
Biden.
being stupid.
Keep blaming
He's
Biden.
being
I'm
100% correct.
No, wait, hold on. I agree with his
Look,
point
you
at large,
are
but it's
blaming
this
the
terrible
Democrats
angle.
single
I
actor,
don't
and
care.
it doesn't work.
I will never have a problem blaming Biden. I don't know why
Doesn't
you
work
think that's going to be
here.
an effective.
Lactoid, they
effective
genuinely,
use of me,
they
right?
hear
Okay?
your
I
point
don't
and they
give a
hear
fuck about any
Biden
of
and they
that.
just
So once
scream.
again,
I love
excuse
Biden.
me.
I'm not
Aaron,
a
Aaron,
leftist.
Hey,
but
shut
you
up.
can do-
Shut up. Hey, shut up. Shut the fuck up. Thank you.
What?
I don't know why you think that's going to be an effective tactic against me, right? So knock that shit off. We're talking about a direct correlation here, right? A direct series of events, right? Like that's completely foreseen.
Could
If
I?
you send in no, you can't. Not when I'm talking. Shut the fuck up. Then afterwards you can't. I literally just told you to shut up. And then you go, can I? No, you
Fair.
can't. Shut up. Hold on. In case you don't understand that. Thank you. Any which way. Yeah. This is one event after another. That's what we're talking about here, right? All steps directly foreseeable. That people would die when you would send in these armed troops to take violent action. Yes.
Would it also lead people to die whenever crimes are being committed? Would that increase the likelihood? Because I'm pretty sure it would. And so, like, yeah, by sending the cops there to stop these criminals from committing more crimes, whether that's just be there existing illegally, you're going to lower the criminal behavior of the area. And if they kill one person, like Renee Good, who was clearly an evil individual who wanted to commit more crimes, then, I think that's going to lower more crime in the future. We don't have to worry about her protecting more illegal cartel members in perpetuity. I think that lowers the crime. So yeah, I think when we send militarized forces in there, we're gonna be doing all right. I think that's the secret.
That's why I
Okay,
said, oh crap, we effed up, and then they like dipped out of the entire city.
Okay, so here's my issue with this. I'm gonna grant Prime, and I think Bam is making the same argument. I'm gonna grant you guys a pretty big, I don't know what the hell to call it. Anyway, I'm gonna grant you guys some big things.
Caveats.
You're going to concede.
I'm going to concede quite a bit. Okay.
There
The
we
first
go.
thing that I'm going to say is Donald Trump responsible for Alex Preddy's death? Almost undeniably. Okay. The way that essentially he set up the DHS, the way that he set up Kristi Noem, the way that he set up how ICE functions, the way that he specifically deliberately went into blue states, mostly just to target them because they were Democrats. There are a lot of things that I would point to that I would say Donald Trump is directly responsible for Alex Preddy. However, I think when we make analysis, when we look at the way that we assign faults to things, we usually see if whether or not it is it's expected that one thing will lead to the other. And I think that if I would look at Nick Shirley's video in Minnesota, I would say this certainly would not be expected to follow that that Donald Trump would see this and go, oh shit, we got to send ICE into these neighborhoods. Now, I have no fucking love with Nick Shirley. I fucking hate that guy. He lied about me in particular. He's a fucking psycho, but I don't think he's at fault for what happened to Nick Shirley, but I do find it kind of interesting that technically it did lead to the.
Why
to
do
the
we
action.
take responsibility for our shit that we do anymore? Like Peretti was clearly a militarized radical that had already had previous
Militarized?
so
Yeah,
radical.
he
What
he
the
literally
fuck?
had
He was a
guns. He literally was attacking cops previously.
he
You
owns
have
guns.
guns.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is against
Hold on.
Yeah,
Hold
true.
Militarized
Do we have the Second
radicals
Amendment?
are gun owners now.
Yes,
Zip said it here. Militarized radicals are gun
You can be
owners in
allies.
America.
No, that's not what I'm saying. He was literally a militarized radical who was sitting here attacking cops. Like, listen, I'm going to say you have your right to your Second
He
Amendment.
attacked the
but
cop hard. I wouldn't say he attacked the cop. I think a cop hard.
If I was sitting there going to say
Attack
we're going
the
to start
cop.
being a Texas revolutionary, I'd be a militarized radical. I got guns. I'd be fighting for secession. I'd be
You
military.
are.
But I'm not out there shooting cops or going out there and trying to interfere with active, cases. If I went in there and I did one of those things, I would also be a militarized radical who deserves to be shot. Or maybe we kill them all and we get our state. One or the other. But this guy did that. You play stupid games without preparation, win stupid prizes. Like I would never go and do that because I'm not a dumbass. Like
I think there's a difference. I think there's a difference between like interfering with a police sighting and then interfering with like masked men running around playing Rambo and like
100%.
snatching up people on the street.
100%.
I think those are two different things. I think if you're a guy in this country and you see like a woman being pushed on the floor and you don't really like approach the masked man who pushed the, that speaks to who we are. Like this is we're supposed to be defending our weakest here. We're not supposed to be just like rallying up for the police state. And yes, please put masks on them. No IDs. I don't want any badges. Let's just let whoever the fuck with. By the way, I know that there's training to be an ICE officer. It's like 9 to 12 weeks. I don't want to fucking hear that there's training to be an ICE officer.
it's
Million
comparable to
percent.
other law
I
enforcement
wanna say,
agencies.
I don't know if
though.
it was Trump himself, or if it was Kristi Noem someone came out and essentially was giving them like, oh yeah, our officers have like they were creating immunity that didn't exist under the Constitution.
Yeah, fucking
They were like, they essentially have blanket immunity.
the day of Donald Trump says, "Hey, there's no guilt. Hey, he was actually in the hospital due to major crimes. We saw him fucking walking like nothing in the video." They want to give these guys immunity because they want them to feel powerful when they walk down the streets, and it's bullshit.
We still don't even know the names of the cops who shot Alex Brady. They like the government got them out of the state. We don't know who they are.
We don't know.
And we never will
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
It's gone.
That's true.
Like they did an internal investigation and they decided it was.
Well, I would bet-
known.
I
The
would bet that
Dems are
under a
okay with
different-
internal investigations. But check out how they did the fraud in Minnesota.
Is this
They
how you
internal
argue?
investigated.
You just
Yeah,
fucking.
the
It's just
argument-
any
I'm
other
just-
thing.
I'm just pointing out. I'm pointing out the
but the
inconsistency
Dems
with the
though.
argument.
But the Dems though.
No.
cares?
How you can't
Fuck
bitch
the-
about internal
fuck the
internal.
Dems,
Hold on,
though.
I bitch about internal investigations all the time.
Fuck the
But
Democrats.
you can't.
You
You
think a
can't.
state
No,
can't
no,
investigate within the
I
state the
also
entire
agree.
state?
I also agree they should have not done just an internal, should have been an external. But you can't bitch and say, oh, they did an internal one when y'all don't bitch and y'all actually hold up Minnesota as the shining example of
You
an
know,
internal
you don't.
investigation.
You think an entire
Yes, y'all
state
do.
Minnesota
Hunter's already done
created
it. Maybe you
No one
don't,
did
Brian.
that.
You
No,
argue with
others
ghosts.
do. No,
Stop
Hunter
bringing
did that.
the
Hold
ghosts
on, Hunter
here.
did
Stop
that
bringing the
multiple
people that you
times.
argue with
No,
here and argue with
Hunter
us.
did that multiple times last time we brought up the fraud.
What
I
I
don't
do?
want to hear it didn't happen. You about they did an internal investigation. Corey about they did the fraud check in Minnesota.
You brought up a fact. and
What
now
are
you're
you
I brought up
talking
two
about?
facts. Y'all both did that, so don't say I'm arguing with ghosts.
Hold on,
Whenever
hold on.
You two both did that shit, and that was people here, guys. Just
Usually-
because Brian or Bam didn't do it doesn't mean
Usually-
there's not two other people on the
usually-
left here in the room.
Usually, I get so annoyed by people like
Three,
Brian-
because
just
Ali.
listen. Just Prime and Ali for going, just fuck the Democrats, fuck the Democrats. I understand that so fucking much when I argue with every fucking person who defends Donald Trump and they just go, whoa, but what about the Democrats? I get why you just go, yeah, fuck the Democrats. Because you guys can't take accountability for your administration. You just throw it to any other thing that you could see in the room. And it is exhausting. Take credit for the administration in the room.
I just want to
Wait,
know.
what?
I just want to know. Like, do we not believe in the concept of state crimes anymore? Because a state crime is an investigation. I guess internally as broad as an entire state. Like, there's people of different political affiliations within the state. Like, I understand one organization can't do everything via internal investigation, but I believe a state can. I think that you're able to find somebody who has a different, like, unbiased investigate a specific case within a state. Like, I don't think that's
Hunter,
like fraud.
Yeah.
I truly believe that like politicians essentially are like our slaves, right? They should be our servants, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And they should be like they should be begging on their knees for votes, right? They should literally be
I'm with
crawling
you.
and begging for votes.
Mhm.
So when the elected politicians and the officials and all that don't do my bidding, I'm just gonna throw them under the bus because they can eat my dick.
I'm with
'cause
you.
They're not doing their job, which is to grovel at their knees at my feet.
I'm totally with
is,
you.
is really my point. That's it.
I think
Why would I take credit for them? Fuck the Dems.
I
Fuck them-
think-
fuck
I think-
anyone who isn't doing my bidding.
Totally.
essentially.
I think largely speaking, the Dems are doing a better job than you think they are. But I agree with this motivation in principle.
So
But they're not.
Blackman,
Ali's right.
I
They
just
never
wanna
did.
give
I
that.
know. I'm the one.
I'll
I'm
respond to
one
this,
out
but
of
then I will
7
get more
here.
sushi.
You're not. I am a Democrat.
Oh hell yeah!
Sure.
Sorry, Bam. I apologize.
Sorry. So
2 out of 7.
To Hunter and Lackwood, but we'll let Lackwood respond first, and then Hunter can respond after he likes. Hunter started off. This is a while ago. This is what I wanted to get to. Talking about like context in terms of violent crimes, right? Like, and yes, of course, right. What he was saying was correct in terms of like, hey, there are some people who are like more dangerous than others in terms of like committing violence, right? We can recognize that. We can recognize the context, right? Like it's a guy who comes home, shoots the guy fucking his wife, right? That's different from a psycho who like takes a Tommy gun. I don't know what it's called. And then like mows down a Tommy gun. Mows down a
A
crowd.
mobster
right? Like,
from the 70s. That's the crime.
yeah, so,
Okay, yeah, but
not
it's
not in the
1946.
70s. I think it's even older than that.
Probably.
50s?
Yeah,
Tommy
it's-
gun.
no, it's like the 20s. This is like yeah. Anyway, sorry. So the point is understood, right? And I understand how we treat this within our country, right? Like what Lactoid was saying previously is yes, how we look at it. We say that we generally scale violent crime to be more destructive than with financial crimes, right? But like literally, and this is what bothers me a lot, right? About like you saying otherwise, because like that was the one thing that I could grab onto when you told me, "Hey, taxes theft," years ago, right?
Yeah.
I gave you lots of pushback on that, but the one thing that I got right is how that like the property crimes right can damage individuals, right? Like can ruin their lives, right? For the and the Great Recession, right? Like for the housing crisis, crime of the fucking century, crime of the century. The amount of wealth that was stolen there, right, into private hands, that ruined lives, and then no one goes to jail. So like it it seems incongruous. I'm just going to leave it there, right? Don't use stronger language. It seems incongruous that now you're telling me, well, yeah, violent crime is more pernicious and like needs to be punished more. I can get again. I understand what you're saying. That like one person is probably less of a danger to the public. What I'm talking about, maybe this is where our disconnect is, and after this, I'll let you go. My disconnect is yes, the one might be a danger. The violent individual might be more of an immediate danger. Understood, right? But I think part of our justice system, which it seems to be the case, is like retribution. I think the amount of retribution for a guy who's destroyed thousands of lives through his financial crimes, right, through that theft, right, like that should outweigh anything. Well, many things that are many violent crimes, and so it should be punished accordingly. So I'll let you go.
Yeah, I think that's maybe that is where our disconnect is. For me personally, the retributive element of corrections is my least important. It's the least important element to me because it doesn't accomplish anything. I'm looking for results in society. I'm not looking for just like oh that feels bad. We gotta get him. It's not really it. Like I'm fully now. I am in favor of stricter penalties for pretty much most crimes, except for the crimes I don't think should be crimes. So like marijuana possession,
Yeah,
prostitution,
yeah.
stuff like that. Um, but when it comes to things that I think should be crimes, like violent assault, murder, uh, tax, or not, I guess, ideally we go after the IRS agents, but we can't do that. The people who steal from other people, right? I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, all of these people would be punished more. But I'm just saying that like when we're looking at the psychology of the criminal, right? There's a whole field in this criminology, right? The psychology of the criminal. Um, what motivates criminals? How do they behave? How do we stop them? How do we change them? How do we fix them? Um, white collar criminals are a problem, and they need to get punished. And they need to get punished more than they do. When I brought up the 1 year thing, I think that's ridiculous. 1 year, you get should get way more than 1 year. White collar criminals generally should get more time than they do. But I'm just saying that when you compare this to violent crime, like to me, violent crime is also underpunished. I think violent crime is horrific. I think that it indicates a complete sickness of the mind. Some of these crimes that people do, the idea that you can, shoot somebody and then potentially, shoot somebody in the face as an adult and then, potentially be able to walk around free one day. It's crazy. That's crazy. So I know. I think.
I mean, I agree. I agree on that. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not trying, like when I'm saying that violent crime is worse, I'm not trying to minimize how bad white collar crime is. I think it is really bad. I just think that I think there's a like my problem, and I've talked about this before. We can help most of the crimes committed by I think what there was like I think it was like 40 some percent, maybe like a little bit less than 40% of crimes committed by people with like 14 convictions or more or prior.
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
think
yeah.
of the
I know what
exact
you're
graph.
talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah. But
yeah, they're
generally,
extremely a lot of repeat offenders. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's like a key there's like a cohort of repeat offenders that are dramatically disproportionately involved in crime, usually psychopathic, some kind of problem,
Mm-hmm.
and we just shouldn't have this problem. They should be in a cage. That's how we solve
Agreed.
the problem.
I won't push back
Did
against
y'all
you, but yeah,
speak?
I think our big disconnect is retribution, honestly, and maybe Hunter,
Could be.
maybe you
Did-
feel the same as Black Toy.
I'll throw in some clarification. I think one of the big things that I'm looking for when it comes to prison, I'm largely concerned with how many people we have in prison. I think that it's insane in America how many incarcerated people we have. I'm very much interested in rehabilitation and bringing people back into society. I think that largely speaking, sure, these psychopaths for sure maybe should be in jail, but I also think I don't know. I just want to focus on rehabilitation, and I do think that if you have a mentality where you can shoot someone in the face with a gun, it is very, 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 very much harder to get you back into society than someone who's scammed millions of people. And I just want to say, wait, hold on, real quick. I want to acknowledge the damage that they've done. I want to be able to they should be able to do some restitution and probably be taxed the fuck out of for the rest of their life. They probably should not be able to work anything basically ever, and they get taxed the fuck out of to just repay the families that got done. I don't know. I'm thinking about ways to do this, and I also think that they should be jailed for 20 years. I don't know.
So you're not in favor of that
consi-
judge that went viral
I'm a
this
little
week
bit-
for giving that guy 96 consecutive life sentences, and yet it's going to take him 200
What'd
years
he
to be
do?
viral for. I don't know. The viral video, they
It
haven't released
depends.
cases, but it's allegedly for serious crimes.
Sometimes you got to do that. I
Yeah.
have to acknowledge that.
What-
sometimes you
Well,
gotta-
the judge said he didn't have to do that, but fuck it. That's his exact.
I don't know.
quote.
I'm curious what makes, and this is something I've always thought about. What makes the United States unique? Like we already lock up more people for longer periods of time than anywhere else on earth. And when like we come to the conclusion we're not locking
Bro, North Korea's
enough
got
people
people's
up
kids in there from
for-
sins their father committed. You think we lock them in there longer than
Oh, I'm
North
sorry.
Korea?
I'm sorry, North Korea. maybe North Korea.
They got-
That's our beacon of
I don't-
of excellence.
I don't
We
think
got
that
one. We got one ahead of us at least.
I think one.
That
they
means you're in
probably
second
don't,
place. You want to be
because
first in
they're just
everything.
We gotta
murdered.
fix that. We gotta fix that.
One, they're murdered
I
if
knew
they
it.
speak out, and two, they don't speak out because they're indoctrinated not to. Like, I do think it's we probably beat North Korea in terms of incarceration rates. I think we're number
But-
one.
Yeah, but
I-
they keep
I'm
their
just saying
families and the kids.
But
there.
I'm just speaking.
That's
to the
my
idea of,
understanding,
like,
too.
It's the idea of like violence, etc. Whatever you want to look at across the board, the United States is worse at it. And but we lock up the most people, but we still believe that this must be the right way. Like we're just not locking them up hard enough. Like we just lock them up a little harder. Eventually, we'll catch up to every other country on earth. That does something different. And I'm like, I don't
lock
know.
up
Like
more
it's-
people at higher rates than these other countries,
statistically-
will be as good as those other countries somehow.
So,
because some people
speaking,
say
locking people up works.
so I
It
have the
just does.
stats. I have the stats, by the way, if anyone's interested.
Okay.
We are fifth in terms of rate. We're number one in terms of number. So I don't know
Total
exactly how-
population and prison population.
What's our
Correct.
recidivism rate of people going
Who are the
back?
top four?
I don't know. I'm not looking at that, but I will
No,
say
no, I'm
that
asking Lactoid because he's saying locking people up works.
if anyone's curious about
Well,
224th,
I'll explain that. in a
it's
second.
North Korea because they have a question mark next to it. We have no
Nice.
clue what the hell's going on in there.
I guess they don't arrest anybody.
I
See,
guess
we
so.
We don't have a source, so we can't say either way. We can't
Well,
use
if they-
intuition. That would be
if-
bad in online
Wait a minute,
debating.
if
We
there-
can't do
if
that.
there wa- if there
Also,
wasn't a
number
debate
one,
extra
panel,
sources
if
all the
North Korea
time.
wasn't a
Let's go.
debate panel, then we couldn't prove it. Okay. We
Number
couldn't prove
one
it.
in terms of rate, I think most people could probably guess this. It's El Salvador, and that's probably recent numbers.
That's really
El Salvador is way. Oh, in terms of. Oh, right, arrest. Yeah, for
Yeah.
prison, for sure, for sure.
And so
And what happened to crime in their country?
I think we talked about this before that it certainly you probably need to incarcerate more based off of violent rates, and it's not just like a strictly linear case in which you
Yeah.
incarcerate more people and then violent rates go down. It's
Well,
probably
Lactoid just
more
thinks like if you put
parabolic.
No,
the
it-
people
no,
in
it- no,
jail,
that is
they're
what
not
I- no.
outside doing
But I'm
That,
just
that is
talking
what
about,
that,
like,
that,
why-
is, that is what happens. You incarcerate
I'm
people
saying,
and the rates go
other
down.
countries,
Yeah, but you have to
other countries' people
incarcerate them
just better than
indefinitely
us.
because what's the recidivism rate of people that you let out, right?
So
That's the
no,
issue,
but no,
is that-
you actually
oh,
don't.
well,
So
don't
there's
what?
there, you don't have to keep them indefinitely. So the big
18-year-olds
recidivism is a-
aggressive.
yeah,
If you lock them
rehabilitation's
up till they're 30, they'll be
the
free.
big
rehabilitation-
factor that affects
yeah.
recidivism. Is that what you're saying?
rehabilitation is like one of the factors that we've been talking about, but another factor is incapacitation, and the incapacitation is actually extraordinarily effective at removing crime. Simply putting the person who does the crime away.
Away.
from all the rest of us. Yeah, and it is also true, as somebody just mentioned, that people do tend to age out of crime. in terms of
Mhm.
is there still going to be crime? For sure, but people tend to commit crime really mostly between the ages of like 18 and 26.
There's a huge survivorship bias here. I just want to say there's a survivorship bias with these stats. They're not necessarily aging out of crimes. It is possible they're just dying more frequently at these ages.
It's possible, but if we're looking at the actual age range at 26, I'm not convinced that the mortality rate is so high amongst this group of people
Maybe.
at 26 that it would explain why there's such a massive.
It could be a factor, though.
I mean, there's a
I think a big reason
people get out, get families, or just
yeah,
do
they get out, they get
Yeah,
families.
lots of reasons.
Their frontal lobes develop a little bit more. I mean, that's a big thing, right? Really, that really starts kind of like really
You just get too
finalizing in your
old
early
in the game.
30s.
I'm not doubting
But
that this
most
doesn't
of it's
have
done.
just a factor.
Why don't we just heavily
Also,
heavily
testosterone
monitor?
drops. That's another thing.
How about everyone who's 18 to 26 in America? You have to wear a body cam for those ages. That'll reduce crime to 0. I think if everyone has to wear a body cam between the age of 18 to 20,
Yeah, this was
18 to
look.
26,
This was the
we'll
plot
age
of
it out.
this was the plot of this has been this similar to this. There's been several plot lines of several movies that have theorized about this.
You're talking
Well,
about
what
the
if-
because
libertarian. I think
that's
is gonna
where
be
your
a-
thinking leads.
what if we
You're
just
thinking
treated
eventually
people-
like you're thinking
What if
of
we
like,
lock
well,
up
yeah, if we
everybody?
remove the criminals, if we put everyone in jail from
Here's
Yeah,
a
you're right.
criminal
If you commit a crime at
island, and then they
18
come back when they're 26.
No,
yeah.
if you commit a crime at 18, you go to jail until you're 28. That's it. You just go to 10 year minimum, everyone, and then
No,
yeah,
that's not what
there
I'm
are going
saying.
to be
That's not
no
what I'm saying.
criminals.
That's not
But
what I'm saying.
like, what are you saying?
That's not what I'm saying.
No, I'm just
What
saying,
I'm-
like,
what I'm-
why
what I'm
doesn't-
saying-
why doesn't
what I'm
the UK
saying-
have this much crime?
What I'm saying
Why
is
are-
that people, like, even if you put somebody in prison for like 4 or 5 years during this time period, that's 4 or 5 years of their peak crime committing time, not committing crimes out in society. I'm saying that this is like an explanation of why incapacitation works, and specifically in response to your point, no, you don't have to have it go on forever. You can get rid of most of the crime if we just think about, well, for some of these crimes, like, I'm talking about like minor violent crimes, yeah, maybe it makes sense for a few years, if you had a 19-year-old that like beats the shit out of somebody, yeah, maybe 4 or 5 years would do this person good. But honestly, when it comes to people like
think it makes
murdering
people worse.
or like
What's
raping,
the good?
like
what's the
violent
good,
rapists or
yeah.
something, I actually agree that we probably should never let this
Sure,
person
sure,
out.
but on the
risk here is too
minor
high.
crimes, because on the minor crimes is where it's going to affect people more, and we're going to realize that like putting people in jail for 4 to 5 years actually doesn't make it better, right? Because after 4 or 5 years of being in jail from 19 to 24, you're probably going to come out a little bit hardened. You're not going to come out necessarily like ready to just join society. Also, society isn't ready for you to join. They're not going to allow you to. You have a criminal record. You've been
Yeah, you can't get a job.
incarcerated, so getting a job is so like probably so you were releasing them in peak male years to like do their crime. So then actually the thinking would be like, well, no, if you commit the small crime when you're 19, we should keep you for 10 years because then you're actually aged out. Because once again, what's the recidivism rate of like
Yeah,
people getting
look,
out of jail and going back
yeah.
to jail? And
all
then-
of life,
you
all
know.
of society is a balance between like the severity of the punishment and the benefits of society. So if you're a super hardcore, like I want to minimize crime as much as possible, you
Yeah.
probably could justify like just like you commit a crime anywhere between 18.
You don't
and
tackle the
25.
reasons that crime is committed, right? You just tackle the crime and react to it.
I will also say that developing a low trust society is probably bad for crime as well. If you encourage this sort
true.
of like police state attitude, people will become more paranoid, which will lead to more crime. Or
Yeah,
other
that's
other
kind of what I'm
problems.
saying.
I don't know if that's true. El Salvador has a
maybe
fucking police
addressing
state right
why
now.
Conversation wasn't
crimes
about us
happen,
solving
we
something.
react to the
And North
crime.
Korea has a
Like-
question mark.
No, I'm
Can't-
They're a
I-
police
I
society.
didn't I brought
I
this
would
up when
probably
people are,
say-
like doing all the wrong things. Like the conversation isn't about trying to figure this out, like solving it, like because I don't know, it's like
You're
an
gonna
American
solve crime.
arrogance. I'm just talking about the America does something, and other countries don't have this problem, and it's not even like a racial thing because it's like, oh, it's just black people here. Africa doesn't have these levels of violent crime as the United States. Well, depending on the country and the city. So it's like, what makes the United States, who locks up more people, why are we bad at crime?
Are we
I mean, just to
violent?
keep in mind, though, I mean, a lot of African crime.
Hold on, I know you're not sitting here trying to use Africa as an example. Whenever like, yeah, the Rwanda didn't have
Enforcement in
their own.
Africa is pretty low.
I said
All-
Rwanda,
all
hold on,
of
Rwanda didn't have very
Africa.
much violent crime. They just had a genocide. That's not that much violent crime.
How big is Rwanda in
count.
comparison to
Yeah,
Africa?
Well, it's one a major country. It's also probably the most strong.
That's like saying a
military
state
country.
has a problem.
Okay, cool.
It's kind
So
of
let's
like the
okay.
issue.
Why don't you pick Nigeria then when they're fighting Boko Haram and 6 other countries were fighting Boko Haram?
I mean,
They
I
didn't
don't
have that
know.
much
Is
violence.
America
They didn't have that much
Minnesota?
violence.
Is
They didn't have
America
that
fighting
much-
other countries?
hold on,
war
they
in
didn't have
America,
much-
New
hold
York.
on, hold on. They didn't have very much violent crime, but 6 countries were fighting a terrorist organization that was whooping their ass. And you get to use this argument like it's like a state, but that's a dumbass. Why would I? Okay, Russia.
not a
Russia
dumbass, it's
hold
actually
on,
kind of
Russia has a
pretty
smaller
comparable.
population, but they're bigger than us. I think what is it?
In
Canada.
land.
They have a bigger land than we do. Population.
Yeah, they have
China,
more
like,
land.
yeah, but like this is dumb. Like what you're arguing. Oh, like if you're gonna just pick any state, then we can't argue any country smaller than the U.S.
If you're gonna pick
like, as
6
equal out.
countries out of I don't know how many countries are in Africa, but out of
Well,
an entire
how many
continent,
countries
the
in
entire continent operates in this way.
Okay, I already
there's a
named
problem
7
there.
different. There's 7 different ones
Like,
involved in
there's just
2
like a
different
small
conflicts.
issue.
How about we pick the Great African War then, which involved like 14 countries? Not
Wait,
even
can,
wars.
can I? Wait, hold on. Wait,
They
wait,
don't
wait,
have
wait,
the
wait,
violent
wait,
crime
wait,
because they're
hold on.
committing war. Like that's
Hold on, I just
why.
wanna point out-
The
I just
militias
wanna
and
point
leaders
out-
causing rebellions and shit.
I
That's
just
the difference.
wanna-
It's like you can't use Africa as an example. Oh, we don't have
I just want to
crime.
point
That's
out.
dumb as fuck.
I just want to point out. The biggest country in Africa, Nigeria, has a significantly higher intentional homicide rate than America does. So does South Africa.
Wait, higher. Say that one more time.
Wait, higher what intentional harm- what does that
Intentional
mean?
crime rate, you said?
Yeah, that's what
Intentional
I'm looking at.
homicide.
Intentional homicide rate.
Wait,
so
sorry.
the
US
highest
has
is the
highest?
Turks. No. In terms of intentional homicide, here's the list. So the highest is the Turks and Caicos Islands.
sense.
I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. Then
Okay,
St.
Caicos.
Kitts, then St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, then the Virgin Islands, then Jamaica, Ecuador, South Africa, Haiti, Trinidad, St. Lucia, Lesotho, Bahamas, Honduras, Anguilla, Belize, Dominica, St. Martin, Colombia,
These
Mexico,
are Central
Guatemala,
American countries.
Brazil. It's a while, by the way, before I get to America. Guyana, Costa
Just give
Rica,
us the number.
Curacao, Nigeria, Eritrea. Basically, you got to get all the way down to 65 before you get to America.
That is higher than average.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more people
I-
die from not having an air conditioner in Europe than they die from gun violence in the U.S. So, like, I mean, like, really, like,
We are higher than. Hold on, I just want to point out though.
Yeah,
we,
this
we
is
are we are
true.
higher than
Fuck
than
you for
Rwanda,
knowing
though.
that stat, Gibbs.
I just want to point that out.
That's funny.
Like,
That's pretty
like, what are we talking about, really?
I hate to be the math
good
nerd
stat to
here,
have in your
but
back
there
pocket.
Like I
is.
said, I'm like I said, I don't even. I'll have to look up what that definition means. But also outside of that, like compared to like every other first world country, again, but like you think that like, oh, we're doing it the best way possible. No, like what we're doing works the best.
I
It's
really.
locking up everybody.
I'm going to be the math nerd here and say that largely speaking, whenever we're looking at rate, small population countries are going to be weighted towards the top or the bottom, and high population countries are going to be weighted towards the middle. I can explain why if you want. This is largely because if one person murders someone in a small, tiny ass country, that's going to drastically change where specifically they're located. So if you look at any intentional, like any sort of rating system, small countries are largely going to be moved towards the top or the bottom.
Also, I want to say something to the chat.
It's
by
part
way.
of the
chat-
conversation. There's not a perfect way to do any of this.
XNF. You said something here, and I just want to point out fact checking, not hard. Listen, the Sackler family, the opioid epidemic was 450,000 to 480, right? Boko Haram alone, just in the areas, 300,000 child deaths. That's 2.8 million people displaced. That's not even counting adult deaths. We don't even know how many there.
It'll kick
So
in
guess
any
what?
moment.
You're just
Clock
wrong again,
it.
bitch. Wrong again. Liberals don't know facts.
Gibbs is always right. Talk about
wrong
he's
again.
Actually, I'm about to say,
Name
Hunter,
one time that
wrong
Donald Trump has
again.
been wrong. Name one time that Gibbs has been wrong.
I think Hunter.
He's
It was,
never been.
It was. I heard.
Gibbs
I
wrong?
Never
heard
happened
a-
this
a
century.
joke
He's never
by
been.
a
It's because I'm a
comedian.
prophet, bro. The
That's
glory
true.
speaks
I
through
got you,
me.
Gibbs. You were super crazy, crazy good, right? Hunter, I
Yeah,
heard
what's
a
up?
comedian talking about a joke that was that spoke to what you were talking about. It was like saying like, how many people did it take for us to get our first murder? And it was like 4, if you believe in the Bible. It was like Adam and Eve, and then Cain and Abel. And it's like 25% of he killed off 25% of the population. It's like
Right.
we said we got the.
He's gonna be
4, and
highest
We started killing motherfuckers.
very quickly, but then if Kane didn't, then he would be 0. It would be at the bottom with 0%.
That's what hold on. That's what I was going to point out. Like the point you made, Hunter, is true. If we're talking about very small sample sizes, like there can be a sample error sometimes. But I mean, we're talking about relatively large countries like Nigeria. Is
Didn't you
massive,
say Lesotho there?
Yeah, Lesotho, I still think has like a lot of people.
Isn't
So it's small geographically, but like in
Oh,
terms
maybe.
of
No,
number
no,
of
no,
people.
He's talking about population-wise.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Lesotho.
No,
has
no, no.
more
But
than a million.
I might just be saying
Hold on.
Lesotho because it's so tiny on the map. I don't know what their population is.
Let me see what their population is.
I could.
thought
It
was
could be
higher.
the bias of me looking at the map.
Yeah,
and
their
going, "Look how
population
small
is
that is."
2.4 million people.
Okay.
That's
It's-
pretty small though. That's,
That's
a
a
small,
small
country. That's a small
population.
country.
That is
What's-
definitely big enough though to get like for statistics.
How many people?
Michigan has a
It's a- no, it's
population
a
of
small
7 million people.
Oh, so Boko Haram basically
Yeah,
killed
and we
more
can measure
people and
crime in
displaced more
Michigan.
people than all of the country. You know, I got it. Let's see. And like I
Okay.
said,
Yeah.
I think it's
I'm about to say, I feel
it's
like
a
we're not gonna do the topics, we're
worthwhile
gonna start soon.
Just
keeping that in mind.
it's a worthwhile lens to view whenever you look at stats via country, that it's going to be biased in that way. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. That's what
I probably shouldn't
So-
even brought in small. I should have brought it to like G1 first world type countries.
So I want to say one more thing about this, but people can respond afterwards. If not, we can just move on. But back to the violent crime versus a white collar crime type thing. So one, I have no problem saying that I favor retributive justice. Not that like I do so exclusively, right? I want people to be rehabilitated, and I want them to be integrated into society afterwards. I would like to put in a lot of like programs in place to help them and to lower discrimination against them. But that's when they get out. I think beyond like the retribution, or maybe complementing that, I guess, right? It's simply a sense of justice. Like that's part of like the justice system, like the court system, is to provide the population with a sense of justice. It's extremely important, right? To make them believe that like the country can handle disputes, like even like disputes between parties, and punish criminals, right? It has an extremely important part of society, because if society doesn't believe that's the case, right? Well, then you radicalize people that way, and they find out ways to do it themselves, right? So the court systems are incredibly important for that. And so, right, as part of this, like looking at how these people who've done like extraordinary damage. Sure. So I've been talking about financial crimes this entire time, but also we could talk about like environmental crimes, right? Like our company, the board like votes to poison a neighborhood, right? Poison the environment by because to save a little bit of money. Well, let's just like allow this chemical runoff to go into a stream or something, right? And cancer rates skyrocket or some shit like that, right? Like that's all part of it. But in when we see these things happen, these people either don't go to jail at all, right? Or they send someone low level to go to jail. Only like one person went to jail for the 2008 financial crisis, if I remember correctly. Or like if anyone does go to jail, then they go for a very small amount of time. Part of it has to be a sense of justice, right? Because like I mean, we saw that with the 2008 financial crisis. That was a radicalizing moment, okay, right? So conservatives will know that, right? Because after this, there was like the Occupy movement, right? That was a direct response to the Great Recession, right? That was a radicalizing moment, and we still see like the echoes of that today from those decisions. So I'm saying, like, especially to my friends who don't like radicals, right? I'm fine with radicals.
Is that me?
Who don't like radicals? Yeah, like who institutionalists, right? Who don't like populism, right? If you don't like that, well, then having people feel that justice is being served for those who do immense damage, right, for financial crimes or other like white collar type of crimes, right? That's the path. So yes, yeah, the executive you might be able to safely release them into a community afterwards, right? But he shouldn't be there. No, he's done too much destruction. Actually, he should be in jail for the rest of his life as a warning to the others. Yes, and to soothe the community. Sorry.
I guess I was called out. I don't disagree with really
Did I
anything you
call you
said.
out? I don't think I called you out.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, but
No,
but
well,
you can still respond.
no, that's fair. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to act
It was kind of
defensively.
directed to both of us, you said. So
Yeah, but maybe it wasn't a call out. Maybe it was just like in
it's fine.
response.
Yeah.
I agree with your outcomes. I don't know if I agree with your mentality though. But I do think that we should have locked more people up after the recession, after the financial destitution that happened. The fact that no one got jailed was insane, and I think that we should see more crime rates. I don't think that it's necessarily because of this, like, we just need to feel like something is being done. I don't know if that's a helpful belief, but I do think, I don't know, maybe it's helpful to some degree, actually. Maybe
Well, in the
that's-
face of
maybe
feeling
that is
like
true.
nothing is being done.
Yeah, I hear
right?
that. I hear that. I definitely think that that is maybe should be part of the conversation. I think maybe I'm overemphasizing something like rehabilitation because it's often underemphasized. But I do think that it's true that, like, feeling like there is a sense of justice in the world probably does matter to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, you can see this in a more direct manner in terms of like if you like the community knows or thinks it knows that like some guy who murdered kids, right, like got off scot-free, right? There's a heightened chance that someone in that community or a group of people in that community will take action, right, if they feel like the law can't do so. Not saying that's necessarily correct, but I'm saying like that's what happens when communities feel justice isn't happening. Now,
I agree.
in terms of in terms of white collar crime, it's more diffuse and it's harder to like gather people to do that, but it does explode. Occupy Wall Street was exactly that. It wasn't violent, but like it radicalized people. And I'm saying if you don't like radicals, like put these people in fucking jail.
Wait, hold on. I want to say I don't think I hate radicals nearly as much as you think I do. I think I'm very aware that people are so populist because the system has largely failed them. I think I usually take a place after the fact to say I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I do want to say before the fact this system has absolutely fucked a number of people. A lot of people lost their homes, lost their jobs, and ultimately probably died due to what happened in 2008. And I find that horrific. I mean,
Well,
unemployment.
you know why you don't want to throw it out with the
increases
bathwater? It's because you're a handmaid.
Because I'm a fucking exactly.
Yeah.
Can I?
Your
I wanna
hands
I'm
offer-
wash
one of
of
those-
fascism.
Exactly.
Wash the hands of fascists.
That's why I like Gibbs so much, and I never argue with
True.
him.
Well,
So I
I'm
think
not a fascist, but sure.
I think that people just a very quick caveat. I would agree with you that I think populism is increasing because people feel as though the system has failed them. I just think a lot of that is not true. I don't think the system has failed a lot of the people who think it has, and that's kind of backed by a lot of the graphs we went over last time we were here.
It's about housing.
But
We just talked
And
about
where do you think that feeling is coming from?
housing, median income. I think that media
He's talking
makes
about the median
money
income.
by making people feel as though something bad is happening.
No.
People tend to be more attracted and more interested in negative media than positive media. It's not, nobody gives a fuck in comparative wise if like a news story runs about how, yeah, actually the numbers show that you are wealthier and you are better off. Everyone's going to say, they're
Because
going to
their
either not
experience
care.
doesn't show that.
Yeah, they're either going to not care, or the ones that don't fall into that category, they're going to say, well, that's bullshit. And then when the media comes out with something saying, well, no, actually this is terrible, oh, of course, then they're going to agree with that, right? Because personal bias. It's very similar. It reminds me very much of, I think there was a Republican lawmaker who walked into Congress one time, and they were having a hearing on climate change. And he said, hey, speaker, and he threw him a snowball, and he said,
Yeah.
here's your climate change. How could there be climate change if it's snow outside? I think this is the mentality that poor people approach society with, actually.
Well, no, I think
anyway.
that there's,
You think poor
I
people
think that
approach?
there's I think that people hold a responsibility. Like I think people hold.
Was
people
that
to the
snowball
things that
thrower
they
poor?
say, to the things they say. Whenever
Definitely
And
not.
defeated
Trump
them.
runs on an idea, he's going to show up on day one.
Your theory doesn't hold.
He tells day after day that he's going to bring prices down, that everything is going to get cheaper, and then we're going back to 2020 prices or whatever. And then he gets in, and what actually happens is in economics is like prices don't actually go down after they come up. You can slow the rate of increase. You can slow and decrease inflation. We're not going to run into deflation unless you have like an economic downturn. So you can try to blame poor people, but the politicians literally set the tone.
They play to
for
poor
the
people.
disappointment.
Yeah. And I understand
lied to
politicians absolutely play to poor people because their
They
vote
lied
is
to
really the
them.
But
only
there's,
asset that they
I
have.
will say there's a you guys are kind of both right in this sense, because I would largely say that politicians who are speaking truth, like, hey, prices aren't going to come down. If we want prices to come down, if we want deflation, that would be bad for the economy. We could do that. We don't want to do that. If a politician goes up and says that, they're not going to get voted for. They're not going to go into Congress.
Well,
There
no,
is like
you just have to talk
there's
about it from a position of growth. Like
This is
you-
why
you just
poll
talk about it from a
exams
position of,
will help everything.
We need to work on raising wages, which is actually kind of. I'm not even a Bernie guy, but that's what Bernie ran on. Bernie didn't run on like, oh, we're going to make everything cheaper. He says that like we're going to try to get wages up, which is how you have to
I agree. There's probably
more-
I'm just saying there's probably this there's a natural inclination.
There's sloganism. There's an issue
Yeah.
of sloganing. You can't tell all the niche and nuance. I understand that,
And
but like the broad idea that you sell has to be at least somewhat in the right direction.
I fully agree that Donald Trump lied much more because he talked about prices going down than like someone like I don't know, Bernie Sanders, who was a lot more realistic, where he was like, "Hey, I want Medicare for all, but this will have taxes go up." Like, I think he was pretty
Donald Trump
honest
is a
about
known
that.
liar. That's true. Lactoid, go ahead. You want to say something? Let's
So
give him space.
that was the first point I wanted to make. The second point I wanted to make is that Prime, I empathize. I understand what you're saying, and for the very reason that you gave of like the sense of like community stability. The reason why I said retributive justice for me is the lowest rung of the interest of justice that I have. It's not irrelevant, right? It does. I still factor it in because you're absolutely right. If the community in general is like, well, this is complete bullshit, I'm just going to ignore this. That's not conducive to like a functioning society either. So I do think that you have to factor in like the sense of justice associated when it comes to this kind of thing. For me, it's just less important though than the sort of math behind, well, how safe is it really to let this person out compared to keep them locked up?
What's funny is you're still using that calculus, though, right? You're like, well, if I consider,
I'm still using the
Yeah.
calculus, yeah, exactly. But the calculus is I'm more calculating for like how the society will react as opposed to me, the ultimate calculating man, would react, of course.
right?
Well,
Okay.
and by the way, and another thing. This is actually politicians playing to the lowest common denominator. I think is a problem that would be alleviated with poll exams, right? If we limited the voting base to like a higher
Owning white men.
intellectual quality of person, then I think you're going to have politicians no longer have to waste their time by courting
Do
lower
you feel like?
politically quality
Do you
group
feel
of
like
people.
maybe? And like, I hate using the historical example because I'm sure that you're just going to say, well, I'm not going to do it that way.
Yeah, we'll just do it better. We'll do it better. I know exactly what we're going to say. We're going to do it better.
Yeah, we
Right.
all
We're gonna
know
get it
exactly
right.
what to say.
Right.
We're going to get it right this time.
I totally hear
Right
you.
this time.
But like, are you ever worried at
test.
all that like you could just change
We
it
threw the-
state to state or like?
we threw the baby out with the bathwater with that one.
Yeah.
Polling exams have never been actually declared unconstitutional. Racially discriminatory polling exams have,
Mhm.
which I think is very fair. My idea of a polling exam would be it would need to be some kind of uniform system in which everybody gets the same test within the polity,
Give me some of the
whether it be
questions.
federal or state, and everybody needs to demonstrate a sufficient level of political knowledge in order for their vote to count. And then we can further modify how much their vote counts by their IQ, which is we already have tests for that, so that's not going to be.
So
a problem.
taxation without
Yeah.
representation. That sounds good. That sounds like a good
Well,
I
time.
like,
don't think there would ever be
Poor
another.
Well, there
people
wouldn't be
don't pay
taxation
taxes.
at
What are you
all.
talking? Yeah,
like,
Jesus.
What do you mean
you
they don't
have
pay
it-
taxes?
like,
Wait,
you-
wait,
you
wait,
have
wait.
it-
Poor people pay taxes.
Largely,
they get-
largely
on
speaking,
average,
they're
they
more
get money back.
recipients.
Oh,
of
yeah,
welfare
like,
like,
would
would
you-
you
recipients
like?
than
Wait,
that.
like,
I
I
don't want to be
want
that
you to
guy,
be honest
but when
today,
you're purchasing
because I
things, there's a tax on what you're purchasing. They are paying taxes.
But they're
Yeah,
also
and they-
getting that
yeah.
back in Medicare.
Listen,
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
like-
they're,
like,
they're,
I
they're, they're getting
believe
that
you-
back in services, and more on top of that, their tax refund is going to be large enough to outweigh that.
Hold on, I'm
Wait, like,
for
wait,
this
wait a minute,
system,
just
but
let me
that
ask you
is
real
the
quick
way the
before you jump
system
on this.
exists.
Go
Like,
ahead,
I
Jim.
know that you would stick to like I know that you say this principally, but I want to see if you would honestly say
Go
which
ahead.
party do you think would be more negatively impacted by that today?
I think the Democrats would, and here's the thing. I know you disagree. I know.
I mean,
and-
no, I'm
and-
just talking about like
and-
college education, like
No, no, no.
level-
My response is, look, if you guys think that'll politically benefit you, let's just do it.
I
Well,
don't.
Let's do
I
it.
think-
Let's team up. Let's team up on this
Let's
because
just-
hey,
No,
I know
like,
I'm right.
No,
Let's
I wanna
just-
ask, why do you
hold-
actually think it would hurt Democrats? Like based on what?
Have you seen
'Cause
Democrats?
we-
The first-
I've seen.
appeal all
based
The
on-
first
I-
question
I-
on the
look,
poll tax is
I
what
dive-
party affiliation is largely associated with a higher
No,
intelligence?
I think that we should. You
And
you said
you would
like
fail,
land-
I
don't get
dived
to
What
into
if we-
this.
Would you be
I've
okay,
given-
Dan, if we just
I've
did like
dove-
landowning men, like of any race?
Knowing white men.
No, only
No,
landowning
no,
men, landowners in general.
He
Man,
votes for
women.
his
That's
house.
Look, as
so
a
stupid.
landowner, I wouldn't
Any-
be opposed.
any-
like,
any-
you
personally.
would be
Gender-
But-
opposed?
Like
No, hold
landowner.
on a personal level, but politically, I
Would you
think
be
that doing
okay-
it based on
would you be okay
intelligence
with
is
it,
better.
Dan? Would you like that? Like any landowner, any gender, would that be okay with you?
That's so
Any
stupid.
gender.
landowner?
That's the
Like
dumbest
yeah,
thing
landowner.
I've
Yeah,
ever
like
heard.
Oh,
if you're a
okay.
penguin, if you're a
Landowning.
penguin and you own land, like would that be okay?
How
Like,
would you
if
own land
do-
as a penguin? Walk me through that.
Well, you identify
There's
as
a
your
whole
gender as a
island of
penguin.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because we just redefined the word to mean that. So
Yeah, and I mean, and if you're okay with that, can we also change it to like directly how how many acres you get, it gives you more votes. So if you have like 2 acres, you get 2 votes. Like 100,000 acres,
Ah.
you get 100.
So
I think you have an interest in
BlackRock,
this.
BlackRock
I
can
don't have any
control the
interest.
government.
No, they're not. Well, they are
Israel,
corporations, so they
really,
are people.
we really do live in a Zog when we think about it, don't we?
Wait, so
Yeah.
Lactoid, you would
Yeah.
administer an IQ test to like every eligible voter.
Yeah.
A full IQ test
Yeah.
that is paid for by the government.
Do you ever
Yeah.
worry
I
that
think
like
that's
And
worth
do, wait,
it's
do you know
possible?
If you have the IQ test,
you know
still
how
need
long
voter
it takes
ID?
to like do an IQ
Or
test
is the
for a full
IQ
like
test
assessment,
like
Well,
Right.
you would pair it with like of course we'd have voter ID, and whenever you went to go get your driver's license or voter ID, which if you choose not to do it, then you just don't get to vote. Sorry, but if you choose to go get one of the two, then part of that process is a IQ test. And IQ generally like could change very slightly over time, but it generally doesn't. So I mean, we wouldn't need to test you every time you voted.
What?
We'd really only need to test you.
Sorry,
like,
wait,
once or
IQ
twice.
is constantly
you know this is like a
normalized over time.
multi-hour like test.
No, I think per person.
Wait, but what if I wanted to up my score? Because you said like the higher
Oh.
you get, the
You can't. I mean, you can't. I mean, you can't really affect your
I can't
IQ all that
retest?
much through
If
stuff.
you could study for it and
Let me
get like
game it.
I think 5 to 10 points higher.
Nah.
I think that's
if,
usually
if we're talking about verbal IQ potentially, but I'm not even including that. I would just have like a spatial IQ test.
I think
specifically.
that's
I
what
feel
I
like I
looked
could
into
game
in,
it.
Oh,
in
so
large
you're not doing
research.
then a full IQ
37
test then.
votes.
A full IQ
Well,
test.
the,
is
the
like
problem with
an
the
hour.
problem with
rather than
verbal,
land
the
on,
problem
like,
with verbal is verbal actually does have a knowledge base. Unlike spatial, verbal does actually have a knowledge base, which and specifically language base, which I can see the argument there about like how that could just inherently disfavor certain communities.
Okay, here's the real question.
Much
What's the
more than
cutoff?
spatial.
What's the cutoff? Are we going 80? Are we going 90? We going
It
100?
doesn't matter. He's
No,
not
no,
doing
no,
an
you-
IQ test. Like, at
No,
the
no,
end of
I
the day.
am.
No,
I'm
if
doing
you're
I'm
leaning on
doing an
some
IQ test
assessment.
as Mensa.
Whatever.
As Mensa takes an
Mensa's-
IQ test. They
Mensa's
only
not-
factor in spatial.
That's
Who-
a made up. Mensa's not any sort of like official.
Fine.
Like
We
body.
could no. We will make them the official. They'll be the official people. They're gonna run it. That's what we're gonna do.
So says Lactoid
Um,
TV.
Boom. So says Lactoid TV. And then to answer the question of where's the cutoff,
Yeah.
you missed what I said. So the IQ would be a modifier. So how it would work is you would go in to get your base, like your driver's license, right? And there's like this hidden database that has your like IQ. Actually, I'm not even sure you need to hide the IQ part.
Just
but-
how
but
dumb you
then-
got to be. Just answer how dumb you got to be.
if you're 50, okay, if you are
Before Scott
70,
vote.
if you're 70 IQ, but for some reason you're able to pass the step 1 of the voter test, like the political, the civics knowledge portion of it, then you can vote, but your vote's only going to count 0.7.
But does that if you're 80, does it count 0.8?
Yeah, I
0.8.
think my landowning idea is about equivalent. to
And
that.
then, and then let's say
130
you
is
have 150.
1.3.
Yeah, if you have 150 IQ, then your vote counts 1.5 times. And so it's like weighted. It's weighted towards the higher.
So the average
And-
person has 1.
Yeah, the average person has 1 vote. Yeah, exactly. The average person has 1 vote, roughly. But remember, in order to vote, you also need to pass the civics test. And if you don't pass that, then your vote just doesn't count.
It's
What's the
actually
difference
not true.
between-
But the average person would not get 1 vote because the
point like 9 something.
no, it would go
0.97.
over because the tail end of the lower end would not vote, but the tail end of the higher end would. So you're actually
Hold on.
cutting off.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's smart. That's true.
So it would
See, if I was higher
it would be a little
IQ,
high.
if my vote counted
Exactly.
more, I'd think of that. right?
Exactly. But I,
Back to
as a
landowning.
Democrat,
Back to landowning.
as a Democrat, I understand spatial
Wow.
reasoning.
But now, bad example. Libertarians have the highest IQ, right, Corey?
No. No.
I'll show you studies on this. I actually-
I'll show you studies
Yeah.
Show me
that were
studies.
implemented by the Cato
A
Institute.
full
talking
IQ.
about
I'm not talking
sports
about any sort of
The
specific
most
thing.
reliable of all
Full
institutes.
IQ
yes.
test.
Of course.
Yeah, if I'm not, if hold on, I remember I just recently had this debate because some smug liberal was saying, "Oh, Democrats, we got the most college degrees and we're the smartest." And I said, "No, libertarians have the most college degrees and are the smartest, despite being right wing. We are a kind of outlier when it comes to that."
Well,
I
no.
would agree. I would agree.
They're a subset
Because
of
most
conservatives.
conservatives are
that's
usually
why
pretty
libertarians
stupid.
only have 1%
I
of the
would
vote.
agree that they're.
Lactoid, I
Yeah.
need you to recognize that
Average.
most conservatives are pretty stupid when it comes to these studies.
I've seen,
You know, they just did like a brain
I'm
comparison of
confident.
lib
I've
and, like,
seen a
the
couple
conservative.
meta-analyses on this. I'm confident.
Wait, hold on.
Look,
Libertarians
I'll
are
say
the
this, I'll say this.
outlier of the group, which means that the group
You're not
is-
you're not wrong. Yes, you're not wrong that among right wingers.
Say it.
I'm getting there. Among right
Say
wingers.
it to Gibbs too. Look at him.
They're low IQ.
So right wingers and left wingers can basically be split into two groups, right?
Right
Right-wingers,
wingers and
the
left
more-
wingers.
The
Yeah,
more
smart and
the
dumb.
more financially like laissez-faire, more neocon kind of element of the right wing tends to have higher IQ. The more populist, the more homophobic, the more like generally socially conservative part of the right wing
Religious
tends to have-
conservative.
tends-
You know,
tends to-
you
yes,
can all-
religious conservatives tends to have lower IQ. That is just factually the case. On the left, the more like
More
laissez-faire neoliberals tend to have the higher IQ, and then the more populist, communist, socialists tend to have the lower IQ. This is just true. I'm
Wait a
sorry.
minute.
I,
You also,
I,
you
I, don't, I
guys-
don't dispute that, but to make the claim that libertarians have the highest among all,
Wait, hold on,
Of
hold on,
all
hold on.
political
You
designations,
said,
yes.
depending on how
hold
you.
on, Lactoid. You said, or maybe it was Scott. I could be wrong, but one of you said this. I know because I reacted.
We're
to
both
this.
we're both pretty smart libertarians.
Yeah.
Wait, you're not a libertarian according to Scott.
But
Oh, that's right. Fuck.
so
I got the
not.
socialist
no,
IQ.
no,
yeah,
no.
exactly.
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
the
yeah, hold on,
communist.
but you
You're the
told me-
lowest.
You told me no. He told me that like it went like libertarians and then like socialists and then other people under that. You definitely said that. We definitely had this conversation.
Socialists
No.
are probably pretty
100%
smart.
did that.
No,
To do all that
100% said that.
pontificating, you got to be smart.
no.
Nah.
Well, we'll look into that.
Those
It's fine.
socialist academics like Richard Wolff and those people, they literally just failed up the test of like why use like many
Yeah, but I'm
word,
thinking- I'm talking
why
about,
use
like,
much
I'm
word when
talking
small
about
word
Richard
would
Wolff
trick.
Wolf is
Hassan
just a
Piker.
fucking
They just-
professor.
Like
yeah,
Hassan
there's
Piker's probably really smart, you know?
So,
You think Hassan Piker's
Hassan
pretty smart?
Piker's not.
hold on. He's,
Oh, wait.
he's over
You think
100
Hassan
IQ.
Piker's pretty smart?
I just wanted to piss some people off. It's
He's
I mean, he's
over-
rich, so he might be an exception, but like his audience is not. smart.
I think that
Okay, sorry.
they're more
We-
intelligent than the average person, but I
With
I'm
exception to
frustrated.
Doobie-
Please move on
Do
from
be
this.
smart.
Let's please move on from this. That's fine. And I'd like to see those studies. But we'll move on.
Absolutely.
Cato Institute.
Cool with me.
Oh my god.
I finally got a laugh out of Prime.
It's actually not from the Cato Institute, just to be clear. Although it'd be funny if it was.
that
was my joke.
You know that's an
Okay.
interesting
Let's go.
interesting topic right there though, right there, Prime. It's
I
like,
just taxed
what,
your
like,
joke, okay?
is kind of came up earlier when I brought up the Nick Shirley thing. Is that we're at kind of a point right now where like people are like, oh, this is discredited, and like then like you go like, oh, the Cato Institute, they're not credited, or like used to people like, oh, Snopes says this, and now like Snopes isn't credible.
No,
at
I don't
all.
want to.
No, I know.
What the
But
fuck?
hold on. Yeah, Snopes is like. By the way, I fact checked Snopes the other day on some shit, and there was a WordPress article that they were quoting in there, and it was literally like somebody's grandma made a page and like typed some shit.
Gotta
So
use
Snopes
Gibbs
is
check now.
Snopes is not credible at all. But the point I'm going to make with this though, is
I
it's
wasn't saying
inter-
Cato wasn't credible.
Hold on,
I was
hold
just
on. No,
making a
I know
joke that
you're
they're a
making a
libertarian
joke. I know you're
institute.
making a joke, but I think there's actually a greater
I cite the
conversation.
Cato Institute.
Hold
all the
on,
time.
shut the fuck up for a second, bitch. Let me,
For
let
the
me-
immigration
let-
stuff.
like,
Oh,
hang
yeah,
on,
sure.
let me just finish. I think there's a greater conversation to be had here with like really
got
something
me.
we should be concerned about is like online. Like we have like I go out right and every day I'll talk to like liberals and conservatives and like ultra lefties, but the online world is so different than like the real world, like the topics. And like I'll bring up topics and I'll bring them up in here, and sometimes, and this isn't even a bash, it'll just be outright dismissed. You're like, nobody thinks that. And I'm like, bro, 15 people I talked to had the same conversation the other night when we were out. And like I'll bring it up and then I'll see it online like Facebook or something.
We
Or-
don't
or
count
some
the
other-
mental
Would you
institution.
just let me fucking finish, bro?
That's
I'm
right,
just
Gibbs. Fuck
like-
these
like-
stats, my
like,
anecdotes are
no,
better.
no, it's not even anecdotes, but it's
I
interesting.
agree with you.
That you come on and like even like different like websites like TikTok and Twitch and all these have different like YouTube right now is like a conservative bastion, and I'll bring up topics on there and they'll be like, who's saying this? And I'm like, bro, we had a Prime panel on Monday about this, and they're like, no retard saying this shit. Like nobody, they gotta be retarded. And I'm like, bro, like, and they'll say the same thing. Gibbs, your anecdote don't matter. And I'm like, bro, we literally had a whole 3-hour panel on this on Monday.
We fight
And
the
they're
same
like,
fight,
it
my
is so
brother.
well, I know, thank you. And it's very interesting how these like webs don't overlap, but at the same time they do. And I think there's something to be concerned for here. Like, do y'all not agree with this?
That no one agrees that the other person's role.
No, it's like-
And
it's-
no one knows how to pronounce an anecdote. I agree. It's fucking.
no. He's saying.
No, he was saying it's the
sucks.
antidote.
No, but
Oh.
Yeah,
no,
the
but
antidote.
what
The
Gibbs is
antidote
saying
is
is
the
that like
antidote,
there's all these worlds and bubbles that like
Yeah.
seem to like not agree that the other one even exists, and how are we having
yeah,
any
totally.
conversations if we're
I
just
don't
in
think those
denial?
people. I don't think that exists.
It does.
No, I'm
people
joking.
have-
It's part of the.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah.
That took me a sec too.
So I agree on Gibbs that there are bubbles, and maybe there's a conversation to be had there. That actually might be a good topic.
Not today
not
though,
thinking about-
Gibbs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Today
today
we talk
Get
about
the fuck outta here.
Okay. See, and we could have got to
Right.
the other topic if you hadn't interrupted me 5 times. I don't know.
Oh god. Let's go to the actual topic. Gibbs, thanks for resubbing to the channel, being a real one. Hey everyone. Hope you enjoyed that intro. Okay, right? And we only had this long intro because everyone else was late, right? I was like, okay, I gotta come up with something, right? And I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do?
I
I'm
was
gonna
5
antagonize
minutes late.
Lactoid.
Oh, is that
I'm
why
going
we
to
had it?
antagonize Lactoid, and then here
I
we
was
are.
early.
Okay, he was.
I think Ollie was way later than me.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
they say
he was.
showing up early is a
Listen.
sign of
I get the perk of running on colored
Unintelligence.
people time, so
or
we're
maybe
okay.
intelligent people show up late.
I think memory also is a signifier of intelligence. So maybe memorizing. No, I'm just joking. Sorry.
Okay. So anyway, the point is, like, if you like that intro that went all over the place, consider supporting the channel. Sub to channel, get bits of gift subs if you're on Twitch, and if on YouTube, consider using a super chat. We'll put your super chat up on the screen. We'll have a conversation about your super chat. We'll bring it up and make it a part of the topic. So consider having us that way. If you're on Kick, just follow. Just follow us on Kick. We don't have anyone following. We have very few people following on Kick. I'm not sure we've reached 10 yet. But in any case, just do that. That's all I need from you. But in any case, thank you all for being here. We'll get started with the actual topic for now. If you've managed to stick with us, thank you. But yeah, the actual topic we'll work on that now. All right. So, my computer is like crazy slow. I'm not sure is my camera like
You're fine.
okay.
It's
Oh,
well,
'cause
it's,
it's not
it freezes for like a second every once in a while. Like I don't know, every like
okay. Yeah,
20 minutes.
it's been freezing a bunch of my stuff. Like I don't know what's going on. Okay. The topic: the NCAA backed a congressional bill that was recently defeated by a bipartisan mix of lawmakers. The bill, named the SCORE Act, would have exempted the NCAA and its members from U.S. federal antitrust laws. The goal was to weaken the bargaining power of student athletes and restore much of the power that was lost in a recent Supreme Court case that found that the NCAA violated the Sherman Act. For instance, the SCORE Act would have given the NCAA the ability to decide if an athlete's NIL contracts, name, image, and likeness contracts, were valid. The NCAA has been described as a cartel. Do you think the NCAA is a good example of why antitrust laws are important? Should the government be intervening to protect student athletes? Should those students be able to collectively bargain? Are there other areas where you think antitrust laws are important? Or do you think that the NCAA, as a private organization, should be left to decide its own rules without outside government pressure? So yeah, I ran across this story, and I thought it might be interesting. The NCAA was lobbying hard for this. Um, I'm not a sports guy, but I do care about labor issues, and the NCAA was, famously had rules about amateurism that designated the athletes under them as like ineligible to like get remuneration or get almost very little remuneration for their efforts, even as the organization itself and the coaches and other people under it were like raking in millions upon millions upon millions from their efforts. And so that got struck down, and now athletes can um, uh, uh, get like form outside contracts, can do like deals, right? Like with a shoe company or whatever, right? And they can get paid. It's fantastic. But the NCAA is striking back, and this was an attempt. Now, it didn't seem to work out for them, and Republicans seem to be quite against this, or at least a contingent of them seemed quite against this. And so I want to talk about this. Uh, like, do you think the NCAA is a cartel? Right? Like, do you think this was a overall great outcome? Like how the government has put in pressure through various means on this organization that has now giving these athletes the ability to negotiate contracts and whatnot. And if not, well, why not? Yeah. So let's start with our
Can
good
I go
friend
first?
Black. Well, okay.
No.
Let's go with Bam.
All right, he's
Um,
done.
I wanted to get this. Yeah, that was crazy. No, I wanted to get this out there from a few different perspectives as someone who was a member of the NCAA Division One, as a former NCAA Division One athlete who didn't benefit from NIL. I came like right right as the transition to NIL kicked in, so I didn't get the benefit from this. This is there's this issue is more complicated, and I think the framing of the conversation, the question shows, and I think that some people may be surprised, or maybe not, for my stance. Um, at the coming down Supreme Court ruling that Division One athletes have a right to make money off of their name, image, and likeness, I believe was a good decision. Overall, I believe that athletes shouldn't be prevented, just like any other student, from finding gainful employment or using, like I said, using the name and the name and image that God gave them, that they've earned and benefited from, and the money they make for these universities, to um, go and make an earning for themselves. There was a second case that allowed for the universities to pay the athletes directly, like the universities pay the athletes directly. So the SCORE Act came in question because it's trying to make a framing around, essentially, it's trying to make NCAA trying to take some level of power back. So it does a couple things. One, it wants to create an some antitrust laws to prevent athletes from coming together and claiming to be employees of their universities and employees of the NCAA, so they can't collectively bargain against the schools. I and the NCAA as a union, like they won't be able to unionize. I don't think this is a good thing. What it does do that's a good thing is tries to create some balance. So in professional sports outside of baseball, you have salary caps, meaning that there is only so much money that universities that you're trying to create some level of an even playing field. The issue being that the caps it creates is going to be based on your TV ratings. And the issue this runs into is, one, is going to benefit the bigger conferences that already benefit the SEC and the Big Ten, who have do more TV ratings than every other all the other Power Four NCAA conferences combined. But also, it's going to have a massive negative impact on women's sports, because, like track and field or volleyball or insert, not even just women's sports, any other sport that's not college football, to be honest, is going to have a massive impact, because it's going to set a cap on how much those players are allowed to make, because their pay is going to be based on revenue, which is going to create an inherent advantage. The problem, and I'm sorry, this is the last thing I just wanted to put the framing out there
Take
for
your
people
time.
who
Take your time.
haven't looked into it.
Okay,
Um,
Scott.
yeah, I know, right? I'm pulling the
Also,
Scott
what
right now.
sport? What sport, by the way?
Football.
Okay.
No, of course. Come on. The the problems with how things are currently done right now, and I think this is universally, not like, even the people who are against the SCORE Act acknowledge, is that we're kind of in a wild west right now. The athletes are getting paid both by the universities and by whatever contract and agreements they want to make, but they're in the in between place where there's no contractual obligations. A player can get paid any money from pretty much any source, and they have no obligation to stay at the school, like to hold any like contractual obligations, and all of those money sources, like they're 18 and 19 years old, and they're making agreements to large sums of money for expectations that they can come to realize, like, oh, maybe this actually maybe I wasn't responsible enough to make this level of agreement by myself. Maybe we do need to have functioning an agent system. Maybe we do need to have financial uh, financial advisors built into the system. Maybe we do need to have medical need to have health insurance because I'm putting my body on the line for this level of money, which is something that the SCORE Act talked about. So without giving a full opinion here or there, I think I will lay out opinion more into the open. I just wanted to flesh out that there is a split and there is an argument to be had on this.
Can I go next? Like, if you don't mind, Prime?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, as the other D1 athlete, actually everything he said is like 100% correct. I did wrestling, he did football, so good. He's better than me. But I will say this, like he's absolutely correct with what he's saying. But let's go actually dive a little deeper. The schools that are actually really for the SAVE Act, they're schools that are in the old power conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten, that were not doing well. The schools, I'll give 2 examples that are like where they're offset. Texas A&M, where I went, is a big money school. They got a shitload of money. They're like number 8 on prestige all time, but they're not considered like the perennial power because they're always like consistently decent, right? However, now since the Manziel era and now the NIL era, they are now able to spend all this excess oil money that they get from the Texas like benefit program that we have, and they're able to use it indirectly to buy student athletes, basically. And so schools like Alabama, who have been a traditional power, are not able to do this to the level that UT and Texas A&M are doing, or Ohio State and Michigan are able to do because they have other resources there. And so you're seeing a lot of the old powers very upset. Now, the flip side of this is that this goes all the way down to UIL. We're seeing high school athletes get money that shouldn't probably be getting money. We're seeing kids like this in Texas, and this comes down to the state by state problem, right? And so there does need to be some kind of national regulation that like will divvy this up across the board. But the NCAA is in the Wild West right now, and it's kind of an exciting time, but at the same time, it's really bad. And it's when you talked about, I missed the NIL era as well. Like I actually was like one of the worst NCAA D1 wrestlers of all time, right? However, I had a big following. If I'd gone, I could have probably got sponsored by all sorts of programs. Any Texas A&M quarterback, or say like Drew Tate from Iowa back in the day, they were never going to make the pros. Only 10% of athletes ever make the pros. However, they could have benefited greatly and sold their likeness into perpetuity like they are now, but they could have made tons of money at the time. Like Drew Tate was a huge name during his time at Iowa, but like now you've never even heard of him, right? Same thing with like some of these other quarterbacks like Gerard Johnson from A&M. Some of these linebackers that just quite didn't make it to the NFL, but they were big names. These guys could have got paid. They could have got paid by the local local car dealership. These guys could have been benefiting. A lot of these times, these guys get injured and they don't have a plan afterwards because they didn't have the insurance plans all the time the way they did now with like playing for like if you're going to go to the pros. These guys can now get insurance plans on themselves as opposed to before. So like when we look at the SAVE Act, I actually was against the SAVE Act because it just doesn't do the right things. And we do need a nationalized system, but it's just not enough in some ways, right? And it's as opposed to before, like the NCAA is a cartel. If you know anything about the NCAA, they're honestly one of the most evil groups of people in the United States. They are literally modern day slave owners. South Park lampooned the shit out of them with all the slaves. I mean, student athletes. They like literally meme the shit out of them. This is literally how they act. They make $1 billion off March Madness, right? AC Law, he was Texas A&M's all-star. He made the March Madness, came back 3 times to get him to overtime, made him into like semifinals. Guess what? This guy made no career in the pros, got paid zilch, right? This guy could have probably lived the rest of his life just being AC Law, but instead now he's probably working a car dealership or something, like somewhere where he's got a little bit of name recognition and he can use it to sell some cars. It's sad because these guys got fucked by the NCAA, and we can look this out. Women's sports will be devastated, especially if they put a cap on it. Other sports that aren't as big, like will also be like horseback riding. You'll see soccer. Some of these other sports, where they don't have this because they're going to cap it also. Say that not the answer, but we do need an answer. And the NCAA is honestly evil cartel owners and plantation owners. Fuck them motherfuckers.
I agree. The SAVE Act isn't the answer. Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely not the SAVE Act. But it's fair enough.
You keep calling it the SAVE Act. SAVE Act is on your mind.
Yeah, sorry, the SAVE Act. I mean the whatever.
Score.
You know what I'm talking about. The
Score.
They both start with it's the SS because they're basically modern day Nazis. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
the SAVE Act is basically like the Gestapo. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else want to jump in front of Lactoid?
Can I go after Lactoid?
Yeah. After? Before? Yeah.
Can I go after Corey? But before Ollie, that's where I want to be in the world.
I think these are reasonable
It'll make
requests.
this a math problem for me. Like one of those word problems.
It's a logic problem.
Um,
If A, then B, but
right.
only a B is C. You know,
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
It's
well,
modern
As long as
day
you save
gender
the best
ideology.
for last,
Put me
that's all that
before
really
Lactoid.
matters.
I want to go
Okay.
4 places ahead of half of the places that was just done.
Fuck, I'm not going to be able to vote.
Okay. Let's go down. Lactoid, go ahead. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of these situations where I mean, I don't know if you're gonna get like too much fight, Prime.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason I think why this bill was shot down by bipartisan force here, which is that I mean, there's some genuine free market concerns as well. I mean, the SCORE Act puts a bunch of regulations on what student athletes can do and what they can accept, and basically does place the NCAA in this position of power through legislation. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of like to whatever extent this goes towards like unionizing. Yeah, I'm against all that. But in terms of this bill, yeah, I think it sucks. So I don't know if you're gonna get any supporters of the NCAA's attempted legislative enforced monopoly here. I don't know if it's gonna be a tough one.
Well, that's why I wanted to expand this, not just NCAA, but about antitrust.
Well,
Yeah,
UIL should
and-
be involved in this as well. Like, I feel like that's not a part of this that's being talked about enough because since the NIL has been put in there, but we'll get into the
Yeah. Let's go to our friend Corey.
Thank you for granting my request to go after Lactoid. Very much
Mhm.
appreciated. And well, I actually also agree with Lactoid's overall sentiment. And I also have no problem pleading ignorance of like I don't really know how the NCAA works, or even just largely how college sports works in the United States, since I don't care about them and I think they're stupid. But I don't see any reason why. But someone
Typical
can illuminate
Canadian
me.
answer. Fuck.
Yeah, my ultimate answer, okay, to all of this is ban football, ban baseball,
Oh my
ban
God.
basketball. There you go.
Everyone plays
Problem solved.
Let's get into that.
Yeah.
Let's get into that.
But one of the last things I'll say is like maybe someone can illuminate as to like why, or maybe there's the reason why there's no disagreement of like, yeah, why the NCAA is like, I don't know, different or seem to be regulated differently than the NBA or NFL, or like, yeah, this historical or at one point this carve out for student athletes. But then it's like, well, do the student athletes have official coaches? There, it seems to be a little bit of disconnect there. But all that to say, he's like, yeah, I don't support it either, from what I can tell. And it seems like a ridiculous thing. And I still stand by ban football, ban baseball, ban basketball.
Basketball.
Basketball. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Why basketball? So
Is
like
there
a-
not college basketball?
if you
I
want
would
to
imagine. I would imagine basketball, football. I guess it's probably. Is
No,
there
wait.
college
Football
baseball?
at least makes sense because it's
Well,
like
from
it's
a
like
TBI
head
point of view.
Well,
injuries.
Corey, I can answer if you want a real quick answer.
what
why
injuries
NCAA
are happening in
exists
basketball?
outside of like NFL and football is because NFL and NBA and all these were pro orgs, right? The NCAA, I think it was 1906, was created to like ensure fair competition. They wanted uniform rules across all the sports for the colleges. So they actually formed as a scholastic organization. But since they figured out, hey, some of these sports make a fuck ton of money, they're like, let's fucking use our special status, just like churches do, to like get out of taxes. They're like, we're going to use our special status to make bukus of money for our university and then provide shit. They're like, yeah, it's literally slavery. That's literally what they're doing. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think churches should be exempt from taxes.
I know. I figured that's why I related that to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We're on the same
Building
page.
bridges.
Awesome. All right. Yes. Let's raise taxes. Oh, wow. We're making lots of agreement here, right? Lacto's nodding his head. Let's go to our friend.
His flag says to tax them specifically on that part. So
I'm pretty
he's in
sure.
favor.
Yeah. Let's go to our friend Hunter.
Yeah, I will say I'm certainly biased against the SCORE Act. I'm certainly biased against the NCAA. I think that maybe sometimes we use the slave metaphor a little bit too frequently, but I certainly agree with the sentiment. But I mostly am excited to sit my white ass down and listen because I don't know much about the NCAA, but I'm glad that Bam and Gibbs, I'm glad Gibbs finally knows what he's talking about. That's what I'm I'm stoked for. So I'm excited to hear more from you. Yeah, I think
He's going to
that
talk
I'm
all about the
largely
SAVE
agree.
Act for the next 2 hours.
Listen, you know what I mean. It's the same words.
That's about it.
Okay. And Ali.
Yeah, Gibbs is right. Words are words, right?
I guess he does. He knows a lot of shit, dude.
Yeah, like you like I said, no disagreement. I'm pretty, fuck the NCAA. They have been making money off of student athletes for long enough to where they should have been paying them. At this point, honestly, hit them a little harder. Pay reparations to the students who were playing before, who didn't get any of the money.
That's
because
slavery.
Because to be fucking true, like in fair, you guys, student athletes do put their bodies on the line, especially like football players, right? With CTE rates and so on and so forth. Like your body's getting damaged. The school is making exuberant amounts of money off of you, both in like ticket sales and, I mean, even if they're doing if they're giving you a scholarship to pay, I mean, the scholarship still goes to the school gets a payout from it. Like there's donations, all that, depending on what school you go to. So I mean, yeah, I think you guys should be paid out. You should have been paid out for it years ago, but then like if there's going to be money being paid out to students now, I think past students should get a cut as well.
I want to bring back. I
I'm
brought
gonna
up
be
the
the conservative.
UIL. I want to bring up the UIL part
Okay.
again because like I think this is important. Right? So the UIL, I don't know if the UIL is national or not, but I know at least in Texas they have like rules on how you can earn. And so like if you're a
Can you
student
explain what
athlete,
that is UIL. I don't know.
it's
what
a
the
University of
stands for.
Interscholastic. It's basically NCAA for like high schools.
Okay.
Yeah. So like they'll basically like say you're a coach at like Cal Allen High School in Corpus Christi, the winningest program in all state history in football, right? So if you go in there and you're Coach Danner, and great coach, now he's got dementia, so now he doesn't coach. But when he was there, he couldn't get gifts as the coach under UIL rules. So what they would do is they would give him a brand new truck every year, and they would give him a brand new truck, and you would pay $1 every year on the truck. Or like $18, I think, after they changed it. So literally, he's getting a brand new truck every year to stay at this school because the boosters are paying the truck over there, and then he's paying $18. Now, the kids, if I was the quarterback, Dustin Vaughn, for example, one of the guys that made the pros for Callan, if he was over here going to say, hey, I'm at Callan, I want to do a interview, or I want to go do a commercial for Wildcat Ford across from the campus, I can't do that. They're going to shut me down. That's bullshit. Instead, they expect him either to work full time and not be able to contribute to schools and practice and do this, or they expect him to take it up the ass and just make the school money. So this is kind of like the crazy aspect of this, where they don't want the kids to make money and they don't want coaches to make money because the UIL is doing this, and this is all covered now. I know the SCORE Act specifically is focused on NCAA, but this is part of the reason why it's bad is because the NIL has made this shit the Wild West, and like the NCAA is backed by these perennial powers. It's like Alabama, USC, but USC is fine because they're rich. But like some of these other ones that are like been perennial powers, and like the NCAA when it was originally founded was to ensure the fair sports, because you would have schools like A&M with all their oil money would go and sit here like, oh, under the table, give stuff away. And then SMU would try to do it. And then they would just say, oh, you would see the corruption where they give SMU the death penalty, but they wouldn't give A&M or Texas that because they bring in, like Bram was talking about, is they're bringing in the TV revenue. They don't want to crush their big TV revenue hogs. And so as schools have been progressing, even before the NIL, you have schools like Boise State who have been making tons of money like off their TV revenue in these areas, but the bigger schools don't like that, and so they would go and force them out. And then Longhorns, they were big enough, they had their own network, but the SEC didn't like this, and so they backed it out, and they were like, oh, as part of joining the SEC, you have to get rid of the Longhorn network and stuff like this. So this is kind of a way for the NCAA to guarantee power with their exemption status, and that's a big issue they have with this. And then like I said, the NIL is so big on across the board with high school athletes, and like that's not talked about at all, which I think is even more impactful if you're growing up, because if you're a high school kid, all the thing Bam said about financial advisors, yeah, you might graduate college, you might be intelligent enough to get into college and have financial advisor. Okay, cool, that's one thing. But if you're like a 15-year-old kid and your family's dirt poor and you're like the most athletic kid on like a high school, you probably do need a financial advisor if someone's coming in there paying you, I don't know, $8K or $10K to like do a commercial for like a local car dealership, and they don't have that, and this act didn't address any of that.
Well, wait, to be fair, this whole financial advisor thing is like kind of overstretched, because like a lot of the people when they get out, when they're in the NFL, when they leave, end up broke as well. And
Well,
As
Well, the
sure.
NFL's pushed that up too. The NFL actually
most
started
people
adding
need-
financial
most
Yeah, but
advisors.
like high school athletes are local
most
celebrities.
most people who have never seen like millions of dollars and just get millions of dollars overnight probably need a financial advisor,
Yeah,
right?
but what if it's 50K? Like say you like so like
Even
it-
50K. I
but
mean, if you
hold on,
don't
but,
have
like, so
50K,
Corpus-
50K is a money you're not gonna know how to spend.
well, here's my reasoning for this. Like Corpus, and they have the 3 News channel, like I think it was Channel 3 or what, Channel 5, whatever. But the Channel 3 News, the 3 News, they do this thing called the Sports Blitz. And originally it started during football season. It would just be 10 minutes at the end of the program. It got so big, it's an hour-long show now. And then there's Fox Sports Southwest that does the same thing. And what happens is these kids, high school kids, get massive followings, right?
Yeah, they
And
should get paid.
They should get paid, but here's the issue. Are you telling me a kid who's come from, like, I don't know, the ghetto, and they don't have any financial training, they're going to go in there and they're going to do this, they're not going to be screwed over or corrupted or taken advantage of like NFL, NIL people?
The issue with that is that like these high school one high schoolers are becoming famous and popular, which is already, and so like high schoolers with millions of followers shouldn't have been a thing, and that's not something we're prepared for or expected, I don't think. So I don't know if we know how to deal with that necessarily right now. But the issue is, like, you're going into college as an athlete. You aren't just an athlete, you are a celebrity, right? So like, unfortunately, like, well not unfortunately, but like to the point that Bam was making, you do need an agent, right? So if you are a high schooler who's supposed to be making, like, who's going to be making all this money, the ideal would be like your parents are supposed to help you navigate through that. Maybe your parents help you find like an agent or like some financial guy.
But
But
you
the
know, like,
well,
like
I
a
mean,
village
but-
raised the
but,
kid. What if
like-
the village is retarded? What if your parents is retarded?
So then you don't think we should pay these people?
No, I think that there needs to be regulation on how, like, go
But
ahead.
the
man.
government can't come in and be like, well, you need to have a financial advisor if you're going to have millions of followers on Instagram. Like,
Well,
I
you
don't-
could
I
make
don't
you
know
could
if that's
make
how
the
that
companies buying these high school kids like appropriate
works.
some of
Actually,
this
can we do this?
to like afford to like
Well,
pay for
I mean, the
financial
NCAA
advisor.
was gonna.
I would
the
oppose
NCAA
it.
was putting a cap on, like they were gonna have like not a union, but they were gonna have like basically if you were going to be an agent within the NCAA, they were gonna place a 5% maximum cap on what you could charge players. So I'm
that's
actually
fine.
gonna make a more conservative argument towards this since that's where we're at, and because I feel like like I said, because I do believe it is more complicated. When I say the when I say the NCAA right now is the wild west, it's that none of these all of these like things that are happening are like backdoor like handshake deals that have no like legal binding for either side, for the players or for the universities. Because there is no industry, there is no one like navigating or setting what the rules are supposed to be and what the standards are supposed to be to do this. And I
Yeah,
think
because
that
there are
is
no rules.
yeah, that's the thing. There are no rules right now. A kid can take some money and say he's coming to your school and never show up, and there's nothing they can do about it. And the school can promise you playing time and $250,000, whatever, and you can show up and they don't give it to you.
Isn't
What
that
do you
on the
do?
school to like ensure
Well,
some
they-
sort
they-
of contract is signed? Or what?
Well, yeah,
Like,
so
again,
they-
I'm asking.
Well,
I'm
there are
ignorant.
some
Like,
contracts, but there's a lot of the back room like dealing going on. Like for
Because-
example,
But
a
then-
school
but then-
did sue a kid for not going there after he committed because they had paid out NIL, and I think some companies sued the kid because he had already done like a promise that he was going to go, and they're like, oh, if you come, we'll give you X amount of money, and you'll do this for us. And then he's like, well, I switched last minute, so they like sued him. But then what happened was, I think another school, the people that were going to get him over there just paid for like the the law, the legal aspect of it.
But I
so
mean,
like
There's a
crazy stuff.
no,
right now.
Corey. The reason that can't necessarily be done is because of the categorization. Student athletes are they're student athletes. They're not considered professionals, and the universities aren't private business. Like the sports teams aren't considered private businesses, and the student athletes aren't employees of these private businesses. So they're of these non-private businesses.
And
So
Ben,
they're
you were saying they shouldn't be though. You don't think they should be able to unionize? I think that's what you were saying.
No,
earlier?
I think that no, I think that there's the SCORE Act would have been against it. I'm in favor of
okay.
unionization. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
I think that players should be able to collectively bargain. Like that's what the NFL does. The NFL ended up making the NFLPA, the Players Association, and the Players Association ended up setting rules on like revenue share, and they set rules on like how much I think you get after 3 years in the league, you qualify for like healthcare for 5 years post retirement. But like the NCAA doesn't have any of this, and I say that to say that like we can be in favor of free market all we want, but I don't know. Like I said, I guess the quote unquote, I'm just a boy who likes football in the South. I do believe that there's a value of going to college, having your college paid for, to play sports. I do think that's value in and of itself. I don't want people to minimize that. I do like
So,
the student portion of student athletes.
So hold on. I'm gonna take a more libertarian, conservative route here. Maybe we can all.
For once,
switch
we
things
have
up
one
today.
libertarian.
Only one. We were missing one. It was a big hole in our
I think it's
lineup.
perfectly libertarian to say, hey, don't pass a law mandating what kind of compensation student athletes can get.
Yeah, but the problem
So,
is,
hold on,
you don't have
let
the
me-
Scholastic
let me-
overview.
Let me make
They're just gonna leave.
my point here. So, like, one, it seems incumbent upon these schools, like our friend Crow was trying to get to, right? To like, if you're making expectations, right? One, you should put it in the contract.
They
Right?
can't
Like, it
be a
should be in a
contract. They're not businesses.
What do you mean they're not? No, you don't have to be a business to like form a contract.
Yeah, but if you're finding a like these are student athletes. They're not employees.
They don't have
They're
to be
not
employees. You don't
contractors.
have to. You can form contracts between two parties where one is not an employee of the other.
Yeah, it might be ignorant,
Yeah.
but like, does
Yeah.
the classification of student athlete like exempt you from engaging any contract? I don't.
Yeah,
think
I
that would-
believe it does. I believe there's limitations on how and why you can pay people, like without being while remaining a non-for-profit status. Like
But still,
they get tax exemption from the government for this.
You're muted, Gibbs. But hold on, just let me just finish this, and then I'd love to hear what you all have to say. One, I think it's incumbent upon them to
can't be
make
done.
these agreements, right? Just like they do with anything else, right? Especially big when a lot of money is being tossed around. It's like up to them to do that.
It's not.
And then okay, so I love to explore it with you. And then we should like I don't know about like adding regulations to what was I about to say? Shit, damn it, sorry. It's gone.
So yes, they were a special class, right? And so if the EA college football is actually the big reason why the NIL deal got put in place. EA wanted to do a college football game, and there was that case afterward that I guess rewarded so college players could get paid, and so EA had to go and individually bargain with all these different players to put them in the game. Now, before that, the NCAA was just getting a straight check from EA every year, and the college kids were getting none of it, even though they were using their likenesses, their previous year stats, their previous all. So the kids weren't getting paid at all, right? And all the schools were getting like a percentage check or whatever. Now the issue with this is, and how you would usually be on the more libertarian side, no money, like we get no regulations, is because what we've done is now with the original purpose that the NCAA was needed, you wanted a uniform competition field across the board, right? And you wanted the same rules. Everybody's playing under. Now we're not playing by the same rules at all. Like so for example, there's a reason why there's a salary cap in the NFL, because Jerry Jones would just go in there and pay $1 billion to have the most OP team ever. Right. And so luckily with college football, the reason that hasn't happened is because there's so many actually top tier players that it's not going to be one school that can do that. However, you do have this situation where like 10 schools are doing this. And so now you have like certain conferences where it used to be a competitive conference, but now you only have 2 schools in that conference that are worth a damn. And so you have 10 schools nationally while all the other schools are like getting scraps. Now, somebody's going to say, oh, what about Indiana with 2-star, 3-star recruits? Well, good.
What about
Somebody gonna say
Indiana?
that?
Was about
Was
to
that-
say-
somebody gonna point that out?
I was about to
That-
say
that-
that.
that-
Yeah,
that-
but
that-
Indiana-
what about-
What about
It was on the tip of my tongue. I was going to say it.
I got you. The answer to this would be, and I hate using this, is the exception makes the rule. And now that they've become a perennial program, they're going to sit there and they're going to be able to buy the school. They're going to buy the revenue. They're going to be able to take this thing from other things, and they're going to be able to expand their school. All these things. So, like, yes, some schools may benefit. You might have some like one-off outliers. However, you're going to see across the board where the power is concentrated in a new group. And I guess if you're part of that new group, like I am, I'm at A&M. I'm an A&M alum. Big fan. I love being near the top of the SEC now. But, I do think it does hurt competition overall. And the UIL is only Texas. And we don't have a national league for high school athletes. And so we don't have a uniform thing. And part of this is going to create where we have all these different states. And that's why the
So,
Score Act.
let me say that I don't remember what I was going to say. Then I'll go straight to you.
right.
But also, why should we be making regulations to say that these people, like especially if they're adults when they make the contract, it's different when they're kids. If they're high school kids, then I had different ideas. But if you're an adult, right, and you go into a contract and it's a bad contract, that also seems to be your business, right? Like I don't know if you necessarily have to make a regulation to say that like
So you sign when you're
whatever.
17,
And
but then you can't transfer,
Wait a
right?
minute.
Because you'll lose
Brom,
your
you-
scholarship
wait,
if you
Brom, you
transfer,
have a-
and you have to wait a year. Like that was the rule before. Now they've changed the rule. You can transfer and be directly eligible because of the NIL. So like this is like something beforehand. I
But
would
there-
sign a contract when I was 17, and I would go to Alabama. Right, and then I would be locked in for 4 or 5 years. Now,
couldn't
if
sign
I
a
wanted,
contract
and then if I wanted to leave Alabama and another school would offer me, I just sit for a year at a smaller school. I sit out, and then I could, or be registered, and then I could go. And so what's happened now is because of this NIL change, they can sit here and they can go directly from Alabama to A&M, get paid, and immediately be on there. As opposed to before, you had this kid locked under a contract that was unfair to them, comparatively.
Yeah. But that's like, I mean, that's their business, right? Like,
Yeah, but they were
did that.
17.
Wait, Prom, would you
And
say that about student loans?
Yeah, they're 17.
To be clear, hold on. I made a clear exception. I said, like, hey, if they're kids, I don't know. That sounds different, right? But once you're 18, right, and maybe you can only sign these contracts once you're 18. Maybe that should be a rule, right? Like, but once you're 18 and you made these decisions, I mean, I don't know. Like,
Let's give a bunch of
like,
fifth
Prom,
graders
no,
a
Prom, I
contract
feel like
that
you made the
says
exact
when
they're
you're
argument.
20 years
18-year-old. They're
old,
adults.
when
They're
you're
adults.
20
No.
years old, we get to take all your money.
They're
Contracts
adults.
are generally
wait a
not.
minute,
Contracts are
Prom.
generally not enforceable against children. Generally.
I
No, I
feel
know,
like you
so-
made the exact argument, opposite argument when it comes to student loans. I feel like you argue one of the issues of like people shouldn't have to pay back student loans is because you're 18, you're taking on this debt.
People
like,
shouldn't have
by-
student loans to begin with.
Sure, but
Um,
you made the argument, even people who have them shouldn't have them because they were 18 whenever they made those agreements.
I don't particularly remember
It's
this argument.
predatory for
I'll-
people during.
I'm not saying you're a liar. I just don't particularly remember making this argument. But again, I'm not calling you a liar.
Mhm.
But in the case, any which way, like they shouldn't be within that system to begin with, right? Like that
I think-
shouldn't be the case.
But
to
if the
be-
system
but what do
exists
we do
now,
about
you
the
would say
kids
that
who are
like
there?
it's
Yeah.
their fault though. Like, it's their fault for going to college.
no,
say
The
that
it's not
student
right
loans
now.
are predatory
no,
and forced, like they're needed.
We're saying
Yeah.
arguably the scholarship system could be predatory depending on how they do it, and like these bigger schools are definitely predatory
Yeah,
in the
so-
way. But now it's less predatory since they can now because the transfer rule is gone, which was a big
It's-
factor in that.
Yeah, I don't know if these contracts, the student loan contracts, are predatory in the way that you're even describing, though, right? Like, sorry, for the student athlete contracts. I don't know. Like, my understanding is that their terms aren't that bad. I mean, like, I took student loans back then. And the terms don't seem even as bad as that. So, like,
The terms
if I
aren't
was
bad.
forced to be consistent, then sure, okay. Well, then those kids, they signed those contracts, assuming they were 18. Then yeah, I guess it's fine.
Isn't the interest rates on student loans crazy?
They
like
are.
higher
That's
than
why we
average?
shouldn't have them. Again, once again, my
No.
prescription is, hey, the U.S. should pay for everyone's colleges, right? So like
The
that's
think-
boost, the boost
uh,
in income, is like significantly more than
It's worth it.
what the actual.
Yeah, it's
debt
for
costs.
sure
costs you
worth
got-
it.
yeah.
There's
Like,
also,
for example,
largely a
most student debt-
pause while you're at school.
Yes, there
interest.
is, and you can also get deferment for other reasons, a whole bunch. But this is why the most student debt is held by higher income populations in the United States, right? So
That's why, largely speaking, if you get rid of student debt, it is actually regressive. It actually benefits.
it is regressive. Yeah,
I think
benefits
I think
higher
it's
income
not.
people.
I think it would be what I've heard is actually it can be beneficial for undergrad. I think post secondary.
No, even for
Still,
undergrad.
Yeah,
I
undergrad.
understand what
it's
you're saying, but
you're still in
there's benefits though. The benefits outweigh the
Yeah, well,
negativity.
no, the benefit is you give like wealthier people a bunch of money, which
you should. My argument is that you should have free
No,
college.
there's a lot
but
of
you should
people who
not.
don't finish college.
Yeah. I agree. My opinion is usually you should make free college, but you should not wipe student debt. That is a regressive tax.
Again,
so
I
many
think-
people
I'm
who
about to say,
don't
I don't want to make it
benefit,
about student debt,
what?
but I'm
who
just
Sorry,
saying
didn't
that
finish
I-
their
it is-
degrees, so on and so forth. I'm
That's
not
fine.
even.
No, sure, but people who finish their degrees, it is largely speaking, the student debt is largely held within the highest quintile of the American
yes, because the
population.
vast majority of student debt isn't held by undergrad.
I also think one suggestion that I think would be really interesting would be I've heard some people propose this. I don't fully know what I think about it, but I can think it might have some positive market effects. Is that you make college loans bankruptable, but the debt gets transferred to the institution that you went to. So if you graduate from a college and you like are poor
What happened?
and you can't make any money, I killed him so much.
Yeah.
What if you get what if you like
Yeah,
get
the
wasted?
ultimate
What if you
gun.
get
logic
what if you
destroyed
get
him.
wasted every day and then just like don't
So-
show up to class and you drop out? Should the school still take?
Well,
the,
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. You would have to have like some kind of
but
like
they can't
process
prove
for,
I
like,
did that.
yeah. If the school can prove some kind of no, but what you would do is like that would
Well, you get academic
incentivize.
probation and so on and so forth.
It would
as well.
incentivize them to
yeah.
actually fucking make it work.
Yeah,
but then
because
they're-
now,
but then
now
they're
it's
just gonna
like
raise the lower the standards. So like, oh, we're gonna put
no, they were
probation
raising
on anybody.
standards.
No. Say like right now, I think academic probation is like what 2.5 or 2.8.
I did not hear a
depending
word
on
of
the
the
school.
Yeah,
sentence.
Yeah,
he
what
never
are you
slurs,
saying?
by the way.
He never
ever
slurs.
I think academic probation
probation.
is gonna be
Academic
like
probation.
2.8,
okay, I'm with
like
you.
a GPA, or like 3.0 or 2.5, depending. What they're
Totally
gonna do is
depends on
just
the
gonna
school.
like raise it or lower it. It's like, oh, okay, everybody 3.0.
No.
3.2.
You would have
So
you would
now
have
anybody
to.
that jumps in there for any reason.
No, I understand. I understand. You would have to have some kind of like. It's not going to be so simple. But like when you look at what the actual effects of this would be is. Universities are going to be incredibly incentivized now to be more selective with who they allow in, and also to put in tremendous amounts of effort to make sure
That
that
it's
their
worth it.
graduates have marketable skills and can make a lot of money. Because if they're on the hook for the debt that a student
Yeah, I hate
incurred
this
if
idea.
I'm
they
with
can't
it.
make
I
money,
hate this
do it.
idea.
I think this is
this
probably there's
idea.
probably going to be some
Awful.
downstream effects, but I'll hear it.
I feel like
But I
Lactose is
d- I
always
don't
about
think it's
giving
gonna
people
probably
work
less
out.
access to
Th-
things. Like he's
this
always
is
like
an
all this
awful
policies
idea.
come back to people.
Yeah.
Less people deserve.
Oh, wait,
Rather
just to
than
be clear,
just,
just to be clear, no, this is the most progressive idea I have because as it stands right now, student loans are not bankruptable. So like you're
Yeah.
just stuck with them for life until you pay them off.
Yeah.
So my proposal is actually more progressive than most
the
of my
current
opinions.
system.
No,
And by the way, I'm not sure about what I actually feel about this. I want to make that clear because it is progressive, and that's an indication that's terrible. So I got to be a little bit
Mm.
careful here. There might be some pitfall that I'm not aware of. I'm just trying to think about like certain ways to
We
fix this
should
problem.
be paying
less
back
people involved.
loans from the past, right? Which
Ugh.
wouldn't benefit me because I already paid off my loans, right? From undergrad and graduate. I already did that. So we should be doing that, even though it's not going to benefit Prime, right? Because Prime can operate in that way.
You should
give-
get that
take,
money back, Prime.
Take
Yeah,
some
it should
notes,
benefit
um,
other high-income
You should
people.
get reparations
Uh,
for paying your student loans.
Wait,
that
do
you
you have a
didn't
counter
to.
to that? Like the fact that most student debt is owned by doctors who make like
Yeah,
200K?
actually, I do have a counter to that. That's extremely limiting to doctors. Like if I
What?
could
They
not,
make
listen,
200K!
Oh no, hold on.
What
I'm
if they're
gonna
a
spell it out
doctor
for
of
you.
like?
Don't worry, I'm
like
gonna spell it out for
method,
you very quickly.
Doctor of art.
Because
they don't make
like,
200K.
if I couldn't, like,
Might make
let's
50
say,
cents.
like, oh my god. So let's say I couldn't. I'm in Congress and I can't get a bill passed for universal college tuition, right? Government paid college tuition, right? Then the thing that I would accept, right, just under that would be just doing it for doctors.
Okay, here's what's
right? Just for
crazy
doing it for doctors.
to me,
And
Prime.
hold on, I'm gonna explain it. Don't worry, I'll explain it because it makes sense, right? The reason why that's such it's an awful idea is that not to pay for them is because doctors are then forced, right? They're forced to go into specializations that they don't want to do, right? There's it skews the
Think of the
field, medical
doctors.
field. Yes, actually
Think
of the doctors.
of the people who
No,
have
hold on. Yes,
$200,000.
hold on. Unironically, think of the doctors because if you think about the doctors, then they and give them
Oh,
I'm a
financial
doctor of
space,
theater
then
art.
they can think about the patients.
These poor
Actually, it makes-
anesthesiologists,
hold on.
they make so
Let
much
me-
money.
sorry, hold on. Let me make the case and make the case, and then you can make fun of it. It's fine, okay?
Okay.
It skews the landscape of the medical field. This is well known, right? Prime is not just making this up. He's not pointing this out of his ass. It skews the medical field to specializations, and it skews our remuneration because those doctors, right? Because they need to pay down their loans, they advocate, right, for higher remunerations for each of their tests, right? And then the hospitals, right? They all skew to like let's make our patients do useless tests, right? This skews where the money goes, where the majority of it should go to general practice. A lot of doctors want to do that, but they can't because they're buried under student loans. It's crazy, actually. So that because if and I've said this many times before, right? That Medicare for all doesn't really work in this country without paying for college tuition because we need to increase for doctors. Because we need to increase the amount of doctors available, right? Massively increase that supply. But this is a huge barrier for them. So yeah, and I'd be fine also because I'm not thinking of the doctors, right? I don't care about their pocketbook so much. I'm fine with then lowering their payments overall, right? That works for me too. The point is not to have them under debt. That's the issue, not what they're
Okay.
making afterwards.
I have a couple questions for what you're saying.
The
Why would-
American Medical Student Association limits like we could have more doctors if we wanted more doctors. Like the industry itself limits the number of doctors that they
I
have
agree that
because to
there
keep
should
their
be
pay
a
high.
number
Dr.
of-
Jinx needs you to pay for his college, guys.
Well,
I-
and that's bullshit, by the way. It's a really good point. There are artificial
Licensing.
limitations
Like
on how many
licensing.
people can be doctors in an area, and
That's
that is
true.
an artificial way to drive the salary of doctors up.
That's true. Yeah.
Maybe
shouldn't
just
be a
an
thing.
area like med schools will say like we're only passing 50% of this class,
Schools,
like
hospital
period.
licensing.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
They-
yeah, I agree. We should get rid of
they
all
put
those
limits,
things. Yeah,
artificial
that's
limits.
why these are all
There's
limitations.
not a
on
federal
doctors'
thing
supply.
though.
I'm with you.
No, that's one. I
But none of those are federal.
acknowledge
That's
what you
just
just said.
industry.
No, but hold on, friend, I acknowledge what you just said. But also, right, like getting through medical school, right, and coming out of a huge amount of debt keeps people who might otherwise go into the medical field from doing so. And then once they do, even they make that decision, right, it affects where they go and what they expect from
Which is a
remuneration
good thing.
and what the doctors.
But I think you're starting
not
at the
a
one that
all
makes you
thing.
feel
It
the
is a
best
good
versus
thing.
the one that's
That's,
actually the biggest problem.
So, sorry, what'd you say? Bam?
I'm saying I think you're starting at the one that like at the issue that makes you feel the best versus the issue that would make the biggest difference.
Because
I'm saying-
wait, hold on. Hey, I started this.
No, hold on. Bam. Honestly, please.
Well,
Bam,
can I
bam,
ask the
Do you
question?
think-
When you,
Do you think I'm against all those other things? I literally just said, hey, I agree with it,
No,
right?
it's not about
But
against. It's
specifically-
just talking about where
but-
like
but
where we
hold
put our
on, but
priorities at.
specific-
when y'all say
but
doctors, do you mean only
specifically the
medical
thing that I was
doctors?
asked about
Yes.
was my stance on
So, like,
He said that this would be the
college,
second
tuition,
closest
right?
thing if
That's
he
the
couldn't
thing
get
I'm
the
talking
other
about
shit.
right now. But I agree with doing all that other stuff.
Prime,
I take it all
just
down.
to cl-
when
just
are
to
you
clarify-
for
I
concessions?
said-
Just
I
to
said-
clar-
I said-
politically.
just to
I talked about
clarify,
AMA
when do you
before,
ever talk about the
because as
second
soon as I
best
read
option?
about that, I thought that was disgusting.
We got to go back to
Just-
the
Yes,
just-
in a
I
second.
agree
just
with
to
all that.
clarify-
It's so weird. Why would
just
you
to
say that?
just to clarify, when you say doctors, we're not talking about like doctor of archaeology.
No, he's talking about
No
medical
one's talking
doctors.
about
Medical
these other
doctors.
doctors.
Are you
Oh,
new to the
doctors.
English language, Gibbs?
I'm just making
Technically-
sure. We're just
Technically,
making sure.
I was talking about
you and I
doctors
are
of the
both technically
hospital.
doctors.
And
I'm getting
technically, some
messages.
doctors are
People
patients
asking what
sometimes.
doctors we're talking about.
No, I know because
Sometimes-
Gibbs is a doctor. Gibbs is
Yeah,
actually a
yeah,
doctor as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
also a
yeah.
doctor.
Sometimes
Technically
Dr. Jill
speaking.
Biden needs to go into the hospital.
know,
and
Doc-
then she's
Dr.
a doctor
Jill-
in the hospital.
Yeah, Jill Biden insisting on doctors is the cringiest.
I
shit.
had
agree.
no student loans with my
Very
doctor.
cringy.
Yeah.
But
I'm
but
fine
hold
with
on.
you going by doctor. I
But
just know
no,
that
it's
when we
cringy
call
as fuck.
doctors, we call them doctors.
Yeah, it's cringy
Yeah,
as
fair
fuck.
enough.
No,
It's- I'm
really,
whatever, I don't really
honestly, nobody should go by doctor unless they're a medical doctor. This is my hot take. I
Fine.
think that's
Well,
how
what
it
if
should
they're
be.
like,
Lawyers should
that's
go by
fine.
I
Esquire.
agree. I
That's
agree.
fine.
Wait, if you're
Yeah.
a doctor of like poli science, you shouldn't be like Doctor So and So. Like you
No,
wouldn't
no,
be-
Should we
no,
call him Dr.
no,
King?
no.
They should
Hey,
call it a
I,
different
look,
thing.
if you're a member of one of those, bow tie, thick glasses kind of industries, we can call you professor. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr.
I
King.
think that like
Professor's
titles
Where's you
are
for
important for
Toledo?
designation.
Rocket
Professor
science.
And yeah. Titles I think for me are important for designation and social understanding. And so if most people understand doctor to mean medical doctor, that's what it should be limited to. Come on.
So like
Like,
rocket
Like,
science
it-
guys.
like
it's
what,
so-
do
it's
you
so
go-
dumb.
Do you go by Esquire? I feel like all lawyers.
I don't know.
Ooh.
I am I could go by Esquire, but it sounds conceited, so I don't.
Yeah,
really
It does.
I think it's so
It
good.
for
But
sure
you
does.
should,
You sound
but you
British,
should.
and
Right,
you
cool.
don't want to
Yeah.
sound British.
Or
No,
what's the
but
other one?
there's
Judas,
already-
what's the other one? Judas. What's the?
No,
Juris Doctor.
I have a Juris Doctor, but
Okay.
nobody really goes by that. I mean, if I'm in the like, I will go by like attorney, because
Attorney is a good one.
that's very much communicates. Esquire is this weird kind of esoteric
Attorney is a
um,
like a lawyer that passed the bar, right? Like if you finish law school,
an attorney.
you're a
A lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit weird, but if you graduate from law school, generally you'll be called a lawyer. If you are a lawyer that is licensed to practice law, then you're
You're
an
an
attorney.
attorney.
Is generally how it works.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, these designators. Anyway, my hot take was kind
Yeah,
of a
let's
little bit
go.
of this.
Yeah, I think we
Um,
all agree with that hot take.
But Prime, like, I guess a couple things. First of all, doctors generally, even general practice doctors, make a lot of money. They make enough money to account for the large debt that they have. I don't disagree. it is generally true across the board, and there are several studies that prove this, that the extra money that you make from going to college and taking on the college debt to go to college, more than pays for itself. I don't see it as a problem that people feel motivated to meet market needs by going into industries that pay higher because there's fewer of them, fewer supply as compared to demand, to try to fit that. I don't see that as necessarily a problem. And I don't also really feel that simple. And you know, I understand maybe like feeling sympathetic for people, like if in a market sense they really fit a niche, but like the market sense kind of sucks for them, like they're poor or whatever. I sort of understand I sort of understand the sympathy to them, I suppose. But these kind of like higher end professionals, I just don't have sympathy for them. And this is myself included, right? Like these are people who are going to live better on average, significantly so, especially with a doctorate, far more than somebody who's never gotten one. Far more than people who are blue collar or working retail. Not even close.
Speak to their
This
quality
is
of
why
life.
liberals fail. Right, this is why liberals fail.
Why they hand wash for
Because
fascists.
I know. Yeah, when you look at you agreeing with a conservative, right? Look at
hand washing for fascism.
No, I mean,
How
of
is this
course it does. Like,
fascism?
I
Us
don't
saying
care
we don't want to.
because because I don't give a fuck about
Come on over, Hunter,
your
come on.
sympathies, right?
Fuck
This is
you,
about
Gibbs.
Sympathies,
Hunter's
right?
already there.
And certainly, right, was surprised that a conservative doesn't have sympathy for a population.
Hold on.
Amazing,
Wealthy
right?
doctors.
Like, who hasn't seen this before, right? But again, I don't give a fuck about your sympathies, right? And my policies aren't about sympathies. My policy is about making this country better, right? And the policy that I prefer, that I also made clear any which way, is across the board paying for college tuition, because
Okay.
Let's
we
throw
want
on
to
with yacht
eliminate
debt.
the friction. We want to eliminate the friction.
Yeah.
Keeping people from starting businesses or like being as productive as possible, right? And if going through college, their path may not be through college, and then we should also pay for trade schools. If their path is through there, right? Then we should allow them to reach their full potential and not put those barriers in place. But from a liberal perspective, they're like, well, yeah, like I love half measures. Right? And so an argument that's appealing to me is that, we don't want to pay for rich people. There might be a rich person somewhere who gets cut a check. Oh my God.
No, it's not about
right?
that.
And so no, it is about that.
It's that it's more.
I'll tell you what it's about.
That's why our social safety net looks the way it does. A complete fucking mess.
Okay,
right?
let me tell you what it's about.
Let's give money to everyone who lives.
We understand that when you make a social safety net just for poor people, well, then it's easily attacked, right? Now, but here's the liberal, like now said, yeah, let's means test it. Oh my God, a rich person might get a check. Oh no! And that would be the first time. That would be the first time in American history that a rich person gets a check from the government.
Disproportionately rich people
Can
get
I
checks.
go? This is to me. This is to me.
Wait a minute.
That never happened.
Ma'am, this is
before
to me.
college, it never happens after college,
Disproportionately
right?
rich
This is
people
the
get
only
checks.
time. And now that would be such a loss. How a rich person gets a
What-
check.
Brian, how you doing?
Disproportionately wealthy
Right.
people get checks.
Right.
This would be like having let's pay off. Yes,
No,
let's
no,
pay
no,
off
no,
everybody's
Beverly
yacht debt.
Hills.
Let's pay off everybody's yacht debt next.
I like that idea. Can I get a yacht? Can we buy a yacht?
It will
No.
overhelp the poor.
Hold
If
on,
we
hold
make
on, hold on. This
universal-
is to
No,
me.
I want to
If
talk
we make,
to the
and if we
poor.
make the benefit universal, then it's harder to
doesn't make
attack.
it universal.
Simply the case. That's how it always
Hold on,
works.
hold on.
It's
Can I
like
go?
how
Can I
white people
go?
haven't
Can I
gotten
go?
Medicare.
let
Even
me
though
go, and then
that's
you
what
go.
desperately wants to get rid
Fine.
of it, right?
I
They
got-
still haven't managed to get Medicare because of the universal program.
Okay,
But
Brian, really
liberals can't understand this, of course.
got you. Really quickly, this is specifically about poor people. This isn't about rich people getting things. It's just you don't deal with the other side of the economics of that. If you take the highest earners in the society and you remove any debt they've incurred, what does that do to a person who doesn't attend college, doesn't go to trade school, and they're a widget maker in a factory, who's probably only going to make $30,000-$40,000 a year? What do you
Inflation.
like?
Do you think that college debt is the check on wealth? Is that what you think that is?
No, but it's gonna
is
contribute to some.
It's the
through their
weakest. If
20s.
that's what you're resting your case.
Hold
it's
on,
the
hold on.
weakest possible
Everyone pause.
check on wealth.
I'd like to go. Okay, so a couple things. First off, The idea that I'm in favor of means testing versus universal, like that is disrespectful to me. I am absolutely a universal person. Okay,
Right.
I think largely speaking, I'm for Medicare for all. I think that almost all welfare should be universal rather than means tested. There's a lot of reasons for this. I can get into that. This is not universal versus means test. This is disproportionately, as like what I said multiple times, this is a regressive tax. This gives more money to the higher earners rather than the lower earners.
Man,
I'm going to
y'all
say
are
that
like-
really clear. Wait, hold on. And if we want to get frustrated that doctors are largely being pushed into wherever people are making more money, if only we had some sort of indicator that shows where society needs those doctors more. Oh wait, we do. It's called a price. If more people are getting
No, it
pushed
does. Oh my
towards,
God.
I gotta say, I was pretty
That's
against
the
that.
dumbest
No,
rule.
forgive me, y'all,
Oh my
y'all
God,
really
yes, the one
convinced me.
that the
Absolutely.
Y'all are
the
convincing me to get
liberal,
on board.
like,
Don't
buys
forgive
the
me.
conservative argument. Hold on, but the price is affected by other things. It's
The rich
affected
I
by
agree.
other things.
Check.
Yeah,
I agree,
know,
of
hold
course
on,
it
hold
is.
on. No, wait a minute. No,
It's
you're
just gonna be
saying
affected by-
that like that shows this is where society needs them the most. No,
It's where the
may
hospital
not,
needs them
because
the
it's
most.
destroyed by a bunch of other
Sure.
factors within
Where
the
the
market as
patients need
well,
them the most.
right? So no,
there's a lot of
could be-
factors.
Yes, there's a
I
lot of
agree that there.
factors.
I agree. It's a complicated factor. I'm not trying. Maybe I should have given more nuance to that statement. Okay. Fine.
Yeah,
But-
because you pushed me in favor of being
Oh
in favor
my
of
God.
Because it gives rich people money. I know,
now
Gibbs.
you know,
I-
suddenly I'm
Nice.
in board.
No,
I wanna-
this is unironically why
I
Gibbs
want to be
supports it
clear.
now.
I want to be
Like,
clear.
I think you're underestimating. Wait,
This is a. I am against regressive
Yeah.
taxes. I'm against regressive taxes. When more money, when we pass a
For grad
bill
school, it's
and
different.
more money goes to the rich people than the poor people, I think that is bad. Now,
So-
I think it's fair. Ollie brought up a good point. If you drop out of college, you are saddled with a ton of debt and you aren't able to
So it's
climb
not
back out.
exempt.
Now, largely speaking,
It's a
because you dropped
disincentive for
out,
dropping out.
I agree. That is fair. There's
You
a
don't want people to
there's a
drop out?
conversation to be had. But largely
If you
speaking,
wanna- can do something else.
hold
Better
on.
for them.
Largely
Sorry.
speaking, I do think they are going to have much less debt than someone who has stayed in college more. That's just math. But I am more in favor of wiping the debt of people who haven't been able to graduate. But if you have a college degree on your resume, the amount of money that you are statistically more likely to get is far outweighed by the amount of money that it costs to go into that college. It is a good financial decision, and the
maybe-
idea that
hold
we
on.
are wiping that
the
idea.
math is changing on that right now.
It's not. It's
People,
not.
yes,
It's
it
not.
is. It absolutely is. Well, like
I'd love to see your
college
People with a
stats.
high
graduates
school
are
diploma only aren't making
less
more than people
money.
with college degrees.
Especially
I don't care if they're making
because
less.
it's
They're-
becoming more
people with high school diplomas are doing
ubiquitous.
worse.
But that's
Could you
again,
show me some
I'm
stats
fine
on
with
that?
that. I'm okay with that. That's okay with me. Because college degrees are becoming more plentiful. And it's becoming more expected.
Too plentiful.
Though
honestly.
sometimes I don't know about that.
Wait a minute, you're talking about they're coming more expected.
yeah.
You're not dealing with people who only have high school diplomas in that. You're just talking about college people compared to other college people.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. Sorry.
You're saying that like, oh, they're making less because degrees are becoming more like. I don't care how college degrees compare to other people with college degrees. I'm saying deal with people who don't go to college.
Correct.
I know.
What is
hold
the-
on, no,
what
I
is the
didn't say.
solution?
I
What
didn't say
happens to
you didn't get. I didn't say you get no benefits, but those benefits
No, but I want you to
are
address the
disappearing.
poor people.
Address the.
But
sorry,
if the
why am I-
benefits are
why do you think
minimized
I'm not addressing the poor people?
regardless,
You
This
haven't
entire
acknowledged them once.
conversation is about me doing that. I've been
No.
doing that the entire time.
I don't care about people who went to college. Prime. Talk about people who didn't go to college. What happens to them?
I don't know. I don't
and
know.
you
I
shouldn't be
understand.
shocked
I
by
don't
this.
understand what. I don't know.
Here,
what
let me
you're
just
doing.
let's phrase it.
I'd
Let me
like
phrase
to-
it this way.
I want to go back.
Let me
Yes.
let me prime. Here's maybe I think a way of using a hypothetical, maybe like condensing
Whoa.
down the points that are being made to you. Okay.
oh god.
So no, it's please follow.
Spooky.
Please try it. Come on, we can do it. So you would agree that if I gave you $50 as a loan, let's say, and then I canceled the loan, that's essentially the same thing as me just giving you $50. Do you agree?
Indeed.
Okay, it's just a handout.
Indeed.
It's giving you $50. So if it would cost
Don't
you
use
the
that
same amount of money,
terminology.
if it would,
Lactoid,
if it
don't
would
use
co-
that.
oh, hold on, I'm almost there, because he hates handouts for the rich.
Yeah.
So if I was just going to give $50 to a wealthy person, or just give $50 to a poor person, which should I do?
Give or why not both?
No, or in this case, it's or
You can't- if they don't go to
because we
college,
live in a
you don't-
society with like scarce resources. right?
Okay.
No, it's not even
I would-
or.
I would
Like,
like-
they
I would
go
like to- I would like to
college,
bring
they
it
can't
back.
get
It's fine. No, I don't
Can I-
care. Give it to a poor
I would like
person.
to bring it
Sure.
back.
Wait, hold on.
Fine.
Give it to a poor person,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
In this
So it's-
hypothetical, there is scarce resources.
Yeah. In this hypothetical, that is the real world. There's scarce resources. Okay.
Well,
So if you are okay with just giving the $50 to a poor person, why don't you say we shouldn't do student loan forgiveness? Instead, we should just take whatever that would cost and give it in the form of, I don't know, whatever fucking poor program you people like, extra,
WIC.
some UBI pilot program or some
Hell
WIC
yes.
or
Hell
some
yes.
fucking
wait,
shit like that.
I'll tell you exactly why. I'll tell you exactly why. But because student loan debt for other people, not me, already paid it off, right? Won't benefit myself. Other
gonna
well,
talk about
I mean,
college people
maybe
again.
give me the money anyway. I'll take it. That student loans, right? Is a weight around the neck of
Jesus Christ,
everyone.
Prime, missing it.
Sorry, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Sorry.
Wait,
Bam,
wait,
we're
wait,
talking
how
about
is it a weight around their neck?
When you're done, I wanna
Hold on, hold on. Stop. Hold on, wait, let me hold on. Aren't
I
the
would like to
burdens?
go.
Aren't the daily burdens of an average WIC recipient also a weight around their neck that is far
Sorry,
greater
hold on.
than whatever
Wait a minute.
burden is being
Wait a
suffered
minute.
by the
Wait
doctor?
a minute. Wait a
Okay,
minute. Wait a
all right,
minute.
after you go,
Wait a
Prime.
minute. Wait a minute.
I'm waiting. I am
Do you
waiting.
think-
I am ready. I am prepared.
Do you think that Prime is against giving benefits, right? Additional benefits to the WIC recipient?
You
No.
can't just give
No.
everything to
Wait,
everybody.
Wait, hold on.
Hey,
No, wrong,
hey,
wrong.
Regular guy.
Actually, no, hold on, stop. Hold on. Everyone,
Actually, I can. I can give
can't do
literally
all at
everything to
once, right?
everybody.
I'm gonna handle lactoid, and then I'll deal with because Bam.
But
I
I
have
was the
to
one who
check-
was
And then give it to
I don't
Gibbs.
know
I
what
want to
you're
go.
talking about,
Gibbs,
Bam.
get the fuck out of
Sorry,
here.
Bam, I don't know what you're talking about. One second.
I'm-
So you
I'm
have
in
to
the
explain
list.
to me later. I
You're
don't
not.
know.
You're only in one list I know
So
of.
I have no.
Yeah.
Actually, we
Nazi
can
list.
give those benefits. We actually can, because look at how we're going to all of a sudden find right the money for a $500 billion
war.
increase to the military. Right, all of a sudden that exists, right? And
God.
I'm told no, there's no money for the people. There's no money for the social program. Once again,
You
once
just
again,
have these like
conservatives tell us we're broke,
thought-terminating
right?
cliches.
Hold on,
You
hold
just
on.
hit.
Excuse me, hold on, please. The conservative right now who's telling me that we're broke as a country, and this is impossible, right? Also voted for the president who plans to increase the military budget by $500 billion, right?
How much would it cost to
1.5
remove all student loan
trillion-
debt?
$1.5 trillion, and then the next thing we're broke. Well, of course we're
Wait,
broke.
How
right?
much would it cost?
No,
How much
of
would it
course
cost
we're
to
broke.
cancel all student loan
So,
debt?
I don't know. I'll find.
Do you know?
I'll find it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like
I-
$1.6 trillion.
I want to point out.
that's it?
I want to bring it back to the.
That's
I
it?
don't know.
I want to bring it back.
Hold
to
on,
the
that's
original
more than
topic.
we're spending on the
But to be
military.
clear, if we did that, that'd be a one-time payment, right? If we increase the military budget, right, as we've
We're gonna have to pay that going
every time,
forward.
hold on. As we've seen every time, that military budget will increase year after year. So if it goes to 1.5 trillion this year, it'll go to 1.6 trillion at least next year, right? And so that'll continue on. As we know, it's only been a one-way ratchet, right?
But it's not a
So,
one-time thing because
again-
there's a cumulative process if we don't make college free.
Again, the policy that I'm talking about, right, relieves people of that financial burden and then allows them to be more productive. Allows them because so many people
Pay
they
more
don't wanna
taxes.
leave
With
the
this,
job
wait,
that
stop.
they're-
Wouldn't
they
this
don't
apply to
wanna leave-
mortgages?
They'll
They'll
spend
spend
it on
more
the
money.
jobs that they're
That's
in,
a great
right?
question.
They can't even bother to. I'm not done. They can't bother to leave the jobs that they're in because they have to service this debt, right? Rather than doing the more productive thing that they could be doing, right? They need to service the debt that they've been saddled with. They shouldn't have had that debt to begin with, right? We should get rid of that debt, and then, and especially not all of them are even using their college degree for whatever, right? But that is what it is, right? And so that we can have a maximally efficient workforce. That's why I would do it. Done.
Would you apply this to
Wait.
mortgages?
No, let me talk. I need.
I wanna
time
go off
deal
to bed.
with- 'cause we're
I
gonna
wanna
move
go
on
too.
again. Prom.
Okay.
I want you to help understand what I'm talking about. I'm
Okay.
saying there is a guy. He's not on WIC. He doesn't have any disabilities. He's 28 years old. He's 32 years old, and when he turned 18, he barely finished college. Was not a good fit for him. Trades were not a good fit for him. He went and worked at the local widget factory. That's what he does. He makes $34,000 a year.
Mhm.
He has almost no discretionary income. and you're saying that you're going to there's someone else that makes $150,000 a year, but they're probably paying like $25,000 towards their debt each year. You're saying that you're going to give that person that's making $160,000 $25,000 more in discretionary income, and you don't think that's going to infect the price of goods. You don't think it's going to increase the cost of goods for the cost of goods because people at the top are able to afford more.
I understand that. Like,
but the guy not making any more money, Prime.
Yeah, I know.
The guy at the bottom not making any more money.
Hey, is Prime against raising the minimum wage? Prime can do that.
No, the minimum wage doesn't fix that.
Like, whatever.
He makes more than the minimum wage.
Doesn't fix that.
Less than 2% of workers make the minimum wage.
It doesn't matter. If you raise the minimum wage, it works its way through the economy.
Do you think 34,000 is minimum wage?
Get an increase, but like I don't. Like, so you're saying, hey, there's going to be an inflationary impact, right?
No, but he was talking about
right.
Yes,
but like, there's lots of inflationary impacts. Sorry, what? Sorry,
why do you want more of them?
Who is that hurting though?
I'm saying, yes, hey, every policy has its trade-offs. I'm okay with this trade-off this one time. We're talking about like
why is this
trade-off? What are the benefits? I don't even know what the benefits are.
I just laid them out because you were
it relieves the burden.
Hold on, Hunter, you were too up your ass to actually.
Stop. I'm listening.
Right? You were just waiting. Sorry, you were just waiting for me to stop talking.
Actually,
not waiting. Still interrupting me the entire time, rather than actually engaging or anything.
I'm listening to what you're
I'm
saying.
not going to repeat it. Hunter, go into the VOD, rewind it, because I just fucking told you. If you're too stupid to listen, then I'm sorry. I'm not going to fucking repeat it for you. Don't ask me.
Okay,
so I just spent like 5 minutes on a rant telling you what it was, right? And you couldn't figure out.
Okay.
I haven't heard it. That's your fucking problem, Hunter.
Is it that one guy's fault for college not being a good fit for him? Does that just mean he just has to die now in this new society? Like he has to figure out.
No, Bam.
He's not gonna make the money.
My policy
he's gonna get stuff too.
Executing the non-college goers. No, it doesn't involve executing them. They don't get shot in the street. Don't worry about
what
it.
happens.
There's no
tell me what happens to
provision
them.
in my policy where those people get shot in the street or have to start.
So you told me what didn't happen to him. What happens to him now, though? Give me something positive that happens to them.
Sure.
Here's how you're accounting for them.
More businesses are created, right? And more productivity happens in the country, and he has more opportunities. Maybe he doesn't have to work at Widget Factory A. He can work at Widget Factory B. That is going to pay him more. There you go.
So I want to go here because I want to bring it back to the original topic because I know at the beginning of the show. Yes, because it ties in, and I have 2 points. I have 2 points, and they're important. They're separate points. One's the Corey though, first, because Corey is an anti-college athlete, right? And originally, one of the first ways for African Americans to make millions of dollars, now this isn't the case anymore, was to be an athlete. And guess what? A disproportionately large portion of the NCAA athletes, especially of the 10% that do go pro, are African American. So, like, this is something that's giving African Americans education. This is giving them a chance at making it to the big leagues, making millions. This is supplementary. A lot of these kids use their degrees afterwards. This is basically like DEI, but for athletic ability and intelligence. Corey, why do you hate African Americans? I have a second point after he engages. Yeah.
They were the most.
Well, hold on. We have a second point before
we can say black now.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. Why do you hate African
American sounds.
Wait, where in my opening statement did I say that?
Well, you hate college sports, so you hate African Americans because they're.
Oh my God! Are we back 2 hours ago? The conversation has shifted.
I've been waiting 2 hours to talk, bitch.
This is actually the topic.
You've been waiting 2 hours for that point.
I done the hand waves for about and then I have a second point about this other bullshit. What's Corey's done? So you shut the fuck up for a second.
You're telling me I hand waved for this guy?
Yeah, we're waiting.
You hand wash for him, yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Corey.
All right,
Corey,
I believe I mentioned in my opening statement that like I was uncertain of like why the NCAA is like different than the NBA, as in like from what I understand, like I would want them to operate like the NBA. So I want black people to have more money.
They all look the same to you. Is what
no,
you're saying.
I love black people.
Okay.
He's got black bread.
No, as for what y'all were just talking about, motherfuckers. So point number 2. So I was looking up some statistics while Hunter was over here making terrible points as always. I want to go in here, and I don't know if you know this because Prime brought up the military. Now Prime is all about raising people from lower ethnic groups. I don't know if you know this, but 17
from
to
lower
20%,
ethnic groups.
Yeah, lower ethnic groups. So
What's a lower ethnic group? Give me the idea of a lower ethnic group.
Lower economically earning.
He meant income.
Lower earning. Listen, we can talk about the specific.
By the way, he never
workforces.
slurs ever.
Yeah, never slurs.
slurs.
Hold on, I didn't say a slur, but the point that I'm making is 17 to 20% of the U.S. military is either Hispanic or African American. That's two separate groups. So 40% are Hispanic or African American. So by virtue of creating a larger military force, they get $30,000 at the lowest end, but that's not including the benefits they get from being on base, which after you include all the benefits equals out to about $60K a year. So what Prime is saying by he wants to get rid of military spending, he actually wants to decrease the significant millions of people or thousands or hundreds of K people that are Hispanic or black and are benefiting from being in the military and getting college education.
So, Prime, do you hate black people?
Why do you hate your fellow African Americans and Hispanics?
Why do you hate black people?
Why do you
Prime?
hate these
First of all,
people?
Prime
I
is
guess Prime's technically African American, but he's not.
Yeah, with all that money for the
Yeah.
military, they can start businesses.
Yeah,
so
they
I
can
mean,
start
we,
Supplementary
African
businesses are being built because they
Yeah.
spend with the military.
Well, as anyone who
Business loans.
actually cares about the military understands, right? That money doesn't make it to the troops, right? Like that goes to defense contractors instead.
That's why I mentioned their
so-
salaries and the benefits they get.
you know,
from living on
most of it
base.
goes to salaries. You're actually wrong
30,
in that.
30 to 60%.
No,
30,
but troop
30,000
wages
K.
just changed.
We
the
have
law.
on.
They have to,
Did,
like,
sorry,
state
right.
that.
Do we have enough last year to pay their salaries? Did we have enough to
No,
pay their salaries?
No,
last year?
we've been recruiting more, and we've been raising their salaries.
Did we have
most
enough
of-
to raise? Do we have enough?
it's not about enough.
Was $1 trillion enough last year?
For the amount
Is
of
it
people
more
that
than
we
enough?
had and the amount that we set their
Yeah,
wages at,
yeah,
yes.
but we had
Yeah,
enough.
But
and
we've
okay,
been-
and so
but we've
with-
been
and with
raising their
recruitment-
wages and
with the-
hiring more of
with
them.
with the
How?
recruitment
how
that's
is
gonna
it in the
happen
budget?
now,
By
right?
recruiting
Recruitment
more of
happen- now,
And getting
does
more
that
budget.
exceed $1 trillion? Is it that it was so much recruitment that we just don't have enough? Does it cost $1 trillion to pay this army?
Probably not
No.
all of it, but a significant chunk
No,
of
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so there is a certain amount that goes to the defense spending, right?
Yes.
And that increase isn't strictly about like paying the troops, right? And
not
in fact, if we
strictly.
didn't increase, hold on, but if we didn't increase, if we left it at $1 trillion, we can still pay the troops,
No, Prime. Stop.
correct?
You're right that we could
Correct?
pay some. Stop
Of
saying
course.
correct.
Oh,
Can I
okay.
finish?
Well,
Can I
that's
finish my
amendment.
thought? You
Sure,
just
go
peppered
ahead.
me with a question. They're saying correct when I get 3 words in. So
Yeah.
Gibbs's point.
Correct.
Gibbs's point was that the military pays a lot of people, and that the vast majority, and this is true, most of the budget of the military goes towards salaries. It goes towards
What
the salaries of
percentage?
the troops
What
themselves,
percentage?
and all. I forget the
And
exact
40%
percentage,
of
but it's
African
most.
American Hispanic.
Yeah.
Prime
It's
is one of those
most.
people
We spend
making
a
no
lot
more
of
money.
money on missiles.
It's most. Yeah, I know we spend a lot of money on missiles. We also spend a lot of money on the salaries of the troops and all the different support
Give me
personnel
the
that goes with
breakdown.
that.
I have stats.
Here, I'll look
Give
it
me
up.
the
I'll look
breakdown.
it
It's
up.
not
I'll
a
give you the
majority,
break-
it's a
engagement.
plurality.
I'm already
There is a
looking it up.
distinction.
Yeah, it sounds
Hold
more
on.
like a
I-
plurality, but-
last I checked, it was
Either
a
way,
majority.
you don't want 40% of the
Approximately,
military to get paid.
I don't
approximately
know.
Saying
Any
22,
which way, what
approximately
I will be
22 to
cutting doesn't
39%
include
of the budget
troops'
goes to
salaries.
military.
I'll cut
Goes to
everything else.
salary.
How
So
much
cut
did
it
you
at
say?
like 30%.
Yeah, I'm seeing around 30%.
Approximately
too.
22 to 39%, goes to salary. So like we can
Oh.
just
But it's
square that
almost
off at
certainly a
30%.
plurality. It's
Hold
almost
on,
certainly the
hold on.
highest.
I'm gonna find the
piece
actual
of pie.
numbers.
Of that,
Like,
but
we'll
Lacto said it was a
And
vast
also
majority.
I
A
agree.
vast
Hispanic
majority
or
of the
black.
budget.
I'm not on
goes-
Lactoid's side necessarily. I'm just saying.
You're
it's
always
pro-
on Lactoid's side. What are you
Stop.
talking about?
Always.
Genuinely?
Come on
You're
over
always
here.
hand washing
Come to me, my
fascists.
side.
Of course you are.
like,
You know what's crazy? It's like
you got gallons of Dawn soap in the back just waiting to hand wash.
on
man.
fucking on every time we're on different panels, me and Lactoid are like enemies, and then for some reason, every time we end up on Prime's panel, we become best friends, and I don't
You just
get it.
unite against black people.
I don't get
That's
it.
man.
That's what it is.
You
They
unite
hate-
against
they
black
hate
It's
people.
the
the black
socialism.
people. You see
It's
that?
a
Hey, you're on our
see
side for this
leftism.
one. What are
You have
you?
a
Come
common enemy
on.
with
Yeah,
black
for
people and
real.
with
That's what you back and
leftists,
forth.
okay?
Yeah,
So
what I
you
know.
hit
I'm back
Prime.
on
You
the
guys
black side
come and attack Prime. Look at
Okay,
the division you caused between Prime and Bam.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're creating black on black. crime.
Yeah.
We don't do this.
I laughed too hard. I'm sorry.
And
It's 'cause-
then
it's 'cause
Gibbs
they're
is over
Zionist
here
plan.
calling Gibbs is over here calling Prime African American.
Oh,
Yeah,
What are you
Prime's
doing?
Not even African.
That's the point. That's what I'm
Barely
saying.
American.
He's not an African
Are
American.
you not African American?
all right, Caribbean American. What do you want?
Oh,
African
Caribbean?
American. I'm absolutely African American, Black
Oh, wait,
American,
wait.
all those things. Yeah,
Wait,
I'm all of those
Are you
things.
not? Are you not Haitian?
That's Caribbean
Yeah,
American now.
I'm of Haitian heritage as well. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you were. I didn't know you were both. I thought you were just. You were
Yeah, I
Prime
think
is
we all
bisexual.
Haitian.
You found out today.
Yeah,
There we go. All right.
all
Well,
those
never
things.
mind. You
Born
know?
in the States. Yeah, Black.
So he's really French. He's really French.
Okay.
Is what it is.
Yeah, how do you feel with that, Prime? You're really French, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, we really get down to it.
Like Gibbs, you've never hurt me so bad.
Prime, we can do nothing.
That would tear me up inside, and I look French.
Okay.
but,
we're gonna have to like yeah, we're gonna have to like reconcile afterwards, buddy.
The last thing I'll say about the sports,
Much like Napoleon, I'm gonna run to Waterloo. I mean,
a little comment about it. I think that there is a like. I don't because I love the sport of college football too. There's also I love college sports in general, and I think that they're different from professional sports. And I want them to remain different from professional sports. To answer your question, Corey, like I don't want
Can you maybe illuminate like how are they different to you? 'Cause I'm ignorant on like what. It's hard for me to
Yeah,
distinguish.
so professional athletes have different responsibilities, different obligations. You can get cut mid-season. You can because you're an employee at the end of the day. They do their collective bargaining and things like that, but you are meant to show up at any hour. Like there's no rules or regulations on how long you're supposed to practice or
That's how
when they need you
teams
placed.
operate, though.
but student athletes also graduate at a higher rate than the regular athletes.
College football has meetings and things like that, but there are limits.
No,
like
no,
you still have to
not
take
only
time to
that.
study.
It's not only that. Also, obviously, you have obligated time to study. So, like, what I was gonna ask earlier was like, because you guys were talking about contracts. If the NCAA, like, the student athletes are workers for the college, they are making money for the college, and especially if because how does the NCAA operate? Like, is it not part of the colleges? Because like,
No,
if
it's
you're
above
if okay, so it's different, but they are benefiting off of the students and the college itself, right? So like if the student goes to a D1 school, they put you in the NCAA in the game.
Well, it's not
like,
just D1, it's
they're
D3
making-
all the way down.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
saying like
it's in the
at the end of the day,
NCAA.
the NCAA is making tons of money. You are an employee. I think what you were trying to get at in terms of like what the real difference between like NCAA and like the NFL was that typically the NCAA those players were playing for the love of the game, right? They're not getting paid. There's no tampering. It's like they're actually going in and trying to be like athletic in hopes of getting to an NFL.
Well,
probably the majority.
90%
Or
don't, but
I think
also
most just want to go to college.
yeah,
I would say most
90%
people
don't,
want to
and
go to college.
90% of college student athletes at all levels graduate and go into something else other
Yeah.
than going like so 90% graduate and
Probably higher than
90%
90%.
yeah, well that's what I'm just reading. Yeah, what I'm
Football
saying,
is
that-
like
probably
42%.
high. Yeah, but like 92% overall it graduates, right? And then 90% of all student athletes go into something other than sports. However, check this out: regular athletes, the ones Corey wants over student athletes, graduate at 68 to 70%. So we're looking at 20% higher for student athletes. So student athletes are just superior to the nerds.
Oh, you
that
mean-
don't
well,
go to
I-
athletic
okay,
school.
well,
wait.
I don't know.
Oh,
Don't go to athletic
sorry.
stuff.
I don't know for sure, but I think
Superior.
from I
Cut
don't
it
have any data, but some anecdotal evidence leads me to believe that a lot of
Anecdotal.
college athletes are sort of like pass through, as in they're graduating when they shouldn't have graduated.
Oh,
guessing the
Oh, that is
interest-
I mean, a lot of them
that
get fucking walked through. A lot of them have
that has
communications
not been
degrees.
a thing since the 80s.
Okay, yeah,
lot of
I-
people-
like I said, I'm not gonna rely too
no,
heavily
it is
on
a
it, but-
thing. It is a
the
thing.
dumb
even at-
athlete, the dumb athlete is like, and I'm not gonna say it doesn't exist anywhere, but it's mostly a myth now.
No,
Like-
first, to be clear, I'm not,
Not
saying
really.
this is dumb.
They take it
I'm just saying
into
that
your
I don't
workload.
know how much stock I put in that 90% graduation rate. Like this is true reflective of like their.
If you're
comp- their
graduating with a
academic competency.
communications degree, right? Like it's different than you're graduating with like pre-law or going into whatever.
Yeah,
a
but
lot
you're
of them, a lot of the student athletes that go to a school
people
are
are gonna
the-
pick their majors.
So wait,
differently.
bam.
But they also
like,
graduate with
Bam-
name recognition. If I go to start a business and I
That
already
does-
have a name, that helps a lot. Like say I'm Drew Tate, I don't know exactly what
But
he
you
does.
have you.
but if I
you
go
would
and
have
start
had
a business in
the
Iowa,
school isn't what gave you the name recognition. It was
no,
your,
my
it was your
athletic
skills
ability.
and like your
I
ability
am
to
playing at a
perform.
school.
It was I know, but it was your ability to perform. Because like a lot of these
Well,
people
the school
get
gave me
picked
the
up-
platform.
There's a lot of the reason why like scouts are in high schools are like why high schoolers now are like arguing like they should get paid because like fuck if you're bringing in the crowds to a high school game, right? When Drake is going to high school basketball games because one, the mom is bad, but two, the kid is just like a star player. We have LeBron's son who's like bringing in crowds. Like there's gonna be arguments for these people to get paid, but like bam. You were saying that the school can't sign a contract with
They can, but there's going to be limits. Like there's going to be limits how you can do things related to incentives when you're still trying to hold this categorization of like they're not an employee, we're not a for-profit business.
So the
We're,
issue is the issue is like when it comes to student athletes, I think the contract needs to be complete. Like it does need to reflect that there's some professionalism there, because you aren't just a student at like you're bringing in massive amounts of money. People are coming in. Once again, there is the name recognition that gives it, saying people are buying jerseys with your name on it, and then there is this organization known as the NCAA that's on top of everything making video games, doing the whole like you aren't just a student, you are a worker for the school at that point.
Would
Do you
you
like
would
disagree
you
with that or no?
I mean, again, I can see the argument for it. Here's the question: Would you tell an 18-year-old kid who is like struggling at their school? Would you tell them that like you signed a contract, you can't transfer to a different school? Forget about like for sports reasons, like you signed this contract, you're required to stay here.
No, but I think I think there's a difference between like a student signing up to go to a school, right, and then like wanting to change to a different school versus a student being scouted to come play for a school, and then you're signing a contract to come play for me. Like there's a completely different,
right, but it's still a contract. It will have to be binding.
It's a different
It have to be
contract.
binding on
But that's
both
what I'm
sides.
saying. It's a different contract. Like as a student athlete, I'm coming and I am working for your school. I have different obligations than just a student who comes into the school like willingly. Like if I made the choice to go to U of M, right? But then I'm like, I don't really vibe with U of M. I want to go to Michigan State. Yeah, like there's no obligation for me to be here. I made the choice. This is like obviously I have the freedom of choice to go whatever school and pay to whatever school I want to pay to. But then like as a recruited athlete, right? That's what I'm saying. There, you aren't just a student anymore. You weren't picked up because of your grades. You weren't picked up because of your like scholastic ability. You're picked up because we need to win games. We want you in this position. We scouted you. We're recruiting you. We're going to give you certain benefits that come with like being like a student athlete, whether it be name recognition or being like the big man on campus, how it was back in the day. But now it's like you're also going to make money. You're going to make a different organization and different corporations money. So like, yeah, you aren't really just a student anymore. You are a worker, right? At a certain point, like these colleges need to admit that their student athletes don't even really need to be students. They are just recruiting. This is just like lower level professional football.
Or they want the athlete, they just make them a student.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like you're making these kids students. A lot of them are coming in getting bullshit degrees. Like they're not really there for the degree.
When you say that, there's a difference between D1 and the other two, right? So like this is actually important. So when we bring up student athletes, there is one exception to the thing I said earlier. They're both at 70% regular students and D1 athletes. D1 athletes are graduated at 70, so they're equal to regular students. All the other ones. So when we talk about the NCAA, it doesn't just apply to like Texas A&M or Alabama. It also applies to like Texas A&M Kingsville, right?
Yeah,
like this guy might have name recognition, whatever, but they're going to require that kid to go to a certain amount of study hall every day. They're going to try to do all other things.
But they have different obligations, right? That's what I'm saying. Is like you come into a school with way different obligations than your average student.
Yeah, they have
you
more
have to
school.
go to study hall.
Yeah, they have more school obligations.
Wait.
More.
Like no. Yeah, they have more. That's what I'm saying. You have more obligations than your average student. You aren't just a student.
Yeah,
now.
you have to keep
the reason you have these obligations. The reason you have these obligations to go to like study hall while going to practice, while doing 2-a-days, while doing gym, while having a coach up your ass is because you are there to make you're there to make the school money. The school is operating as a business, right? They're selling tickets to games, they're selling jerseys, they're selling hoodies, they're selling merch, and then where you're rated as a school, like if you're in the top,
that's every academic student ever though. Like say I go to A&M, right, and I didn't fucking go be an athlete. Like okay, they have the commons. Where are you gonna buy your food? Okay, we're gonna pay for that. Oh, I'm gonna pay for the dorm. I'm gonna pay the dorm there. Oh, guess what? I'm gonna go pay like for these classes. So every person that goes to college is just a money revenue source for.
Yeah, but there's a difference between the ones that are going. No. There's a difference between the majority that are going willingly, that are paying for
except the regular student can go work
versus the students that you're recruiting that are making you the millions and billions that come off the back end of like ticket sales, right? Me going as a student to like some school, I'm not bringing in ticket sales to the school. They might be making money off of me at the fucking food hall or at the school store or whatever the fuck you're talking about. But like, there's a difference between me and what I'm investing in the school and what I'm bringing to the school versus like a quarterback at University of Michigan, right? There's a different load of money that's coming in based on my input versus theirs.
Yeah. So okay. So if treating this like a business, would you be would you be comfortable? Like, let's say I'm an employee here. Would you be comfortable having to profit share or have any type of salary cap with your teammates, the other sports at your school, or even within the conference? Or do you feel like
So like
I'm
a
my
salary
own
cap,
industry,
a salary
so I
cap,
can
as
make
far
what
as
I
I
want?
understand it, is like the team or the NFL has a limit to how much they can pay like any player, right? That would be the
Yeah,
salary.
yeah,
Yeah.
essentially, yeah. Just
But then
some
I can still go get my deals on the back end, right? I can go.
Well, I
do-
mean, you can go like if you go do stuff with Nike, like the thing would be limiting all of that. They were saying like putting some sort
no,
of
I'm not okay with
bracket
limiting
around it.
like the back. If the schools want to have like a salary cap where it's like, yeah, well, realistically, we can only pay these players like up to like $2 million a player. I can understand that, but then like you can't limit their ability to go like make money in their community, right? Like whether it be like
Well,
doing grand openings for stores or go Nike. Like you can't do
but
that.
these
You can't
these
limit
the,
their
thing,
ability
the
to make
issue with
money.
that is the issue with that is that's how I think you have that's how you have the Wild West, because the a lot of these boosters at these schools aren't employees of the schools. They're just people who attended the schools who have a lot of money. And they can make up a business.
Alumni.
They can make up a reason to
Yeah, they want to
give
encourage. They
you
want to
outside
encourage you to
money.
go to this school. I can understand that, but like I don't see what's wrong with that.
Well, I think that there is a few things. I think the same reason I think the issues we deal with of like the haves and the have-nots in our society, like there's really really wealthy people and really really poor people. I think
Mhm.
that you would like magnify that times 100 if you have two 18-year-olds in a locker room. One dude pulls up on a bicycle, and the other pulls up in a Rolls Royce. Like, and there's like that big of a discrepancy
In the locker room,
between
or
kids.
So I'm gonna be
Yeah.
completely, I'm gonna be like honest with you, like in both regards. This already happens right now without these deals, right? There are going to be students that
Yeah,
come
I think
from
that's the
fr-
problem now.
come
Like
from-
that's why they want to like fix it.
Well,
They
no,
wanna
so
sort
It'll
of-
probably
yeah,
be
so no,
exacerbated
wait.
this
So
way, though.
there are students that already come from privilege that are gonna pull up. Like I went to Eastern Michigan University, University of Ann Arbor is right up the street. I mean, there were kids with fucking BMWs, like there were kids with hella money. There was also a bunch of foreign kids.
Yeah,
that
but
came
what
in
you're
that had a
saying is
bunch
just
of
not
money.
true.
This is
Ali.
going to school though.
the
I'm
have-
talking
the
about
have-nots
kids
thing,
like
Manziel
going-
in
like,
two
we're
classes. So
paid
Wait,
on the same
the
team.
have and the have-nots thing, doesn't like wouldn't necessarily apply, right? If you are on the team, right? If you go and like there's two 18-year-olds, right? And one of them is a bench fucking linebacker,
walk on,
right? They're just there. But then there's also like the captain and the quarterback, whatever it may be. Obviously, this is in any business, in any team. There's players that get paid more than other players, and new players aren't going to necessarily come in with money. They're going to have to deal with it for a year or two. Obviously, if you're
new
coming
players
here,
are
you
gonna
were
make
talking about
more.
like
That-
all
the
these
issue
people with
is-
exceptions. I had Manziel in two classes, and so like I don't know what you're talking about. They're not getting like special treatment, at least not since like the '80s. Like I was saying, so like half of what you said at the beginning there is just blatantly not true.
I agree with
what-
you, but that's a different.
when
I'm
I
just
say
talking.
okay, listen,
They do
we're
get
gonna do that. If
special
we're gonna do the anecdote, Gibbs, as a
I mean,
student
yeah, he's
athlete,
one of the
most
highest. He's a Heisman winner. He's obviously known for getting paid under the table. He's known for partying and doing degenerate shit, and he still had to make class every day. And so, like, yeah, I guess that, yeah, it's just an antidote. At one of the biggest colleges that's been accused of fucking
What was
skirting
his
NCAA
major?
rules.
What
yeah,
was his major?
I don't
What was
fucking
his
know off the
major?
top of my. I think
What was his
oil field
major?
management because his parents are oil field.
Alright.
What is your point? Like, the point is he's still
my
made
point is
class.
his major was probably something not difficult, considering he was there to play football, not there to
Yeah,
go
but
to
anyone
school.
could choose
You have
those
to go
majors,
to,
right?
You have to go to school. You have to go to your classes, and you have to maintain a certain GPA because you are a worker for a school. Essentially, right? They're not deeming you a worker. You are a student, so you have to maintain a certain GPA so you don't hit academic probation.
Sports agency.
that
So it doesn't look
they
like
can
it was
keep
too
you around.
easy of a major.
Yeah,
Looks
sure.
like wrong again, boys.
Wrong again
Sports
about
agency usually. If
There
they're
goes
the
Gibbs
law-
again. He's
No,
always right.
I'm just saying, when I do quick lookups of what we're saying, everybody says Gibbs, fact check Gibbs. He's hard to get. Guess what? We just fact checked you there, and it's too easy. We're seeing he's in law and legal fields now, and rehabilitation fields. So clearly he's shit.
What fields? What fields?
Rehabilitation fields. So like, listen,
think you
the
said that,
point that I'm making is that
What are
you're,
we talking
you're just saying these things about these athletes. I could go down a lot of like heavy athletes. A lot of them have degrees and all sorts of hard shit. You're just making shit up and say Gibbs is anecdotal when I can at least point to an anecdote, and you don't even have an anecdote to prove. Like,
No,
I mean,
I went to college. I've seen college athletes, right? Obviously, some of them
yeah,
are
but
going
not
to
at a
have,
D1
like,
school.
have,
You
like,
went to like
decent-
pussy magoo school.
I went.
like
I
you
went.
said
No, no,
before.
to be fair,
Like, yeah,
no,
sorry,
no,
you weren't a
no,
man
Eastern,
child.
Eastern Michigan University was
Yeah, and
the bottom of the D1. It was the last of the
Oh.
D, but it was technically D1. So you know,
Eastern
fuck
Michigan,
off.
D1
So I
is
got
D1.
you there,
Mm,
right? And
wow.
listen, I'm not a fucking sports guy, but I did go to a D1.
Yeah,
school,
how many
so-
Heisman winners do they have? Because I'm talking about a Heisman winner I had in a class. Yeah, exactly. I
Probably
rest my
none.
case.
I don't fucking know none.
Yeah.
But
You don't have
I
antidotes
I
today.
partied in Ann Arbor, and listen, I'm not saying that like student athletes can't come in and get decent degrees. I'm just saying for the vast majority of them, they're not there for the degree. They're there to play their sport. They go to their class. And
How about Matt Leinart, another Heisman winner? Sociology. Is that an easy? Is that a gimme degree? I mean, you want to keep going? I mean, I can keep going.
I mean, I don't
easy
even
one.
disagree with you,
Sociology is
Gibbs,
kind
but,
of an
like,
easy
this
degree,
isn't,
yeah.
this isn't to be
I mean,
the
I'm
first
just. My point is, he just doesn't know what he's done. I can just start going through Heisman winners.
But this doesn't even defeat the wait. But my point isn't
That's
even.
not even
any
talking
of that.
about
My
what
point,
the
my
point
point
is
is
that
that they
student
should.
athletes with the best degrees.
Wait, Gibbs, are you arguing against me? Like I'm saying that these guys are workers for the school. They are workers for the NCAA, and they should be treated as such. Like I don't see the argument against it.
I don't know. I think we were at a good place. Like at an interesting thing. Like the impasse of like, oh, okay. I think that like kids in particular being so directly like confronted with difference in wealth, especially and like you say that like employees run into it, but not really. Like you people make more and less than each other at jobs for sure, but it's not going to be a description of millions. But from the dude that like sits right next to you, that does like a similar job to you.
Fair.
Like I don't know. I think that it could
So,
create
but then-
like a social exasperation. Like,
then why are you
that's going to
punishing-
come with a different level of treatment. I don't think necessarily in class, but like in things that they can get away with. Because like,
Yeah, I agree. But then it seems like this you're punishing them because you're like, well, I don't want them to like you don't want them to benefit off their skills until they graduate college. But isn't there like a new rule that like you can't get drafted out of high school anymore? Because weren't like a lot of people getting drafted out of high so basically there are these kids with skills, right? They're able to go and play in like the pros, but then they're limited to like they're actually forced to not play in the college, right? So on top of being like they can't make their money, they can't go to the professional league, they have to play for college because the idea is that we're looking out for them. We don't want like kids to just go into making millions of dollars and then not being equipped to have their financial. So we go send them to college in hopes that they learn something. But then while they're in college, you also don't want them to make money.
Somebody
And it's
dropped
like,
a super chat that I mostly agree with. If Brian wanted to
Yeah,
bring it up.
I'm
go
trying. Yeah, I'm waiting to.
Oh yeah, I'm just
Okay,
saying it just seems fucked that
then-
you like we're forcing them to go to college and then not paying them while I don't know. Just you can read the super chat.
Yeah, no worries. We can get right back to it. My listening library, thank you for the $5. Thanks for supporting the channel. Says, in my honest opinion, money goes into a savings account for each player, and it can be rolled over if they change schools, graduate or quit, and sign a form to get it. Okay, so it goes to a. Okay. Oh, it said, but they can't. I mean,
Essentially
they
like a
can't
trust.
spend it.
Like I don't
Yeah,
think
but
zero, I don't think they get zero of
that's
the
the
money,
problem.
but I think you should I think there should be like after $200,000, it should be rolled over into a trust that they have access
Yeah.
to. Just because I think that
That,
like I don't know, like I just don't like. I think that there's like whether we could call them adults or not. I think that there's so many negative extra now, unless they can unless they can do a sign off for something they particularly need, like, oh, there's this business venture that I want to do right now, and you can get authorization to like different levels of money. But I don't like giving 18-year-olds
I
$9
think
million
I think
contracts.
I think we have to. Oh my God, go ahead. Prem.
I'm sorry. It was very quickly. I was just going to say that
Yeah,
my
do your
only
thing.
issue with this is that like a lot of the problems that student athletes were facing, I remember the time before the Supreme Court case, a lot of the problems we're facing is that they couldn't make ends meet. So like once again, we should be paying for college in general, right? But that was a problem for them.
It also led to a lot of drug problems.
But they couldn't. I don't know about that part, but you can tell me about
because
it.
go ahead.
But sure. The one of the issues was that they couldn't actually like since they were getting paid, right? But they still had to go practice, so they had to like study. They had to practice, then they actually had to do the games, and then possibly like recover from the games afterwards, and then do all the other stuff. And then that didn't leave them a chance to like get a part-time job or something to help cover expenses. And so like I'd want them to be able to access at least some of the funds.
That's where the stipends
before
came
then.
Well, every year. So actually, this actually led to a lot of drug and violent crimes. Actually, so every year, I know when I was at college, A&M had 3 guys that were charged with drug crimes, and what they said was, "Hey, we are not getting paid by the school. We're not getting paid. We got scholarships. We're on the team. We got our stuff paid for, but we can't even eat because we spent the money on the shit." And so a lot of these guys come from like low income areas. Guess what? They know guys that can sell coke or weed or whatever, and they would do this. And then last year I think it was Florida State. They had a kid who was literally shot while he was out somewhere because he was selling drugs. And or not last year, it was a couple of years before then. And he was shot and killed. And every year you hear these crime, like these problems that deal with these kids not being able to make the money that they were. And now with the NIL, we've only had like one shooting of a college athlete, I think, last year compared to like the year before. We'd had several violent crimes. We'd have kids suspended every year for drug offenses, all sorts of stuff, and it's been significantly lower since then. And I think
James
that's
Winston won the Heisman and stole crab legs.
Yeah. So here's so
other super chat real quick. Then we'll go straight to you. $5 again for my listening library. He says treat it like a semi 401k. They borrow against it and pay back last. Well, you don't have to say last super.
No. Keep super chatting.
Super chatting.
Interrupt me all you want with all your super chats, please.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Ali.
So like for better or worse, I think we have to because Bam, I get what you're saying that you don't like the idea of financial discrepancy to like such a high degree, especially if you're like going into college, right? And my like we're gonna have to eventually deal with the fact that like influencer culture is a thing, right? And that like social media is a thing, and that like you can make a bunch of money at like the age of 12, right? It isn't like back in the days where like, yeah, you had to go to an agency if you wanted to have like a child star, right? You had to like go work for Disney, and like there was a whole thing that had to like now you can just make this money in your backyard, and we don't know how to deal with it. But like we do have to reframe how like I don't think like keeping or like maintaining this idea that student athletes are students first, right? I don't think that's beneficial for the athletes. I don't think it's beneficial for anyone going in. I think it only benefits the school. I think it only benefits the NCAA, because we do have to like contest with the fact that these kids are coming in. Sometimes they're coming in already as celebrities, right? So like when you're coming in with the 50,000 or 100,000 Instagram following at 18 years old because you're nice with a fucking basketball or a football, like we're gonna have to deal with the fact that like you're bringing money into a school. There's a reason why you're being recruited, right? And then like we have to deal with the fact that like we're seemingly going to have a lot of like 15-year-old fucking rich famous professionals, man. Like we either ban them from making this money, ban them from the internet, and like say, hey, if you're under the age of 18, you can't really participate in this world that we call the internet, or we're gonna have to like accept the fact that like, because like where do child labor laws come in for these kids when it's like a 15-year-old who's sick at basketball, 100,000 followers on Instagram, has scouts and like NBA and like Sports Center looking at him and talking about him, but like we want him to not make money. I don't know how we're gonna deal with that world. I think that's kind of like what we're getting into.
Yeah, what do we do for athletes who don't make money? Like, and I don't mean like even within the same sport is one thing, but like what happens to like the girls soccer team? Because right now, because it's not considered for profit, they do have to, like, schools do a required revenue share. They're saying even though those girls aren't making money, they're athletes just like you for this school that they represent, and we're gonna pay them.
We can either keep them on a salary program or not salary program. Like they can just get their scholarships like they've been getting, especially if I'm going to a Big Ten school for football, but then there's like a lacrosse team on the back end that no one goes to and no one watches. They just happen to have like a lacrosse team. You can either pay them a low salary or it can just be.
Well, what happens currently is they don't give a full scholarship. They'll get like a half ride or a quarter ride.
Yeah, like I mean, if they're already not getting like the full ride, like,
Title IX requires full scholarships, for a number of sports. Even I think the Sport Act required like 16. The schools had to require
then like maintaining the full scholarship idea, so on and so forth. I mean, like once again, if your sport isn't producing this like like bringing in the crowds, then I'm assuming the expectations on the athlete of that sport isn't as high as like the other athletes.
I don't know. I think I think like because we talk about football and basketball, but like the majority of college athletes play other sports. And
Yeah.
that's the only thing. Like I think
I don't
the
think they have as high
outcome-
expectations on them.
But they may.
I think they would be pissed if they stopped getting paid now because
I
like
mean,
we're gonna show favoritism to these like.
I mean,
sports
I think
that generate
there's
money.
a. I mean,
It's not
well, I mean, to a
favoritism. It's
certain
wait, it's not
extent,
favoritism. It's
like-
merit, really. Like if your sport is bringing in the money, if your athlete is bringing in the money, that is merit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, that's. I mean, like I think
So now we
there
agree
might
that
be-
price
there
is
might
an
be-
indicator.
there
of
might be a.
interest.
There might be a base
Yeah,
amount.
join that side, Henry.
I'm just, I guess, and I'm not too invested in this, but like there might be a base amount, that maybe we do a bit of split there, right? Like from like the wealthier sports to like the poor sports, and then from there they get like a bonus for
Some
like whatever they
redistribution.
actually bring in. Yeah, redistribution.
We already do that.
Of my profits.
Yeah, so I think that might be fine, but I don't know. But I'm willing to hear other things.
Oh wait,
right?
they already.
I
do
just want
that.
to address I just want to address Lactoid quickly with what
Sure.
you shared with us.
Yeah.
Lactoid. First, I'll let you say what you did, and then I'll respond to it. Go ahead.
What I looked up.
Yeah.
you
can
you're
Yeah.
saying a lot.
make your case.
So when you factor in the salaries of military personnel and civilian personnel that are under the DoD, it comes out to about half. About half generally has been historically what military funding goes to. But then we also have service contracts. So contractors to whether it be a PMC that actually goes out and does fighting that we pay them to do. This is different than procurement contracts. So I'm not including like paying Lockheed Martin to manufacture so many Tomahawks for us, but like including things like people, construction contractors who are building military bases, PMCs, etc. You get over 50% if you include that. So if you don't include that, then it'd be about half.
So I'm looking. So I was looking at other numbers, but they didn't break it down as well. Like more recent numbers, they didn't break it down
Okay.
as well as the numbers you have. Right, this little graph that you came up with.
Sure.
And like for salary strictly, it's about like 22%. In fact, I did the math myself. That was for the 2025 appropriations. 22% directly for military for active duty and reservist military salaries. But then you have to include like a lot of things you're talking about, right? And a lot of things listed here, which includes like the health programs,
Benefits.
family housing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which is all part of the pay
as
that
well.
they get. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. But like it also seems like like for instance the DoD base budget here, which is 523 is it billion? I imagine this is billion. Yeah, 523.
Yeah, it's not dollars.
billion. That that's fair. Maybe it was francs. I don't know. But anyway, that is weird to say that necessarily comes as true remuneration for the base budget, right? That's included in here as well. If you don't include it here, it says military pay and benefits as a percent of the budget would be 34%, not half.
Ooh.
Well, I wouldn't know all about the Franks.
No, hold on. Explain that last part.
Well, hold on, I'm looking at the graph. It says 34 military pay and benefits as percent of budget. 34%.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, because that's not including the civilian part of the military. I said including both military and civilian personnel under the DoD, because they're getting paid too. Yeah, so if you just talk about military personnel, like ranked military personnel, it's about 34%. But then when you throw on the giant cadres of civilian workers that work for the military and get paid under the DoD, they're getting 47. Overall, comes up to about half, 47.9%.
I don't know if we should be throwing that in. Like it depends.
Of course,
on what
that's
they're
under the
doing.
military budget. They're paid under the military
The
budget.
Burger King.
Yeah,
guy,
yeah,
the one
hold on.
the Burger King on base.
Listen, no. Specifically, what our friend Gibbs challenged me on is that hey, if I want to cut the military budget, I'm going to be cutting the soldiers who've been signing up. That's what we're talking about. So
Well,
specifically,
yeah, it would be soldiers, but it would be all the other poor people who depend on those jobs to get to a position where they can start businesses.
All the poor people.
Okay, but
I hate poor people.
I don't.
He wants
maybe,
doctors
like,
to
that-
get richer.
would-
He hates the poor.
whether-
people working for the military.
Whether I give a fuck about them depends on what they're doing, right? If that part of the civilian contractor is that they're working for like Lockheed Martin,
What
right?
about
Well, then
Burger
maybe
King?
I don't give a fuck.
No.
right? And
That
actually wanna
does
eat
no
that.
wait. That does not include civilian like contractors in the sense of like procurement. That's not
Mhm.
included in that number. Procurement's
Sorry,
different.
What about like so Burger King?
So
Like,
this
you're the
is
Burger King
what this
guy.
is taking in is just the civilians
Gibbs, you're
and the
obsessed
military
with Burger
personnel
King.
that are actually
Oh, yeah.
working for
So
the
we
military,
can
as
drop
in their
Burger
But it-
employer
24
is
hours
under
before
a branch
work.
of the military.
Okay,
You
but
have
it
in order to
also
get
still
above
includes the
50%.
DoD base budget authority. What is that?
That's how much the total budget is, and then you would compare.
No, that's
what
not. That's not the. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. go
Yes.
ahead.
So total. So
Apologize.
the DoD base budget authority. That's what the DoD has authority to spend. So if you divide that 177.9, that's the military and military pay and budget and benefits funding. That's on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the 8th line down. That's where you get the 34%. But then below that, there's the civilian pay, and that's talking about the civilians that would list their employer as
So just cut
one of
half the
branches
budget.
There you go,
of-
Hunter, right here.
that's what I said. I said if we're looking
That's
at
what he
just the
said.
salaries and the benefits of the actual people who would call it their employer, you get about half. That's
Yeah, I
what
said so.
put
Cut
right
the
there.
other half.
Yeah. But
Cut the
once
other
again, the
half
thing
so they
that-
run in naked.
Keep their
So-
salaries, and then
Like the old days.
Yeah,
so
they
once
run in
again, the thing
naked
that
with
I was-
knives. That's what we're
Not-
in
But the
military.
thing that I was
Hey,
challenged
enemy
on was-
to
cut
scare
the-
them.
The thing
Yeah.
that I was challenged on was the soldiers' pay, right? That's what I was challenged on.
Because the
correct?
poor and
To
indigent,
be
and
very
the
clear,
African Americans and
Okay.
Hispanics, why do you
I-
hate them?
I was challenging
I
the soldiers'
I
pay.
distinctly remember saying including the like the military personnel and the civilian personnel under the military, because if you
Well-
cut the military budget, it's going to affect them too.
Okay. Yeah, hold on. Sorry. That's fine. But like
Okay.
what the thing that I was
about
responding
the
to
Burger
when
King
Gibbs
trucks?
challenged me was the soldiers' budgets, right? The soldiers
Sure.
salaries, correct?
Sure.
Great. All right. And then
Yeah.
you responded with that plus something else, right?
Wait.
Which I said at the time.
Well, so
yes.
if we don't buy those missiles and the
Okay.
soldiers aren't working
Alright.
on those missiles, then they're not going to be hired. and
No,
they'll-
this
they're
is not. It's
still-
not including the people working on the missiles.
I know, Bron. I know, actually. But even to Prime's point, say it does include. I would say, okay, it doesn't include those. We're just doing soldiers. So we're not buying any more missiles. So we don't have this system anymore. So those soldiers aren't going to work that system. So now they're not going to be paid, and they're not going to have a job. So Prime still hates African American Hispanics that work for the military. Why do you hate?
I
these
still hate
people?
them. That's true.
Yeah,
Hell
see,
yeah. That's true.
man, no any way around it.
The only people I have sympathy for are white women. And I think that's very well established.
That work in the military.
Okay.
What about liberals,
No.
Prime? How do you feel about liberals? I don't think you
You're
made
the
that
snow
clear on this
bunnies.
panel.
Oh, I will say this. I will say this though. If you were to increase the military budget by a significant percentage and made it so that it all went to pay and benefits as like a recruitment attractor, this would help poor people more than college forgiveness. That is undoubtedly true.
Hey,
Unquestionably true.
We should give more money to the military.
I don't
That's
support
right.
that at all, but I
sorry,
do
honey.
think that that's obviously true.
But that's
I think that
not
that's
just-
probably
even I don't know if that is
hurting.
true. But let's say that it is, right?
Mhm.
Well, I really don't know if that's true at all. Actually, I don't. I got 100.
If you increased base level salaries for the
Wait,
military,
hold on. Obviously, hold on.
Yeah,
Prime,
let's
let me
say-
speak
hold
your
on,
language a little bit.
Don't.
Could I?
Don't.
Why?
No thanks.
Okay, wait, hold on. Could I just say real quick? First off, the military takes advantage of poor people. That they're essentially they increase the amount of health. They allow free college and give them
healthcare.
health care because poor people are more likely gravitated towards the military.
No, hold
So-
on. It's also an opportunity they wouldn't they can use to get
Sure,
ahead.
I agree,
Otherwise,
I
they're
agree.
also not-
It's
That's not taking advantage.
There's different ways to look at this, but largely speaking, the military is largely full of poor people, and I would say that that's probably because the military is geared towards them. It's geared to sort of take advantage of people and
Because
bring-
people who
bring them
make
in.
money don't want to go join the
two-
military.
hold on.
100%,
Hold on.
100%.
Why-
So
why-
they're
why?
largely filled with
It-
poor people.
Is there another
Yeah, you
half
need
of this
peasants
argument?
to fight
Because
your
like
wars.
you were about to say something interesting, but then you stopped. And if you stop right here, it's a stupid
So
argument.
if you cut the military pay, it's largely going to affect poor people. But if you give
Oh, okay. So
If
not-
you-
it's
Right.
if you increase the military
Okay.
pay, it would
Um,
largely
so-
positively.
Poor
affect
people
poor
are gonna
Instead,
be rich,
the
right.
reason why people go into the military is because they lack opportunities.
Mhm.
That's why that happens.
I
Exactly,
agree.
right? And so, right, if we instead did
why it's an
universal
opportunity.
college tuition, right? If we did that,
And they
then
go to the-
we
they
give
go
them
to
a lot more
college.
opportunities.
agree with
including,
you.
trade schools, right? Yes, we
100%.
wouldn't have to go into it. Okay, great.
You know how you
So
can
that
get
would be a
free
better-
college though?
That'd be a bigger benefit and no bombs involved, right?
know how you
Like,
get
no,
free college?
getting
But I
shot
don't think that was
bombing
part
people.
of the
no dying for
conversation that
Israel
Lactoid was
involved,
saying.
right? No dying for Israel.
I agree.
That's okay. Great. So
True.
then it would be
Yeah.
a better benefit to increase do universal college
Unquestionably,
tuition.
but
I just want
largely
to point out how
just-
anti-Semitic this is. So you have a problem with people dying for the one Jewish nation? Is that what I'm
Yes.
hearing?
Particularly,
Crazy.
actually.
It's true.
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
This is why
So-
Prime targets me. Has anyone noticed that Prime targets me as the only Jew on the panel?
I-
It is.
Well, I mean,
is
you
a
said
little-
that you were Jewish.
That's true.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
true.
a
He
little
dropped
bit
that
noticeable.
earlier.
It's a little bit noticeable, Prime.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
just saying.
And I'm going to
Shit.
have Netanyahu come after you.
Oh, and you were worried about my lists.
You might.
See,
I
like the Jews. They have
I'm
money.
personally
fair.
gonna
Well,
have Netanyahu.
I'll be sure not to accept
Well, Hunter's
any
only
pages,
kind of
okay?
Jewish.
So he's only
I'm
half.
Jewish.
If
I'm
we're
Jewish.
doing- if we're
Half
doing-
full.
No,
He's only
we're
half
not
full.
even. We're not even from the mother, right? It's like the father.
I
Yeah.
know it's my dad.
Drops it
it's
down
not
to
my
like
mom.
25% easy, right there.
Wait, does that not count?
The
I don't
Jews
think it
consider
counts.
it through the mom,
Counts?
but really only the Orthodox. So if you ask some Jews, they will not consider me Jewish. But if you ask Hitler, he would consider me Jewish. And if you ask Israel, he would.
Well, that's
they would
my
consider
authority,
me Jewish. So
so.
it's like it is kind of. It's like that's who I'm.
Israel.
Wait, hold
needs
on.
you
What's your
to be
bank
Jewish.
statement? What's your bank statement like? You,
Oh,
Okay, well,
well,
let's,
you,
let's-
how
I'm-
in debt are you?
I'm surely not
Gibbs.
Jewish then.
Oh,
Jesus.
Oh, I want to know. Prime wasn't talking for the last 2 minutes. All right. Okay. Anyway, thank you for that. That was a lot of fun. Prime was right again and again. It's amazing how that works.
Wait, I thought it was Gibbs.
well,
Well,
I've been right
Prime
the whole
and-
time.
Prime and
Prime,
Gibbs.
Prime and Gibbs are a tag team. I think we're agreeing on lots.
Oh,
of
so
things,
you've
right?
been
Yeah,
you've been
absolutely.
hand washing with the Trump supporter.
Hold on.
Washing him up.
Well,
MAGA,
he hand
yeah.
washes for Gibbs. Gibbs is the only Trump supporter that we
Yeah,
support.
I'm also like,
Yeah.
on the Trump. I'm with Trump as long as he's making me money.
Hold on, sorry. One other thing. That this, and I meant to get this out, but you guys, we had a lively conversation. I didn't want to interrupt this, right? But it's for Gibbs.
Oh,
Gibbs, I don't understand your entire argument. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. I don't understand your entire argument as it relates to your political outlook. You have said specifically, and all my regulars will know this. You have said specifically that you don't care, right? Like how people make their money as long as they make their money, right? It doesn't matter if they like
Right.
trample other people, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
But
Or if
now
they're a
specifically
pedophile,
student
then it's okay.
athletes, yeah,
But the
even if they're
Democrat.
fucking pedophiles, it's fine.
Hold on, I didn't
As
know we were
long
talking
as
about the
there's money in your
Democrats.
pocket. So okay, so for the student athlete situation, what
Or the
do
Catholic
you
priest.
care if they're taking advantage of these student?
Oh, I
athletes?
can explain this because it's actually easy because this is why I think it needs to be changed. It needs to be called over. Like there needs to be some sort of overarching, like determinative, like kind of fit body. But they're not the NCAA. The reason why I can is one, I do want student athletes to make money. I was a student athlete. I didn't get the chance to make the money,
So
but
it's
I
like
could.
you,
All
yeah.
I could see how I could make some money on the student athletes currently. I can see how I could make more money if it was fair across the board and more student athletes had a chance to make equal amounts of money and sorts of thing, or as well as the colleges being able to benefit properly. Yeah, so
Gibbs-
like, yeah, it does.
Wait, wait,
I
Gibbs,
have I have something to throw to you.
I want to ask quickly. If you were part of the NCAA, would you be advocating for the SCORE Act?
Depends on how financially tight I was doing.
Okay.
What if
Good one.
what if I could introduce you to an ideology that could essentially increase everyone's median wealth, largely speaking throughout the country, and that would benefit essentially everyone, including college athletes?
Yeah, but if it's everybody's median wealth,
I've
goes
heard
up,
this
and-
one before, Stalin.
Hold on, Marco.
No,
Hold on,
no,
If everybody's
no.
median wealth goes up and my wealth goes down, fuck the median wealth. I don't give a shit.
But so if you worked for okay, this is incoherent.
Wait, you're surprised now? It's incoherent. Starting now.
Valid. You're right, Corey. You're right.
You only apply it to like
What's
the
good for
NCAA.
Gibbs is
Hold
good
on.
for the gander. All right.
You only apply to the NCAA. This may be true, but there's a plethora of financial incentives across a board of interests that you need to consider, not just the NCAA.
Let's wrap things up. Thank you
mirror.
all for being here. Much appreciated. And thank you for the people who supported the channel, which would be Gibbs in my listening library. I do appreciate you both. And hey guys, in case you enjoyed this, if you're sitting out there, consider following the channel wherever you might be, right? Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube. No, not Twitter. Fuck. Kick. There's
It's
probably
called
no one on
X
Kick. But if
now.
you're on Kick, oh my god.
I don't believe that.
No,
I don't
yeah, it's
believe
fine.
that.
Yeah, no,
And watch it
yeah.
for Elon now.
No. But consider following the channel. We have these great conversations. I think you'll enjoy them. Come back for another one. All right, I'm gonna give an outro to all these amazing people. Starting with my friend Lactoid. Lactoid, thanks so much for being here. This is a lot of fun. We had to travel a bit, but we arrived at some great friction.
Yeah, I'm Lactoid. It was a good conversation. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know nearly as much about the NCAA as some of our other friends here. I had just a general understanding of this is a government bill that dictates certain things that people have to do or shouldn't have to do, and I was able to more or less find my position from that. If you liked what I had to say, you can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Thanks.
Thank you, Fred. Thanks for the honesty. Let's go to our friend Corey.
Yeah, as always, entertaining and grateful to be here. And I'm going to compromise with the other side, as in like I'm now
Hand washing them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna compromise with Gibbs, and I'm gonna revise my bans. Just ban football. I'll live with that, and basketball. And
At least that's
baseball
coherent.
can survive.
So boxes on the table. Too late. You can't take it back.
You got me. And I do want to point out, okay, just maybe as a warning to Hunter, since you and Lactoid seem to agree a lot recently, just keep it in mind that I believe we learned last week that according to Lactoid's worldview, he must concede that he is morally worse than Epstein. Okay, so just keep that in mind.
You're forgetting a very important exception.
No.
that I added
When
to
did
that.
this
No.
happen? Was I here last week? I feel
I
like
believe
I
you
was.
were.
Well, Lactoid thinks that you know, the more money you have, the more moral you are. So.
Exactly.
With two exceptions. What
No,
were
no,
they?
no, no,
Epstein
no,
and
no,
Diddy.
no. What did you say first? What did you say first?
Very
Those are the
limited-
only
No.
two exceptions.
There might be more. We'll see.
But either way,
have
you
to
can
wait.
find me on Twitch, Corey Campbell 84, Twitter, X, YouTube, Instagram, Substack, TikTok. It's Corey Campbell, Hunter, Ali, Gibbs, Lactoid. Always a pleasure. Love you, Prime.
Thank
So
you,
just a
Corey.
fair warning, Hunter. Fair warning.
I hear you.
Yeah. So I do like that Prime's worldview is significant enough to include King Leopold II of Belgium as one of the nicest guys ever because of how rich he got, killing millions of people in Africa.
Yeah, Prime.
Like, yeah. He's Belgium.
Yeah, fuck you, Prime.
Yeah, he got more. He's morally better.
I don't know
crazy.
how.
Crazy that Prime would think that. I don't.
Yeah. I don't get. I appreciate it though. Gibbs, shout out to you, friend.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to say anything else?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just was throwing that in there since we're talking about morally rich kind of thing. Oh yeah. So listen, South Park lampooned this really well. Student athletes. Yeah, they nailed it. Go watch that episode if you want to find out all the terrible things the NCAA has done because they're surprisingly very accurate. Yeah, and they're terrible, bad people. The Wild West is happening. There needs to be some regulation. This is why I'm not a libertarian because it's crazy right now. But the Wild West is better than what it was. Mainly because I benefit and Texas A&M benefits. Thanks to Gig'em. Also, yeah, always fun to be here and appreciate it as always. Also, hey, we're gonna be doing Wild Things tomorrow for the last day of the month. So check it out, guys. Especially if we reach the goals.
Let's go to our friend Ali. Thank you so much for being here, friend.
Yeah, some of the topics you come up with, Prime, I'm like, I didn't know the NCAA would interest you at all. At all. I didn't know I was gonna have so many opinions on this. I'm not gonna lie. Bam came in with the contention. I was like, holy shit. I took a whole set of edibles before this, and they've been kicking my ass the entire fucking show. So I'm surprised I was able to hold up. But yeah, thanks for having me, man. Mondays are my favorite, right? Like we seem to always make a conversation out of fucking nothing, which is a great sign of these people. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Last but not least, in fact, foremost is our Jewish friend Hunter.
You
We love
don't
our
have to
Jewish
say it
friends.
like that.
We have one. We have one part of the crew.
Yeah, don't
right now,
no,
Rod,
Prime,
right.
don't say it like that. Just
We
call it
have
Jew
the
friend.
Muslim. We have the. It works. The Muslim.
Play
the
Javi
Jew,
right
Thanks
now.
to
are
my
hand in
black
hand.
friend,
Yeah,
Well, he was way
Black
more
friend
excited.
Prime.
which
he
I
was
do
way
have,
more-
by the way. I have
It's
black. I have one
you
black
never
friend.
say happy.
Just call him French. Just
You
call
don't
him
seem
French,
happy
yeah.
about it.
I'm not. Ah! What is going on with my camera? I'm sorry.
Massage, check him out.
It's
You
not
gotta
Jewish
come off
racial.
happier
we
about
can
it,
tell-
right?
We can say that for sure.
Did you see the
we're
smile
happy to
Prime had
have
when he said
people-
Jewish? He said my Jewish friend. See, he
Yeah.
said it with a smile.
Yeah,
Mm.
You
And-
got
and,
angry when you said black friend, like you were forced to have one.
Yeah, I
He's
feel.
still mad. He's
I
still
feel-
mad as a Jew about
I
Egypt.
feel enslaved by me and Prime's
We-
friendship. I
Would
feel
you call it,
enslaved.
like,
That's
a
the word I
Pharaoh?
would
You have
use.
on this screen. You have a Christian, Gibbs Christian, right? Yeah, correct. We got a
How?
Muslim individual.
I'm a reverend, actually.
That's true. That's
and we
true.
got-
That's true.
And we got a Jewish individual, right?
Mm.
Prime brings people together, and he loves people of all faiths, except apparently Hindu, because we don't have them. But like, we hopefully we can have them at some point. But like, yeah,
Blackwood has
we love our
rocks and
Jewish
shit,
brothers
so
and
he's
sisters,
close enough.
and we accept them and we invite them back.
The
Go ahead,
classic
go ahead.
Christian value of treating people as morally superior if they have more money. Wait, that was Lactoid. I'm sorry. I do mix you guys up sometimes.
No, that's actually Gibbs. Just to be clear.
No, I know. Sorry, it's my outro, yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you for watching. I don't have a ton of opinions about NCAA, so don't follow me if you want to hear more about that. But if you want to hear conversations about means testing versus universalism, I am your guy. If you feel like the Marxist interpretation of giving money to everyone is bad, and if you feel like the libertarian idea of just like, oh, we got to decrease the amount of money, but rather you want to see the deficit as investments that we put into people who we feel like are able to benefit us later, that essentially we can recognize that poor people are in disadvantaged situations and we should give them more money so that they can make their lives better, but that we shouldn't be just frantic with our money. You should follow me because we're economically literate here, but also moral, which is apparently it's a little bit difficult to get both.
Boring.
It's a little bit difficult here to get both. But thanks for watching. Please follow me. Love you guys.
Blacktoid.
Thank you for having
I just need to know.
you'll be
Blacktoid,
I'm the most moral.
Where
by
does
the way.
where does Jesus land?
But
in
not as
your,
much
like,
as FC.
morality
Yeah,
ranking? Considering
Hunter,
the guy
why
was
did you
broke,
kill our savior, Hunter? Why?
right? Like the
Why?
guy was
God.
broke. Where does he
Jesus
land in your moral judgment? Like,
I would think the inventor of morality probably has dibs. That's fair.
but even if he was broke, right? Like
No, he has dibs. He
Jesus
invented the
famously
system.
poor, washing
No, he's
people's
not.
feet.
No,
Yes,
he's not.
is. He's
He can invent
famously
anything.
poor.
He can just create anything. That's
But he
like
was
wealth.
still poor.
He turned
Okay.
water to wine and
He
didn't
was
sell it.
No, he
He was
was
pretty
feigning
homeless.
poverty. If you're poor, that doesn't mean you like. Come on. Like,
I
oh,
knew
you're
he
gonna.
was
champagne
Oh,
socialist.
He's
he's
the
not.
creator of the
so-
universe. He wasn't poor.
Yeah, he wasn't fucking poor.
Wait,
Being
are
poor
you-
means you don't have
Yeah.
shit.
Are you
He
saying
has
Jesus is a
everything.
champagne socialist?
I hear
No,
this.
he was playing
Jesus
a
and
poor
Hassan
person for
Piker
This is
TV.
pretty
famously
good.
The same person.
Isn't that
No, he
worse?
was-
Isn't that like morally bankrupt? Just pretending
No, it's
to do
not.
it
He
to
did
save a
it for
following?
he did it for reasons perfectly sufficient for him.
He used a means
The
to an
inventor of
end.
morality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not the inventor. I know you don't believe that. Okay, I'm not even going to engage with
No,
it.
but he would be.
Are you
assuming that
Christian?
Jesus- No,
No.
Okay.
I'm
Would
not
you
religious. If I
agnostic?
was to become religious
He'd be a
at any
Muslim.
point in the near future, I would become Christian. Yeah, I actually
He'd
went to
become,
a
a, he'd
church
become,
on
you'd become
Sunday.
a Muslim. It makes more money.
Ollie, are you Muslim?
I mean, you know, I'm as Muslim
I
as
mean,
you are Jewish.
He
Yeah.
just took a
fair.
bunch of edibles.
As he
More
exhales the
ethnic
vape
than
cloud.
yeah. I'm not kosher. You're not halal. I get it.
Yeah.
That's,
Oh, I'm
that's
just trying to
right
leave.
terminology, right? I think.
Okay.
Escape back. Oh.
All right. Well, thanks, friends. And we'll see
Much
you next
love,
week.
Have a good one.
All
Be
right,
well.
Peace, everybody.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
night,
guys.
boys.